I'm M. Night Shyamalan.
This is what we like to see when we're settling in for a movie. Over 2 minutes of black screen opening credits. Slow-burning light bulb serves as an analogy for the slow-burning realization your brain has during this movie, which sadly will be 5 minutes behind the film's actual reveal. Olivia Williams isn't my girlfriend or still-living wife in this scene. Apparently, there's already a ghost wandering around this house that makes Anna shiver, and that is never solved. And that person apparently never goes to see Haley Joel Osment either. Remember, Malcolm isn't dead yet, so who's the mystery ghost making it cold? And don't tell me it's the guy upstairs, because he isn't dead yet either. Yep, fire and paper go hand in hand. Excellent mantle decoration choices here.
In recognition of his outstanding achievement in the field of child psychology.
Exposition via awarded plaque.
For countless children and their families.
Jesus, you're going to read the whole thing? Married people. Even when you're a disturbed former patient of a renowned psychologist, you enjoy running from one place to the next in the background to scare people. Ah! Unexpected discount Donnie won't. What the f?
This is 47 Locust Street.
Why does Malcolm tell the obvious, possibly crazy intruder who isn't lost what the address is? Movie will now proceed to the next fall, because as we all know, even though he got shot, there is no way Bruce Willis's character is dead. I am 100% certain of this. So, that unimportant shooting requires no further storytelling, because he survived, and one day he and his wife will look back on this night and laugh. Also, while this restricts the time jump to inside 365 days, it really does nothing to tell us how much time has passed. Did the shooting take place late September, for example, or in February? Director obsessed with one specific location is obsessed. Psychiatry stalking. Petty theft. The second paragraph of this notebook discusses a conversation in the church that Malcolm and Cole did not have. There wasn't even as much as a star wipe that suggests what we saw in the church wasn't the whole conversation. Malcolm's hand is amazing at building dramatic tension. So a ghost walked in, opened all the drawers and cabinets, then left? How are you supposed to get what you want doing that? Also, that was the quietest opening of drawers and cabinets at that speed in the history of things being opened hastily.
Something you're looking for, baby?
Also, Cole's mom does not question the fact that she turned away from the kitchen for what amounts to 10 seconds and that this is impossible for her kid to do in the time allotted.
Look at my face.
And try not to peek down my shirt when I tell you this mom advice. There's no way you're seeing that from this distance.
Freak, how'd you like that arm around the shoulder bit?
This kid fails to be eaten by raptors in 2 years. You know, you watch this movie once and you're like, whoa. You watch it a second time and you're like, damn. But if you watch it a third time or more, you end up mostly thinking, well, Also, Jesus, I didn't realize how many whammy moments M. Night totally staged in this movie regardless of all logic. Okay, this step forward or backward scene is fantastic because it's shot well and provides a unique way to learn expositional information while seeing character development play out. One sin removed from one of the reasons we all originally loved M. Night.
You forgot it in a drawer.
I guess Cole doesn't care if his mom hears him or just happens to walk past the living room while he plays this game with an invisible person.
What am I thinking now?
I don't know what you're thinking now.
Hey, that's not the rule of the game. He's not wrong, he's being honest. Although...
You're nice, but you can't help me.
Isn't that exactly what Malcolm told him he was thinking at the very beginning of this game? That Cole didn't think Malcolm could help him?
Happy anniversary.
Scene only inserted into this movie in order to trick you.
That's bullshit.
Swearing in front of children. This is the first time she's ever noticed this super obvious ghost lens flare. Also, ghost lens flare. And it's on all the pictures? Least observant mother ever. Cole's mom is addicted to dogs. So Cole's writing normal journal stuff, then suddenly, someone starts writing crazy all over it. Now, maybe a ghost did that, maybe Cole is writing what the ghost says, maybe Cole's possessed, but then after all the crazy talk, Cole continues writing like nothing happened. In fact, he wrote "because I" before the crazy part, and then wrote it again after the crazy part like nothing happened. So what the f*** happened there?
Because you'd seemed kind of down lately.
Is it your dead husband? It's probably your dead husband. I mean, it's amazing how many conversations about himself Malcolm overhears where no one mentions him by name. Guy who's in love with Anna turns toward the house and practically looks like a stalker, so that we'll all know he's a guy who's in love with Anna.
Keep moving, cheese dick.
Cheese dick.
They used to hang people here.
Kid who is extremely self-aware and knows not to draw violent pictures anymore and wants to keep this seeing dead people thing a secret decides, yeah, this is the kind of answer my teacher wants.
Shut up, you freak!
Fired.
Looks like an ordinary penny.
Since we know Malcolm is actually dead this whole time, how does this penny work? If someone were to walk in, would they see a floating penny? Or is it also dead? Anna apparently started watching this wedding video, then left it on while she took a shower, so that Malcolm could walk in and enjoy it, not to mention the audience. Over the entire year Malcolm's been dead, has there ever been a time where he sat down on the couch and Anna came in and sat down on the exact spot where he was sitting? I don't know how you justify that in your head, but surely it's happened once or twice. I know he's a little kid, but damn, you're at a stranger's house, and you saw a balloon. In addition to being a scared, scarred boy who sees dead people, you're just gonna go wandering willy-nilly around this house?
Open this door, I'll break through it and grab you!
Where did these assholes come from? Wasn't Cole at the base of the stairs when this scene started? Hell, Cole looks like he's in a completely different part of the house than these two are when they start climbing the stairs. And I don't see Cole's "I'm a lonely boy at a birthday party" paper plate and matching pillow anywhere either.
Oh yeah, my dad made me invite him.
He did? We know that Cole is unpopular to say the least, and this scene illustrates early on that Cole's mom doesn't fit in with this kid's wealthy parents. So how did his dad even know or care to invite Cole? There is no way these parents heard Cole's screams from down here with kids yelling and loud music playing. This is the movie where M. Night Shyamalan decided it would be a good idea to put M. Night Shyamalan in his movies.
There's some cuts and bruises on your son that are concerning me.
Man.
You know, if we existed back in 1999, this insert of Bruce Willis saying, "Oh man," like the disconnected dead dude he is, would have set off all the alarms. Why doesn't the mom ever ask Malcolm what's going on with her kid? Is he dead? This family doesn't look like they can afford a child psychologist, so yeah, he's probably dead. But back in 1999, we were like, when are we going to get to the I see dead people part?
We have to add some twists and stuff.
Like what kind of twists? Give me an example.
Maybe they'd run out of gas.
Maybe find out Malcolm's been dead this whole time.
We have to add some twists and stuff.
Also, after writing this line of dialogue, M. Night was so impressed with it, he had it cross-stitched and framed, and it still hangs above his mantle to this day.
Maybe they'd run out of gas.
That's not a twist, that's a horror cliche.
I see dead people.
There's virtually no way this movie would get made today. It takes 50 minutes for Cole to share his secret, and we haven't even seen any real ghost stuff. Yet the movie is pretty damn compelling to keep your attention to the halfway point without a whole lot happening. So we'll take a sin off.
Suffering from visual hallucinations.
Look, I know Malcolm is dead, but why would he pick the streets of Philadelphia to record his thoughts on Cole? This seems like a breach of confidentiality, even though he's dead, but he doesn't know that.
Hi, this is Lynn Sear, Cole's mom.
Wait a minute, this family's name is the Sears? Like Sears? Like sees dead people? Whether or not he knows it, M. Night inspired the entire Paranormal Activity franchise with this sequence of shots.
Mama?
Is this not the exact same ghost that's been opening all the cabinets and drawers before? How does Cole mistake this obvious ghost for his mom? Man, Cole really has a lot of contraband in this tent. Piracy. Yeah, but isn't Cole used to this by now? He even mentioned the hanging people when Stuttering Stanley told him he was a freak earlier. So why is this a big deal anymore? For him. Yeah, the audience is finally seeing this stuff for the first time, but he isn't.
When they get mad, it gets cold.
Movie uses bullshit made-up reason to explain why Cole's breath isn't visible during scenes with Malcolm. Man, this movie uses a lot of fade to blacks. Cole throws a goddamn shoe at the television and only gets a playful chiding.
I mean, I've been praying, but I must not be praying right.
This is certainly the problem.
Hey, come on. I'll show you where my dad keeps his gun.
Why are all the other ghosts in this movie introducing themselves in this creepy manner, in the very situation they were in when they died? Malcolm showed up to Cole as a child psychologist, and is in no way reliving the moments of his death in front of him.
You, got anything a little plainer?
What a f***ing idiot.
I told you what I want.
Did Malcolm watch them from outside the store somehow and smash the window? Or did he see Anna and the stalker about to kiss, run out, smash the window, and leave? Because from Malcolm's perspective, wouldn't he be wondering why his wife is kissing another man right in front of him? And if he's outside the store, how did he see it in the first place?
Do you understand?
Malcolm breaks up with Cole because his wife almost kissed a guy, because it's impossible to treat one boy and be a good husband, apparently. So Malcolm finally learns the truth about the kid who turned into Donnie Wahlberg. But it's actually kind of amazing that this award-winning psychologist didn't remember to check his tapes after this session, where Vincent was fine when he left him and not fine when he came back.
What do you think these ghosts want when they talk to you?
Does Cole know that Malcolm is dead? I guess he does, but since he never does anything these other ghosts do, it makes me wonder if he really knows. And he never once lets on, even after Malcolm accepts the fact that Cole can see dead people.
What if they don't want to help?
Man, Haley Joel Osment is so good in this movie. I'd take a sin off if I hadn't seen Pay It Forward the following year.
What if they're just angry and they just want to hurt somebody?
I don't think that's the way it works.
Oh, well, okay. If you have a feeling, then by all means.
Someone hurting you. I'll kick their ass.
Mom has helpful sleep-talking nightmare to help the son understand how much she loves him. Okay, so the clothespins are unsnapping from his tent, and pre-OC Misha Barton! And I'm wondering how she fit through the slit in the tent and went unnoticed by Cole, who can see dead people. Also, luckily for Cole, he was just told that he needed to ask what the dead people wanted, and this girl just happens to have an easy mystery to solve that will immediately take her to the afterlife. Ghost puking. Although, I will say this is still Misha Barton's best work to date.
She came a long way to visit me, didn't she?
My question is, why does your mom just let you go on Scooby-Doo adventures by yourself in Phila-freaking-Delphia? Uninvited wake guests can just storm into the wake with no questions, because mourning, I guess? I mean, I've been sad at every wake I've ever attended, emotional even, but I would definitely notice absolute strangers who shouldn't know my dead daughter, damn it. Jesus, don't they have an arrangement? Why is this little girl being a ghost dick right now? Damn, dude, didn't you just see this chick last night? Her mouth was full of vomit then. This is not nearly as scary as that was.
It's for you. She wanted to tell you something.
Ask no questions about how I, a 9-year-old, know about this. Nothing to see here. Kira decided to be kind and rewind it.
Wait.
Holy he decided to watch this home movie some strange boy said was from his dead daughter in front of all the wake guests? Luckily for this mystery's ultimate answer, this mom totally doesn't see what is probably a bulky 1999 VHS camcorder with a blinking red light that manages to perfectly capture her mom pouring pine cleaner into her soup.
Sammy's mom called.
Who turned off the camera?
Is Kira coming back? Not anymore.
Jesus, another fade to black? Now I'm wide awake. Why didn't we see the signs in this guy's Unbreakable movie recipe way back when they were happening?
Who were you talking to?
Yeah, so he was able to help Kira out by solving her murder. So how the hell can he help anybody else who doesn't have a Murder, She Wrote episode in their lives? Does he give them therapy? A pat on the back? A hug?
I got an idea how you can talk to your wife. Wait till she's asleep. Then she'll listen to you, and she won't even know it.
You've been helping ghosts all of like 3 days or something. How the f do you know that will work? In fact, I know it won't work, but whatever. Let's get on to the surprise twist ending. Why is the traffic on the other side of the road stopped too? The wreck happened in the left lane, and many of these cars are past the wreck, but for some reason the road is entirely blocked going in the other direction.
I'm ready to communicate with you now.
What are opening lines that don't work well with the ladies at the local singles bar for $200, Alex?
She died,
Where is she?
standing next to my window.
Cole expects his mom to believe this without any kind of proof. And damn, flair for the dramatic much? He's probably busy. He'll be able to help me out later somehow by telling me how he really wishes people would watch out for cyclists more when they're driving. Knowing whose hopes and wishes, even though nothing will ever be done about it, will let me die in peace.
She wanted me to tell you.
Oh, please
She wanted me to tell you she saw you dance.
Damn, dude, couldn't you have led with this? I know you're a kid, but damn, that was a lot of bullshit preamble to get to the part where you proved you can talk to dead people.
You thought she didn't come to see you dance.
And amazingly held on to this story for years and years before she died, just in case her grandson needed to prove he could talk to dead people. Also, Cole keeps this mother of all definitive proof stories regarding ghosts and his grandmother in his back pocket the entire movie, because reasons.
She said you came to the place where they buried her. Asked her a question. She said, the answer is every day.
Grandma didn't tell me the question so that it would be more dramatic when you told me what the question was. It's like Ghost Jeopardy.
Anna.
I miss you.
Wow, this shit's actually gonna work? I suppose you could argue Ghost Malcolm has done his part and is ready to accept the truth, but if ghosts only see what they want to see, why is he suddenly seeing this shit? Also, good thing she's holding on to that wedding ring and dropped it right now, or else this talking to her while she's asleep thing definitely wouldn't have worked.
I see people. They don't know they're dead.
But what a reveal it is, right? It wasn't anything that hadn't been done before, but the way it's done is great. It still gives me chills to this day how good it is. In fact, it's a 5-sin removal worthy reveal.
I think it just went in and out.
By the way, Anna decided to stay in the house where her husband was murdered and where the other dude committed suicide. Seems like that would be reason enough to move out, but she decided to constantly remind herself of this horrible tragedy every time she goes to take a shower. Wifey blows out cold breath, even though the movie clearly stated it gets cold only when ghosts get upset and angry. Even though the emotion Ghost Malcolm is feeling right now is relief or acceptance. Reading. Lots of f***ing reading. Also, I get you're trying to tell a year 2000 audience how big comic books are and everything, but is there any reason why you needed to tell us the number of pages and illustrations? Also, I need a source on all these statistics. Can someone call that Wikipedia guy to put a citation needed on this movie?
What happened during the delivery? Did you drop him?
This doctor apparently went to the school of making things super dramatic instead of just telling everyone what the f*** the problem is. They can't even fit the name of the school under the sign, it's so long and drawn out.
His arms and his legs are broken.
Really? Then what the f*** was this earlier with the baby moving his arms back and forth? Also, medical diagnosis delivered as a sermon. Hello everyone, my name is M. Night Shyamalan. I am extremely clever with my camera and won't someone notice me? Why aren't we talking about me?
I'm afraid of water.
David Dunn has the same weakness as the aliens in Signs. Why did this girl choose to sit next to David when the 2 seats in front of them seemed to be wholly unoccupied?
How long are you going to be in Philadelphia?
I'm married.
Not for long. Immediately after being rejected, idiot's separated husband goes right back to wearing the ring. Dude, either the marriage is salvageable or it isn't. This girl on the train should have no bearing on the matter. Are half this train car's seats facing backwards? How is this girl facing the extramarital embarrassment that is Bruce Willis right now? What's with the upside down kids in this movie? This shot of David in the background while the body in the foreground gets bloodier by the second? This is some masterful shit. Between The Sixth Sense and this movie, I'm actually not surprised M. Night keeps getting work, despite his failures. This here is some brilliant stuff, man. A minute's worth of silent reflection bullshit. Sure, it's an unbroken shot. The shot is unbreakable, but it's not like fun or anything. Awkward separated, but still in love with wife you didn't die hug. Hey dad, you should love mom again, okay? Please? Did they leave it up to David to lock up the church after the memorial service? Where did everybody go?
$40.
4-door sedan. See, I can play this game too.
I checked. You were right. You've never taken a sick day. 5 years, no sick day. I get it.
Okay, even if David Dunn were somehow clueless to his own invulnerabilities, there's no way he'd work a job for 5 years and not remember he hadn't taken a sick day to the point where he needs to ask via note left with the secretary.
Do you remember me getting sick?
He can't even remember ever getting sick in his life? I mean, by 15 he'd be bragging to the other kids about how he never gets sick. By 25 he'd be like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, doing everything he can to try to get sick. And by 35 he'd be selling his blood to the CDC via the CIA. What would not happen is this guy not getting sick his entire life and not f***ing noticing it.
Where is it? On a bench? Across the street?
Yep, your mother left a present for you on a bench across the street in 1974 West Philadelphia. And I still expect it to be there when your paranoid ass finds his way through the fear and across the parking lot. Wow, even wrapped in purple paper screaming, "I'm a present, please open me," this gift somehow remained untouched until little Mr. Glass got here. Things are constantly upside down and symbolic and in this movie. But this camera move keeps our view of the comic book upside down for a bit until it decides, nah, let's look at this right side up for once, making me wonder what the point of that was other than to look cool.
They say this one has a surprise ending.
Thanks, M. Night, for telegraphing the surprise ending.
Oh, my kid's gonna go berserk.
Once again, please.
If Elijah has such standards for the works of art in this place, why didn't he try to figure out this guy's intentions in the first place?
You need to go. Now.
I'm wondering how Elijah stays in business. He caters to people with extremely specific tastes already, and now he's kicking this guy out for wanting to give that drawing to his kid. I mean, does he stay in business if he sells just one of these? The rent in this place has got to be high. His mom must have bought him a few of those comic books that currently sell for $140,000. He must not have to worry about money.
Did you see a little Asian child with a blank expression sitting outside in a mechanical helicopter that shakes when you put quarters in it?
That's super racist.
We're by appointment only.
Elijah, who stuck his greeting card on David's car and is hoping this guy shows up, isn't the least bit curious as to who walked into his store.
I believe comics are our last link to an ancient way of passing on history.
I know he's supposed to be crazy and everything, but what exactly do comic books do to pass on history exactly? Hieroglyphs actually tell a history. Comic books tell the story of mutant powers in most cases, and then get adapted into bullshit like Suicide Squad.
If there's someone like me in the world, and I'm at one end of the spectrum, couldn't there be someone else, the opposite of me at the other end?
Again, sure, Elijah's a crazy dude, but I really don't know what he expects someone to do once he finds that unbreakable person. Hey, your bones break and mine don't. Let's be friends. It's hard for me to focus during this scene because I keep hearing James Spader in my head, deciphering these glyphs behind Samuel L. Jackson here.
Joseph, don't take another sip of that water.
Well, if it was poisoned, game over, I guess. I mean, what are we protecting him from at this point? Looking at this newspaper, I wonder why David isn't a much bigger celebrity than he is. Surely he'd be getting hit up for interviews, his face would be well known to everyone, and he'd be getting people bothering him everywhere he goes. But this guy still lives in relative peace after this. David hears a noise so that he can't complete his flashback until later in the movie when the audience needs a whammy reveal.
He's carrying a step out of line.
Too bad David can't be at all the entrances during the time leading to kickoff. Is this the only guy bringing a weapon into the stadium today? If so, what a lucky break. Or is this movie saying there's only one entrance to the stadium? And if so, where are all these people walking around the line going? And then the guy leaves, and David doesn't follow him or anything. Maybe there really is only one entrance to this place. Remember how David told this guy in person to start patting people down. He didn't get on the radio to do that. So any number of entrances where they aren't patting down, this guy can get in.
How'd you know that guy you bumped was carrying a weapon?
More to the point, how lucky were you to bump into that guy who had a weapon? The most unbelievable thing about this movie is that Sam Jackson's character magically spots the camouflage jacket guy from earlier after a long time between the ticket line and Elijah leaving.
Hold up a second!
Do not shout this at people you want to check for handguns. Bad idea. Also, didn't you spot him outside the stadium in the parking lot? And now you're chasing him inside the stadium? The f*** is going on with geography in this scene? There's no f***ing way he sees this after breaking 50 bones.
He's Potter's cousin. He's starting cornerback at Temple University.
F*** you. The guy the agent was talking about at the beginning of the movie before she died in a train crash. Here, right now.
How much did you put on there?
Were you asleep when you put the weights on? The father-son bonding, superpower discovering weightlifting scene is so good. Have I mentioned how brilliant M. Night's eye was early on in his career?
More?
I know David is a burgeoning superhero, but despite this, the movie has him struggling to lift 270 pounds. But then they add more weight, and he suddenly blows that out of the water. Either he's super strong and this kind of weight doesn't affect him at all, or there is a limit which you shouldn't have reached yet.
How much is it?
Turn on some lights!
Elijah, right?
Well, isn't that convenient for the story we're telling? She's a physical therapist. He's a guy in need of physical therapy. And of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the world, he walks into hers.
What part of David's body was injured?
Who said my husband's name was David?
You see, this makes it seem like Elijah is super creepy. And, well, yeah, he kinda is. But it's not like he could control who he got when he got sent to physical therapy. I mean, the script is the villain here. If Elijah planned this somehow, then he's the most psychic motherfucker I've ever seen. Also, dang, M. Night, we get it. You like the Bible. David, Joseph, Elijah. I'm surprised you didn't name Robin Wright's character Bathsheba. I like how this drug deal is what David decides to go after, and not the obviously abused child from a few minutes ago. Drugs are worse than child abuse, which means this movie was made by the DEA. Gotta admire the restraint M. Night puts in this movie. I haven't seen one of his usual cameo.
Excuse me, sir. Can you step out of line, please?
It feels like this stadium is the crime center of the world. Why not always have pat-downs when people are coming in? Metal detectors? I mean, man, this college football team must be like the 1980s Miami Hurricanes or something to have so many outlaw fans. Movie pulls a gotcha, proving David's vision's wrong and making him doubt himself, when really it's just an excuse to pad the runtime an extra 20 minutes. It appears that this middle school is in session, basically, so why is there a college football game going on right now? Something that usually happens on Saturdays and definitely only at nights during weekdays.
My office was on the other side of the building back then.
This ain't about you, lady. Just tell the story about the drowning already. Old lady remembers David, thank God. Then tells him a story about him almost drowning that he entirely forgot. And now he will use that story to avoid his true calling. But I'm still more pissed that he somehow forgot his own near drowning. He's one of the stupidest heroes ever, I think.
You're still phobic of water.
Who asks questions like this? Don't you just say, are you scared of the water?
Joseph, what the hell are you doing?
Yep, that's right. Joseph is so desperate to prove his dad's a superhero, he's going to shoot him. Shoot him! Not cut him with a knife or throw a glass at him or any other still crazy but still more sensible than a gun way to test that theory. Jesus Christ, Joseph, get your shit together. Also, good job with gun safety, David, you fucking twat.
And friends listen to each other. They don't shoot each other. Do they, Audrey?
No shooting friends, Joseph.
I can't tell if this is supposed to be a moment of levity or if it's terrible. Until then, Nick Fury, the early years, next to the comics that would inspire him.
You better not be jacking off to the Japanese comics, I swear to God.
Dude, you can see Elijah from here. You can clearly see he's in a wheelchair and not jacking off, and nowhere near Japanese comics, you racist.
Oh, look, man, I didn't know you were in a...
Bullshit, you knew. There's no way you missed this guy coming into your store. Elijah is a dick to comics, comic store employees, and his own goddamn leg. David is a really tactile-minded guy. Touching humans gives him visions of what they've done, and touching a train now triggers his final flashback, which was of a car accident 25 years ago, which makes touching the train to get that memory a little weird. What was I saying? Gotta remove a sin for James Newton Howard's score, which is awesome.
Go to where people are.
What? That could mean anything, and it's pretty late at night. Can you give me a 5% more helpful suggestion? David runs into the one asshole not wearing black or gray in this scene, and guess what? Jewel thief. Also, jewel thief? Nope, not a crime. Not going after her. Fucking date rape? Nope, not stopping that guy. In fact, everyone wearing something colorful is a criminal. Remember that. Also, David's still waiting for an even worse offender, who conveniently shows up. Imagine if all he found from here on out were parking violators and speeding offenders. Then he'd have to live with having let that rapist go free.
Can I come in?
This is an instant door shutting and locking and calling the police, but this guy is actually practicing what his parents taught him. Always be polite.
Are you sure?
And then, instead of simply slamming the open door, he tries to keep this guy from opening the screen door. It's important for this crazy psycho killer to wear his orange jumpsuit wherever he goes, even when he's trying to look like an everyday normal resident of this house. He's really moving about this house carelessly, not remotely stealthy like he should be. He's just walking slowly, but he has no idea where the bad guy is, so he should be sneaking slowly, right? Water is his only weakness, yet he still somehow chooses to superhero at a home that has a pool on a night it's raining. Also, thank God for the bad guy that David's weakness is water, right? Otherwise, this push off the balcony is just a minor inconvenience. Over a minute and 10 seconds of almost drowning. F*** you, movie. Are we supposed to believe that after the jumpsuit guy threw David off the balcony, these kids saw it and were able to save him from drowning? And the orange man didn't see any of it? And the kids aren't freaking out that they might be seen? Despite the fact that David is shown to be a superhero whose only weakness is water, and he can lift 350 pounds of weights and paint cans, this guy will give him a good fight. I just superheroed, let's f***. Also, our marriage is fine now, yay! You could argue David sliding the paper into his son's field of view is his way of telling Joseph that he was right all along, but I see it as simple bragging, which is selfish. Jesus, this is good Shyamalan. Great Shyamalan. What happened to this guy? I mean, he does some things in this movie that are kind of cheesy and calls attention to himself, but he always gave the story, the characters, and the emotional weight a lot of regard as well. I'm removing 3 sins for this movie on the whole, which is great. And can we get a damn Unbreakable 2 already? We got 2 ghostwriters. Here comes the whammy ending. A pretty good whammy ending, actually. But it's kind of hard to believe David never touched this guy during all their interactions and got a sense that Elijah was evil. It's never explained how Elijah planted a bomb on a plane, but I guess nobody notices guys in all blue suits walking with a cane in restricted areas.
Like, if there ever was a fire on floors 1, 2, or 3, everyone in that hotel would be burned alive.
Who casually talks about a hotel's fire safety at a bar? Who brings up that the hotel has secrets and the first thing he says is a fire on the first 3 floors would kill everyone? Welcome to one of the most anticlimactic endings, especially after dropping a whammy on you, that you'll ever see. The movie just sits here and tells us what happened rather than showing us, even though this movie is only an hour and 45 minutes long. This ending is almost as terrible as the entire rest of the movie is amazing. 5 sins for this bullshit. No surprise, this movie is one letter removed from being just plain old sins. I mean, this is M. Night's first film after Sixth Sense and then Unbreakable. Easily his best film, despite your opinion on the matter. So these credits here should have been a huge red flag for us on where his career was headed. These are some ballsy-ass credits here. Yo, people, shut the f*** up and read our credits. The music alone will spook you and draw you into the film. Also, Hitchcock was a pussy and I'm his better. And that's coming from someone who generally enjoys this film. Picture tells us everything we need to know. One of these parents died, and one of these parents is Mel Gibson. So, dead mom cliche already in effect. Character suddenly wakes up to jump scare the audience cliche. Just show us already! Aw, crop circles? Didn't those get debunked as man-made hoaxes long ago? Aliens are dicks to cornfields. Movie gives us not only our current location in the story, but also the exact mileage to the nearest large city, even though they have plenty of chances throughout the movie to let us know where these characters are in relation to Philadelphia. Here's a jump scare manufactured for the audience that involves the sheriff just waltzing in to frighten people's homes unannounced and just leaning on a door waiting to surprise anyone who might happen to wander around the corner.
Dad's gonna burn these again.
What a dick.
Please stop calling me father.
What's wrong?
I don't hear my children.
Obvious double meaning dialogue is double meaning. Double meaning. Also, not hearing your children is bad. Not hearing them when they're actually making noise when the dog tried to attack your daughter, who was probably screaming during the whole thing, is even worse. Movie conveniently skips over the little boy single-handedly takes down a rabid German shepherd scene, which is understandable since it's impossible. God damn it, does this kid have asthma?
Where were you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the dog attack took place in a silent film or something. No growling, barking, or screaming? Dog forensics. Ah, repetition!
What's wrong with the water next to your bed?
It tastes old.
Character talking about water inadvertently voices the audience's concerns with the script of this movie. I admit that's pretty scary, but what the hell's he doing on the roof, for Christ's sakes? Back on his planet, the roof is a great hiding place, I guess. Thankfully, tonight, Merrill fell asleep inside the main house instead of his upstairs barn apartment, so that he could help out in this alien hunt.
Person stuff. It's just for show.
It's time for an ass whooping!
I cursed.
I heard.
Haha, because now we know for sure he can cuss way better than that. Signs that you're not going to see too many aliens in this picture.
Now what's wrong with this one?
It has dust in it.
Haha, kids are weird, stupid, and f***ing annoying. Also, plot.
How's work at the gas station?
This one line of dialogue is an orgy of evidence that the screenwriter wanted us to know Merrill, a former baseball prodigy, has a shitty job.
I never got a chance to tell you, but I thought you were moving in here with your brother after.
Movie finds a ham-fisted way to finally tell us how Graham and Merrill are related. Movie wants you to know these water glasses are important.
Sorry.
Okay, so far I have. It was very dark.
Remember how this scene started?
You got an old baby monitor around?
And then Graham went to tell Bo to turn the TV down. How did talking about intruders get into talking about walkie-talkies? The fuck?
Over 6 feet.
It was very dark.
The fuck? It was very light. Remember when the lights outside went on mysteriously just before you ran outside? This scene is comical, but you not having any way of describing the obviously around 6-foot being on top of your roof is actually maddening.
This guy got on our roof in like a second. Our roof is 10 feet high.
They have women's high jumping in the Olympics.
Okay, so we're looking for an Olympic high jumper who hangs out around Pennsylvania farms. Honestly, why haven't you already solved this case? Did anyone listen to this dialogue? Being skeptical is a good thing, a great thing, but how silly is that? Also, high jumping record for a man is a little over 7 feet, and for a woman it's a little over 6. So not only an Olympic high jumper, but the Goodwill Hunting of high jumpers.
I know you're making a point here. I just don't know what it is.
Good point.
And my point is, we don't know anything about the person you saw.
Bullshit. You know it's roughly 6 feet tall, moves silently, was on the freaking roof, and jumped from there to basically the cornfield 50 yards away. F*** you, oversimplifying cop.
Dad, where's the remote?
I don't know, baby. Why don't you check in the sofa cushions?
Child asks parent where the remote is before checking the sofa cushions. Child fails at being a child.
Excluding the possibility that a female Scandinavian Olympian was running around outside our house last night, what else might be a possibility?
Finally, someone realizes how ridiculous that sounded. The local cop should have kept the Olympic high jumping shit to herself and looked into it after debunking aliens.
Anyone who might have a grudge or something against you might not have liked the fact that you left the church.
Man, this movie thinks it's so fucking clever about slipping exposition into the dialogue.
Okay, I was out of line with the whole female Scandinavian Olympian thing.
Not really.
Same shows on every station.
Oh, come on. Crop circles? That's the story that's so big that it's on every station? These aliens are landing mainly in India and some random farm in Pennsylvania. Also, 2 places that just happen to have significance for the director of this movie. Also, why isn't the media all over Graham's farmhouse right now, with this being such a huge story? Also, no one who watches the skies for a living saw at least 18 fucking ships come down to India. There's like over 1 billion people there.
What in God's name is going on?
I don't know. I'll check the 1984 East German Olympic high jumping team. You check the members of Led Zeppelin.
2 or 3 guys can make a design the size of the one in your field overnight. Using just boards and ropes. But there's so many now. How can so many people be in on it?
I think the same thing when I watch Improv Everywhere videos.
They'll take them into town and get their minds and your mind on everyday things.
Like your wife's killer.
You send out a reconnaissance group. Very small. Check things out.
This crazy military asshole is right, but why land in large fields of crops? Don't they know the sheer number of these things alert people to their presence? Merrill is, for any reason, considering joining the military.
It's still the record, right?
Got the bat at home, on the wall.
In my brother's living room, even though I live in the upstairs barn apartment. But whatever, plot and stuff.
Why weren't you in the pros making stacks of cash and getting your toes licked by beautiful women?
He has the minor league strikeout record.
The guy hit a lot of homers, but he struck out a lot? Yep, they don't allow those dickheads in the majors.
Meryl's a Class A screw-up.
Dude, you are a late 20-something wearing a leather jacket, filling out recruitment paperwork at the Army office in bumfuck Pennsylvania. Meryl may be the kettle, but you're the fucking pot, and you know it. Phony confession on the part of both parties.
Is that him?
Morgan plays the pronoun game with the audience so that we have to figure out who the hell him means. Also, yes, Morgan, that's the guy who will fall asleep at the wheel during Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Who is he?
He's the reason you can fit the whole family in the doorframe shot, hon.
It's a code.
Who are you, Jodie Foster? Are these aliens really that good at not being seen, or is this a found footage movie?
They were not detected by radar by either country.
But their communication between each other can be picked up by baby monitors? You can't have it both ways, man.
My ballet recital. Everything people have written about in science books is going to change.
Overly eloquent kid is overly eloquent. Also, I have a feeling that Morgan picked up this one VHS tape so he could have this speech about how important the discovery of alien life is.
Find another tape.
I mean, right? I was about to say they only have one freaking tape in this house? And it turns out Morgan was being a dick to Bo's ballet recital.
Uncle Merrill, I'm using your tape.
You are seeing a live feed.
Live news broadcast about alien spaceships somehow had no newscaster talking for the last 45 seconds while the family argued about which videotape to use.
Everything they wrote in science books is about to change.
If you have a VHS tape with a ballet recital on it, go ahead and tape over that. Hey, you, in the audience, don't forget about all these water glasses, okay?
Are you the kind that sees signs?
Roll credits.
There is no one watching out for us, Meryl. We are all on our own.
Asshole former priest who legitimately seemed to want to help comfort his brother a second ago does an about-face and crushes Meryl's comfort like a bug. Previously, before Signs.
You should be playing Furry Furry Rabbit or Tea Party or something.
Loving uncle suggests his brother's kids dabble in furry play.
About the crop circles? I think it'd be some kind of landmark, visual mapping system so they could navigate, coordinate. Makes sense.
And place 18 of them inside India? How many f***ing landmarks do these aliens need?
Coordinate. Makes sense.
It really doesn't, actually. It makes the opposite of sense. Why couldn't they coordinate from space before entering our atmosphere? Or back before leaving their home planet? How can they be so advanced enough to have cloaking technology, but primitive enough to have to carve shit on the planet's surface to remember where they're supposed to be going? Baby dolls, airplane wallpaper, revolutionary soldier lamp next to a stuffed horse. This room is an orgy of evidence that in a f***ing massive house, Graham still forces his son and daughter to share one tiny bedroom.
Looks a little like our house, doesn't it?
Same windows. It's weird.
No, it's called screenwriting. Happens every day, kid.
Father. Hello?
Where are you going?
Ray Reddy's house.
You knew that was him after he said one word. Director who thinks he's Hitchcock is Hitchcockian in all the wrong ways. Also, this might be the most convenient alien visit you could possibly dream up. These elusive aliens disappear when the light hits your retinas, but this one got caught in Ray Reddy's house rummaging through the pantry? The one guy who happens to have a major history with this movie's main character?
When I knew it was inside the house, I couldn't think of any other number to call. I panicked.
How did you not crack up laughing while delivering this dialogue? You wrote it, you're directing it, and you're saying it. 911 exists, you know. People know about it, too, I promise. No one is dialing 7 digits after an alien breaks into their home, no matter how guilt-ridden their conscience is.
That 10-15 seconds when I passed her walking.
Later, we find out she liked to take walks before dinner, but what was Graham's wife doing walking around on a dark, lonely road? Also, I call bullshit on the idea that she was walking before dinner, since this guy said he was working really long hours that night and there was no one on the road, signifying midnight or later.
It had to be at that right moment. That 10-15 seconds when I passed her walking was like it was meant to be.
What? An asshole.
People who kill reverends' wives aren't exactly ushered to the front of the line in heaven.
Dude, there are way bigger issues keeping you out of heaven. The biggest? God is an Avatar: The Last Airbender fan. Or he was, at least.
None of them are really near water. I don't think they like water.
Also, I think Meryl's baseball bat might come in handy. I have no basis for this, but remember that. Also, Jesus Christ, you can't resist casting yourself in your movie. Okay, fine, I sort of get that. But to give yourself the key foreshadowing dialogue piece, which ultimately foreshadows with the subtlety of my dick, f*** you, dude. Why don't you just make a movie called I'm Awesome and call it a day?
Don't open my pantry, Father. I found one of them in there and locked him in.
Some f***ing how. Also, as soon as I locked him in the pantry, I panicked and called you, Father, not the authorities, and then sat in my truck hoping you'd show up after that weird f***ing phone call where I didn't say my name or anything.
Move, children! Vámonos!
That's racist.
It's behind!
Spanish children speak mostly Spanish until they need to say key words so English speakers can understand. Also, this movie really did become found footage for a second. Alien in the cupboard. Also, I guess it can't be a proper barricade unless you stick one measly chair on top of the main thing that's barricading the door. That chair does nothing, people. Nothing! Character without any motivation beyond raw curiosity decides to unnecessarily confront what he clearly has enough evidence to know is an alien. Birds fly away to signify something scary happened cliché. We get it! You love Hitchcock! Enough already!
I heard a theory that They don't like places near water.
Yeah, you heard it from the director/screenwriter. Geez, this movie telegraphs its punches like one of Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes boxing opponents.
Sounds made up.
Right, unlike everything you've been saying.
I saw one of them at Ray Reddy's house.
Much like him, calling the cops felt stupid to me. So I just left that f***er with a 3-fingered hand in his pantry.
My vote counts as 2.
That's bullshit. You're cheating.
Come on, the guy was a priest and just recently started losing his faith in the past 6 months. His kids aren't swearing at him yet with any kind of confidence.
I don't want to leave home. This is where we lived with Mom.
And where you've also lived without her, too. I'm just saying.
I changed my vote.
You can't change your vote.
All those in favor of home, raise your hand.
Mutiny. Also, why the hell did you suggest a second option and hold a vote in the first place? If you were planning to force the lake as the solution, why do this? This is what happens when people treat parenting like democracy. Because, as the movie will go on to prove, you would have been much safer at the lake. Follow your instincts, man.
How do we know boards will do anything? Because they seem to have trouble with pantry doors.
But seriously, there's no reason I should call anyone about the alien locked up in the pantry. Did this guy lose his faith and common sense?
Amman joins Nairobi, Beijing, and Jerusalem as the latest to confirm the appearance of lights.
Hey, not everything has to be about America, but damn, this family lives in Pennsylvania, and we still haven't heard about New York, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, or Cody, Wyoming yet.
There are lights in over 274 cities. To think it'll be 400 within the hour.
And not one country has started firing missiles at them yet? Get out of here with this fantasy bullshit.
They're appearing at or within 1 mile of crop signs.
They were for navigation. They made a map.
What? The crop circles are a map how? How are they a map? If they are, these aliens are stupid.
I think these are stages immediately proceeding an attack maneuver.
Sure taking their sweet-ass time, though, aren't they? Earth's weather patterns somehow know aliens are about to attack.
I hate you.
You and everyone in Hollywood, kid. Except Jodie Foster and Robert Downey Jr.
No one can stop us from enjoying this meal, so enjoy it!
Irony. Cry supper.
It's happening.
You don't mean the happening, do you? These aliens are here to attack, but apparently don't know anything about setting a fire or trying to smoke out a family that barricaded themselves. This advanced alien race only knows sheer force. How the hell did he find that in total darkness? Axe just happens to have the perfect floor-to-doorknob height to wedge the doorknob perfectly. Why didn't Graham know immediately where this coal chute was? It's a pretty damn obvious, unique place in the basement that would be impossible to forget. Also, did this asshole wander through the basement in the dark all the way next to the coal chute? It was pitch black in the area he decided to walk. What the hell?
What?
Aliens don't want to kill humans. They're just starting their own prank channel on YouTube, apparently. Flashlight, ironically, doesn't allow me to see things. Well, I sure am glad Morgan came out of that okay, I think, but I don't know. Movie about people refuses to update us on the status of other people after harrowing experience.
We don't have his medicine.
Cliche asthma kid doesn't have his medicine cliche.
But they didn't come here for our planet. This is a raid. They came here for us. Lucky as hell they're leaving.
Why did they make such a huge production out of this? This should have been an easy so-called raid, but they sat around for weeks doing nothing, waiting until this family here boarded up their windows because, hey, they can't see us well in the dark. We might be more powerful than them, but f*** it. Invisibility raids only.
How long have we been sleeping?
12 hours or so.
12 f***ing hours? How did they manage that?
People must have figured out a way to beat them.
Allergic to Earth? I'm gonna go with allergic to Earth.
Everyone has a weakness, right?
Which, for some reason, hasn't been broadcast on this radio I'm listening to for however long it took me to get all the other information I just relayed to you.
We know the battle turned around in the Middle East.
You mean the Middle East actually solved the problem with war this time?
3 small cities there found a primitive method to defeat them. We have no further details at this time.
What? F***ing what? Impossible is what that is. How can you know about the defeating and its method's primitiveness without knowing any further details? F*** you, conveniently lacking in important details just so we can have this finale newscast. Alien has what it needs and could have left before anyone knew, but decided it needed to stay in the living room and get its ass kicked. Let this be a lesson to you, kids. If the guy who fell asleep driving and crushed your wife with his truck happens to call you one day and tells you he has an alien in the pantry, you need to call an authority figure who can do something about it. Just in case you didn't remember that scene where Graham chopped an alien's fingers off, here's a reminder. Look, I don't care if this chick didn't scream during her birth. I'm pretty sure she'd be crying and screaming her lungs out right now. I honestly don't know what any of these assholes, human or alien, are doing right now.
Swing away, Meryl.
Wife's last words are made to fit the narrative. But honestly, did he need to remember his dead wife to understand that there's a baseball bat hanging on the wall? Finally! The aliens have the same weakness as the aliens in Signs. Also, why the f*** would these aliens attack a planet that is 71% deadly to them? Man, it sure is a good thing the daughter has this weird fascination with water. Damn, think about that kind of craziness. They needed the mom to die so that the brother would come to live with them, use his bat, and accidentally knock over water to kill the aliens, all based on the mom's last words. Add to that the alien in the pantry Graham never reports. This is the most convenient set of plot points since the 3 stories that began Magnolia.
His lungs were closed.
Pretty nifty his asthma actually helped him here, but I'm still wondering why the alien took 4 hours to try and use the poison in the first place. Or why he didn't try to use the poison on the whole family while they stood in the living room doing nothing. Oh, good for him. It only took 15 miracles for him to believe in God again. He's a true patron of faith. When Sigourney Weaver gets 4th billing and then William Hurt gets 5th billing, you know you done f***ed up, no matter who the first 3 names are. Most people dismiss The Village, including me, but let's at least acknowledge the solid visual flair, which is not an accident, as Roger f***ing Deakins was the DP on this movie, which many people seem to forget, including me. So am I sitting the movie or myself? Or you? Guess what? I don't even care. Wow, emotional moment here. I want to show respect, but also, that skinny-ass grave dug just behind him cannot hold the coffin he's crying over. The smoke monster on the prairie. Man, these ladies f***ing hate flowers.
Who came up on this?
That's funny. My college girlfriend said the same thing when she found my old. Also, I think part of the reason people tired of M's formula is scenes like this that prioritize mood over authenticity. No group of kids, no matter what cult, no matter how brainwashed, stand silently in a perfect circle around a dead animal. There are just too many varieties of immature human nature at play for one of them to not run away screaming, yell for an adult, or try to gross everyone out by using it as a hand puppet.
Those we don't speak of have not breached our borders for many years. They do not come into our valley.
Make the village great again.
I will gather new medicines, and I will return.
How does he know for sure that the new medicines exist? This movie f***ing hates dogs.
Keep careful watch over our little ones as they play on the hill.
Or maybe don't let them go play on the hill unsupervised, even.
Those we don't speak of are much larger creatures than coyotes.
Those we don't speak of? You actually speak about their asses all the goddamn time. Maybe the least believable thing in this entire movie is that there is only one clothesline for this house. It's basically full right now, and it's only drying one outfit. I mean, holy I guess this might be how they did pants back in the whatever time period these fools are trying to stay in, but I don't care. Sitting that pants and belts have a very specific relationship, and this outfit is breaking all the rules in unholy ways.
You may run from sorrow as we have. Sorrow will find you.
This is what my college girlfriend said to me right before our first. As these boys run away from the forest due to weird noises, can't help but notice how the entire town is just candled the out of itself tonight. Does anyone sleep? Did these boys sneak out for a forest edge adventure just after supper when everyone's still awake? Every other window has a lit candle. This game is more up than anything else in this movie, which is saying something. Why is this one tree in the foreground acting like it's fall, and its leaves are all brown and mostly gaunt, but all the trees in the background are green and full of life and showing no signs of autumn whatsoever? Oh, so she's blind, eh? A blind protagonist. That's some lazy-ass writing, if you ask me. What kind of an asshole writes a story, even pending sequels, about a blind protagonist?
No hitting. No hitting. No hitting. No hitting. No hitting.
So, no hitting?
What shall we do with our stolen time?
Considering we've basically spent the first 20 minutes of this movie watching just the boring parts of Little House on the Prairie, I think I'm the one who's having their time stolen, Ron Howard's daughter.
Is that the school bell?
Cheating.
Today at Resting Rock, Noah Percy handed Ivy Walker berries of the bad color.
Berries of the Bad Color is all of the following: a new nickname for bruised testicles, the name of my grunge revival band, a popular spicy Albanian cola drink, and the title of the unauthorized biopic of the Cranberries.
There are secrets in every corner of this village.
And candles.
Sometimes we don't do things, yet others know we want to do things, so we don't do them.
Basically, this is the book of Romans from the Bible boiled down to a single sentence. He uses the same amount of caution walking into the Forbidden Wood that I use when walking into Wendy's, which is to say, not nearly enough. Weird. His view of the creature that growled ends at the midpoint of that tree on the left, and he couldn't see anything left of that, nor turn his head to see extra. So he's walking back, and I guess he may...
There's no escape!
Whoa, what the f*** is that cut about? Did the projectionist put a reel out of order? Just lost 20 minutes of movie right there. Christ.
Are you not angry you have no sight?
Sir, thy couthness thou hast dropped somewhere along thine path to hearest.
Kitty is to be married.
Skip.
And he does care for my sister. Deeply.
I said skip, damn it. Wait, this is 30 seconds later, and she's still talking about this? I swear if you took the conversation pauses out of this film, you'd be left with about 20 minutes of actual dialogue.
I am blessed as well. My older sister is now spoken for. I am now free to receive interest from anyone.
Be careful what you wish for. Also, anyone is being generous. There are like a dozen age-appropriate eligible males here, and at some point, inbreeding becomes a problem for a community like this, no? These red coats are a nice attempt at sleight of hand by M. Night, trying to distract us with a mini twist to hide the main twist. But the problem is, by this point, we're all so trained to look for his twists that we know what he's doing the moment we see the poster for the movie. Our looking for the twists basically kills the effectiveness of them. It's basically Schrodinger's twist. The the bell, then everyone hurries to the cellars, and again, I'm left wondering, how many of these adults would find this mythology worth all this effort? Why wouldn't you just pay a couple of dudes to patrol the perimeter and do creepy and whatnot to keep your myth alive? I know why. I'm being rhetorical-ish. You only need this for the movie viewers, not for the story or the characters, which kind of sums up the problem with this movie. You wrote it for moments and gave logic and reason the finger while doing so. Still surprised that I don't see more of those we don't speak of cosplay at Comic-Con. I mean, who doesn't want to dress up as Little Red Porcupine Hood? These f***ing assholes thought they needed to have the boogeyman show up inside the town, on someone's porch, to have its mythos be believable. It helps sell the ruse to movie viewers, but inside the world of the movie itself, there's no sensible reason to do this. And in fact, this only risks your ruse being exposed, actually. What if the human inside trips, and the cloak falls off, and they're all pointing like, "Looketh, it hath been Benjamin all along!" Deus ex machina. So the monster can figure out front doors to houses, but not doors in the floor?
Who has written this note?
No one admits it, but she still stands up to read it as evidence, which is stupid. How do you even know it's real? But also, why not ask the gal that handed you the note who handed it to her? Then ask that person who handed it to them, so on and so forth till you find the writer of the note. Neither actor is in character here. This is literally William Hurt telling Adrian Brody his performance is over the top, and please give it a goddamn rest for at least one scene. Christ. If you can do shorter runs of tables, why, in the name of those you do not speak of, do you create 1 mile-long table in the middle, making it impossible for anyone to walk anywhere during this meal for fellowship or exercise or delivering extra food to tables? Oh, no, elders. Tell me after all the lies and fear theater and wasted effort, tell me you didn't throw out a perfectly good hunk of pig as some kind of sacrifice to the fake monsters. Tell me you didn't waste that bacon. Why the ceremonial tossing? You could have just taken 2 steps and dropped that on the rock, but you had to do a 3 wind-up cliche toss. You went out to feed the beasts and you took 2 small children with you?
I had an eldest sister.
Mrs. Clack, you've been keeping secrets.
Movie has time for this. Movie has time for so much of this. Most casual wedding ever, people were talking throughout. And look how many were in the greenhouse and not even pretending to pay attention. They're all terrified of red monsters in the woods, but not all these f***ing candles casually threatening to send them all to hell in a quick 30 seconds. This also goes on for some time. No lie, I'm going to take a sin off of this movie. For the love story between these two and its authentic portrayal, even in the midst of all the silly
They're in the village.
What the heck? Is that a young pre-middle Axel delivering the roll credits moment? Roll credits. I realize you want some light to see where you're going and light your way and but this is basically the here we are, please come eat us highway, no?
The hides and feathers are missing. There are marks on the door where it was opened.
This scene suggests only a select few adults here know about the ruse, which is balls. That's insanity to a T. Just like in The Prestige, sooner or later your hired actors playing the boogeyman will realize they can make demands. And or you die without passing on the ruse details and the whole thing falls apart. Honestly, watch this movie once and you might be forgiven for thinking it was kind of cool. Watch it twice and you will have questions.
The marks are high. Coyotes cannot reach that high.
Obviously, you haven't seen Acme's latest line of ladders. Insomnia.
It is cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Do you find me too much of a tomboy?
Not at all. You were asking him, not me. Let's see what he says in response.
When we are married, will you dance with me?
Germanic pixie dream girl.
Why can you not say what is in your head?
Why can you not stop saying what is in yours?
Oh, snap. Lucius would be brutal at CinemaSins. Zing away, Meryl. Zing away.
I fear for your safety before all others.
There's a fine line between love and stalking, and this character kind of embodies that line.
There's nothing you could do that would sacrifice my love for you.
Holy that is a scarf to end all scarves. They only got 2 takes before it ate her. This movie's psycho moment is not as impactful as the movie it's stealing from. Harold, did you drag the rocking chair all the way out to the edge of the yard and leave it in the rain? Yes, Marla. Why would you do that? It barely even rocks out there, and there really isn't even much you could see there that you can't see from the covered porch. Yeah, but if our lives are actually a movie, the director could use it as an ominous shot following a tragic event. Oh, true. Carry on then.
Noah, Percy was found with quarts of blood upon his clothes and hands. He will not speak as to whose it is.
Why are you assuming it was a person? After everything that's been happening with the skinned livestock popping up, wouldn't the first thought be that it was animal blood somehow? Everything in this movie goes on for some time. Considering she handed her cane off before commencing with the bitch slap beatdown, how did she know where he'd put it as she grabbed forward on her way out? You have gone out of your way to show me we are deep into autumn, but now you want your kale and your leafy greens to be in full perfect harvest condition behind this husband-wife discussion. And I'm just thinking, you people have never grown anything in your entire lives.
You are a strong one, Ivy. You lead when others would follow.
Which is weird, since you raised her in a society you created to condition people to follow. It's ironic, really.
Ivy, do your very best not to scream.
Or, and I'm just spitballing here, you could prepare her for what she's about to experience with the gift of spoken language. Use your words, William. Use your words.
You needn't be scared. We have the magic rocks.
Oh. Also, magic rocks. Ultimately, Kristoff goes back to the village because he's afraid, and not because he just recently got married and has a wife to take care of. As Murder by Numbers and Gwen Stacy sit here in the freezing rain, I'm left wondering why the truth was so important it needed to be told to her, but still kept from him and the now departed Kristoff.
Something in these woods turns my stomach to rot.
That's anxiety, because of all the lies your parents told you about these woods. And if you just hang on a bit, we will get you some modern meds for that that will turn your life around, son.
You're better in these woods than most boys. Anyone would say so.
Oh, just fucking leave, you coward. Stop spewing transparent excuses for being a coward. You are literally leaving a blind girl alone in an icy forest to save your own skin. You, sir, are more evil than Darth Vader. Also, with no modern compass and no sunshine, good luck not getting lost in frostbitten ass face.
I cannot explain in words.
Oh, bold of the Thunderbolt. Here, try these words. It's a costume we wear to scare the villagers into not going into the woods to find out it's actually the 21st century. Was that so hard?
Those we don't speak of!
What? Be frightened.
Bum, bum, bum. The creatures are fake, and he's telling her this because she's determined to go into the woods looking for towns with medicine. And my first question is, why not tell her no, then go to town your own ass and get the medicine? Keep the lie alive and not risk the blind daughter's life. Seems perfect to me, but for that nebulous and non-binding sounding Elder's Code mentioned earlier. My second question is, you revealed this to her like this? You could have told her, then told her again, and then when she requested proof, you let her touch this thing. Boom, Bob's your uncle. You're done. But instead, you let her feel it first for maximum shock and pain, because you don't love your daughter. You love creating dramatic moments, just like your director.
Forgive us our silly lies, Ivy. They were not meant to harm.
You. Your lies are not silly. They were foundational to her understanding of life. They were restrictive and intentional and basically a prison. You don't get to call your f***ing lies silly, President Satan-Face McPuppetmaster.
You will go with 2 escorts.
The fact that it must be the blind girl who goes for help and no one else is one of the most baffling things about this movie. This is ultimately presented as the elders that knew about the truth all along, and that is way too large a group for this to have lasted 40 years without issue.
And that, in the end, is what we have protected here. Innocence!
Said the guy that just sent his blind daughter on a quest through the woods.
How could you have sent her? She's blind.
I said this ages ago, lady, so your audition for CinemaSins is a wasted effort. Of all the things that go on for some time in this movie, this climbing out of the hole is that goes on for some timingest.
There did exist rumors of creatures in these woods.
Rememoration. Even this goes on for some time. Actually, the village could have probably just been titled This Goes On for Some Time, the movie. Look, if the tension is working for you, all this might work as well. But if it's not, it just feels like, can we please get to the obvious twist as obvious part of this thing so we can all go home? You movie. He's Adrian Brody, a mentally disabled person, so him gruffing like this is weird, but him standing cinematically in a field of leafless red berry plants surrounding him like blood spatter, that's beyond weird. That's suspension of disbelief killing impossible.
He found one of the suits we kept under the floorboards.
And not only do we get that giant steaming pile of convenience, but he also somehow understood to put it all on perfectly, escape the room, find his way into the woods without being seen, and track down Ivy, who had a giant head start. Oh, and not to mention when he found her, he ran after her without making any noise or saying her name, even though he's likely clueless as to what's going on. Just Noah shit's getting sins 2 by 2. It's a gruesome death, yes, but I'm definitely glad he's dead. That character sucked all movie long. Damn, this Where the Wild Things Are adaptation is much darker than I anticipated.
His will to live is very strong.
Well, that makes one of us. Worst Bird Box challenge ever. Gun, gun, gun! It was the 21st century all along, so let's examine this idea, shall we? Strap in, this may take a while. It appears as if it's been about 20 years since they moved here, and in that time, they've developed an entire off-grid self-supporting community without any of the kids finding out. Since Lucius is already born in this picture, they basically had 2 or 3 years to make it happen without him having some memories of the outside world. All the homes, the clothes, the food, everything up and running ridiculously fast. Also, as unlikely as that is to happen, what makes it even more ridiculous is the size of the community. What are there, like 100 people here? When did the others arrive? How did they hear about it? With each new family, the secret becomes much less likely to be kept. And what about the wood? Where are they getting the lumber for these picnic tables? The houses, especially considering the central key to their religion is to stay out of the fucking woods. And what about noises? Anyone who has lived out in the boonies knows you can hear sounds from miles away. There's no possible way they haven't heard a horn honk, or a car backfire, or had to explain off the explosions in the distance every 4th of July. And that's just the things they don't even try to explain. Even the explanations are nonsense. They bought a wildlife preserve. Preserves are paid for with taxpayer money, and it would be very easy for someone, anyone, to find out that this wasn't an actual preserve, especially a US government who doesn't take kindly to that kind of impersonation. And airplanes. Oh, the airplanes. Sure, they feed us some nonsense about paying off some guys in the government to make it a no-fly zone, but here's the thing. No-fly zones are almost exclusively reserved for government or military reasons, and even if you did manage to secure one, there's no way you could enforce it against military or government aircraft. And that's ignoring that civilian aircraft accidentally fly over no-fly zones often. Not to mention that there's no way to make a no-fly zone big enough that you wouldn't hear the planes even if you could couldn't see them. All of this to say, there's no possible way, no matter how rich you are or how hard you try, to keep this little cult in the prairie a secret from those outside, or more importantly, those inside the not-so-friendly confines. And since the entire central conceit of the movie rests on it, how about we handcraft another 50 cents? M. Night Shyamalan. No one has thrown these bananas out yet.
Once, man and those in the water were linked.
Aquaration!
Man's need to own everything led him deeper into land.
Wait, the premise of this story hinges on humans leaving beaches to go further inland? As if humans abandoned living next to water altogether because they had aspirations of founding Kansas. To believe this story is to believe that the biggest populations aren't located near water, and that's just some bullshit I can't fathom, pun intended.
War upon war played out, as there were no guides to listen to.
If you have to tell me a story before you can tell me your story, I don't want to hear your story.
Now, those in the water are trying again. Trying to reach us.
But why? Aren't humans the shittiest species on the planet at this point? What do the people of the water think they can do?
But their enemies roam the land.
Their enemies? The people of the water have enemies? On land? When the did this happen?
Try to help man, but man may have forgotten how to listen.
You just said that man didn't listen well anyway, right at the beginning of the story, and that's when man was interacting with the Aquaman on the regular. So even if they can listen, what's the point? Humans are fucking terrible. No one will be seated during the 80-second long one take of Paul Giamatti killing a huge bug.
Cleveland Heap.
M. Night Shyamalan has a go at the worst character names of all time record that was demolished by Castor and Pollux Troy in 1997.
Mr. Heap!
Character introduction by Ass.
I might hear splashing some nights.
And you've never gone to check what the splashing is? You've been trying to solve the mystery of who's been swimming in the pool for several nights, and you've just never looked?
I think someone may have died, and the body is decomposing.
I'm calling it right now. The twist in this movie is that it's not a body, and no one has died. This is merely what you smell when someone presses play to watch The Village.
U.S. forces predicted today the enemy estimated a fleet of 4,000.
Throughout the movie, you can hear TV and radio broadcasts describing some sort of war, because again, if you don't realize, humans have always been bad and continue to be bad. However, the discovery of a water creature spawned because Ron Howard a mermaid on the set of Splash will make humans better again. I think that's what the message of this movie is. Running by the pool.
Where are you from?
The Blue World.
The best name this utopian society could come up with was the Blue World. I'm guessing they wanted to be even less creative and call it Waterworld, but that would have infringed on copyrights. Also, she understands English, which isn't all that crazy since humans and the sea people have a history, but if she knows English, you'd think she'd clarify what the Blue World means. This is pronoun gaming a location.
I don't even know your name.
My name is Dory.
Why am I not stuttering?
Because, George, you were never born. I'm about to show you that you've had a really a fantastic life. It's a fantastic life, George.
Why are you scared?
I would tell you, but we gotta turn a bedtime story into a full-length feature film somehow. I'll say something about not fully trusting you, or I did it to protect you later. Also, story is addicted to stories.
About how tall is it?
No.
How the do you think the animal that ran after you is that tall? I understand overestimating the size of something, but you're stacking about 3 of those on top of each other to get to that kind of height. It's not that this movie doesn't have sense. It's just that for long stretches of time, absolutely nothing happens, and M. Night thinks it's brilliant. This is 16B, but earlier he clearly said...
This is Youngsun Choi. She lives with her mother in 8A.
Busted continuity department.
She said that she knew someone who knew someone who saw one.
Hearsay.
Successful in this, she will return with the great eaglon, a giant eagle, and become free.
Wait, you mean she's not free when she's living in the utopian society underwater?
She won't tell me more.
I guarantee that the rest of this story is not a big deal whatsoever, and this old lady is wasting our motherfucking time. What is she worried will happen if she says the rest? Is she worried that Cleveland's found a narf and that he's the chosen one?
It is a writer.
Do you know his name?
So wait, the League of Narfs or whatever told you that you needed to find a chosen one, and they knew he was a writer, but didn't know his name?
Is this person writing something important?
It is not lost on me that this person known as Story is looking for a great writer, something that will turn into the greatest story in the world. This is not the greatest story in the world, this is just a tribute. Anyway, I'm sure there won't be any ham-fisted heavy-handedness in this story about how creators gotta create and the haters are wolves who chomp down on creative inspiration.
You haven't written anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't written anything for some time.
Of course, the critic is the uninspired dude who can't write and is probably only taking it out on the people who can write. I mean, this is apparently the character that represents all critics, even though there are a great many of them who bring up very valid points about how scenes don't contain lap dances when they should.
Why, there's a lot of butterflies around this building.
There's a lot of bad dialogue around this movie. This is an orgy of evidence that Jeffrey Wright's character loves to do crossword puzzles. But what's really weird is that we're told how amazing he is at them, but these are unfinished. Blatantly eavesdropping like a dick.
That's some serious reekage, man.
You don't even speak English anymore.
What, reekage? Damn straight it's English. The state of reek.
Having heard this conversation, I have come to the conclusion that I didn't need to.
She told me a little bit more of the story before she threw a cushion at me.
Just a little bit more. She couldn't just tell you the rest of the story. Paul Harvey is going to be pissed. Why are so many characters in this movie shot from behind, just out of frame, while Paul Giamatti talks to them?
She told me about a bad guy in story. These creatures are called scrunts.
Well, she sure has a sense of story pacing, your mother, doesn't she?
They're meant to kill an off when she is out of the water.
I'm still trying to figure out how there's any mythology for the Scrunts. Did they exist in the time when the water people and the humans were getting along? The movie told us that the Scrunts' main purpose is to kill the water nymphs, known as the Narfs. But the water people only recently started sending the Narfs out, something they never did before. There was a period of time when the water people were trying to get in contact with the humans, but the movie said that they simply gave up because humans were too busy fighting wars. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that the whole thing about Scrunts was invented as a conflict for the movie to have, but considering they have only one purpose in life and that purpose only came up recently, how are there any stories about them?
My great-grandmother said that's why man never sees them.
Jesus, expositional Christ on a stack of waffles. Kleptomania.
Mr. Heap, the light over my desk is still not working.
Casting yourself in all your movies because you are vain. Just look at how many pencils this guy has on his desk. In a bucket, the way they bring you ketchup and other condiments at a cheap steak joint. This M. Night Slow Rider brother character that has 150 pencils in his goddamn shabby chic pencil holder container. What a spying nosy dick. This is exactly why people don't trust supers and landlords right here, because they do spying nosy cookbook. No, Cleveland, it says the cookbook. And if you really think that an actual cookbook would start out this way, then I have lost all patience with you as a character.
It's actually just my thoughts on all the cultural problems, thoughts on leaders and stuff.
It's one thing to insert yourself into your own movie, but to give yourself the character of the writer that is the focal point of this movie, with all the messages about how creative people make the world a better place and that critics are rotten trolls that ruin the world for everybody, casting yourself as the tortured creative guy is a little too on the nose. I mean, Jesus, this would be like if Elia Kazan played the Marlon Brando character in On the Waterfront.
That is not how you fold.
There are so many pseudo-comic bits in this movie, written in the cadence of how people talk and act, without any sort of relatability. When this movie was panned, it was easy for some, like M. Night, to say, see, critics don't understand creativity. But the movie itself strains to seem quirky and interesting, like a computer read both Pulp Fiction and Signs and then created this screenplay. This is how you sound natural. Maybe you're not expecting a mermaid to come live with you half naked, but this sin here is not locking your diary.
You believe you have no purpose. You help all that live here.
Well, that ought to fix his soul that broke when his wife and kids were murdered.
All beings have a purpose.
Not politicians.
Do you need to see him alone, or does he just need to see you?
Can't someone have an answer to anything in this movie?
Nice meeting you.
I'm so very happy we saw each other.
I'm a big fan of uncut takes, and this movie has a lot of them, but goddamn, in this case, why doesn't the movie cut back to story when she says this line? What about this one take is so interesting that we can't cut away from this? How does a mirror this dirty help anyone? And if you refuse to clean a mirror for 10 years, do you not just tear it down or smash it in drunken frustration at some point?
What if that thing's out there? It'll try to get you?
There are laws. It will be safe.
Is it safe because there are laws, or is it not safe even though there are laws? Make up your goddamn mind.
Did the eagle come?
I'll take what Bill Clinton's Secret Service agent said for $400, please.
Did something go wrong? Story?
Wow, the first time a character answers a question in this movie, it ends up being a criticism.
Was it that dog again?
A scrunt comes out of nowhere and attacks, and then we get nothing. What the is happening? Why are they able to almost casually run up the stairs to avoid it?
She's wearing no clothes under his shirt. Blim blam.
Hey, remember earlier in the movie when one of the stoners tried to turn Blim Blam into a thing? Yeah, I don't either, even though I'm mentioning it and showing the footage of it happening.
Mr. Heap is a player.
I could see Mr. Heap literally in the act of sexual intercourse, and I wouldn't come to this conclusion.
She says the story her grandmother told said a scrunt has a poison that kills narfs.
So, wait, earlier when your mom told you that scrunts kill narfs, the poison was never mentioned? Also, what kind of f***ed up bedtime story is this?
She said only a rogue skrunt will break the law of that night because most skrunts are afraid.
What is the Skrunt's purpose if most of them follow the law? If their main thing is to kill Narfs, then what do they do in the off-season?
Tatutik. They are the law keepers in this bedtime story. The legend says that they were born so evil that they killed their parents on the night they were born.
So these creatures are born so evil they aspire to a life of law enforcement? That makes zero sense. But I gotta say, M. Night could have made something super subversive here if he'd developed that idea any further.
They live in the trees. They are said to look like monkeys.
Am I already dead and in hell? If so, nicely played, Satan.
The fear of them has kept justice in the blue world for centuries.
You said that there are 3 of them, though. How do they cover enough area to keep justice going on for that long? Paul Scubamati. Cleveland jumps into the pool to find the mud that will save Story, and I can't believe I just wrote that sentence. Also, we find out later that Story dug this tunnel in this lair so she could live here. What about her makes you think she could dig a whole tunnel and lair by herself? Does she have huge claws? None of this makes any sense. Go to the objects that form the shape of a penis. That is where you'll find your healing mud. This guy should be dead. He's dead. I want him dead. I want his family dead. Wait, that's an Untouchables quote that I slid into on accident. I think this guy's family is already dead. But this guy is dead. Double dead. I want his family dead. Wait, why do I keep going back to that? I know it's an Untouchables quote, but I'm not sure why I'm so obsessed with it. Someone go back and find the guy responsible for me doing this joke over and over, because I want him dead. I want his family dead. Wait, god damn it. Paul Giamatti has been holding his breath in this water long enough that I guess I'm just going to call this movie a dream. Anything can happen in a dream. Isn't that fun? Does this asshole MacGyver now? Now who's swinging in the pool after hours, eh, Heap?
Tell me more of the story.
Tell your mother to go f*** herself. She could have told this whole story 20 minutes ago and it would have knocked, 20 minutes off the runtime.
You have to make her see you as a child, innocent. Then she would tell you the bedtime story.
This story is clearly not worth the trouble it would take Cleveland to hear it. The f***ing internet existed back in 2006. I know, I was there. If this is a widely told tale, then someone's transcribed it for easy reading. He should have just put the camera on himself and told the bedtime story to the camera. He would have saved so much money and the quality difference would be negligible.
Will she know that she's a Madame Narf?
No, that is moral of a bedtime story. No one is ever told who they are.
I can see that being a rule, or a challenge to overcome, but that does not sound like the moral of the story at all. A moral would be if the Narf could figure out who she is and has to resist the temptation. He's spending a lot more time learning about the bedtime story than he is explaining to her the concept of pants.
I'm not allowed to speak of the blue world.
Is it because of spoilers? Because I can handle the spoilers.
I think that you're someone very important to everyone.
I thought you were supposed to keep that a secret, or else she loses. The great work by M. Night doesn't get written. We're spared The Last Airbender? Anyway, you're clearly breaking the moral of the story, and it's not even her fault.
I don't know who you are, but you did something to me. Everything became clearer.
My thoughts haven't been this clear since I wrote Stuart Little. This is the busiest f***ing apartment complex pool I have ever seen in my life. God damn. This scene where he has to behave like a child and leave on a milk mustache and lay down on the couch because the mother won't tell the story to a stranger only to a child goes on for some time.
Tell her I know that she is not allowed to tell about her world, but maybe I could ask some questions and she can just say if it's right or wrong.
It'll be like in that movie, All the President's Men, where confirming facts somehow means you didn't tell anyone anything. We know P is Porter, goddammit.
She would say, touch your ear, or something, if the answer is yes. So I would, and then she would know certain things, but I didn't really feel like I told my friends.
But then my friend Stacy was like, how the f*** did your mom know that I shoplifted that Hello Kitty backpack from that store that one time? You were the only one who knew that. And she beat me up. And so I realized this way of telling people things is stupid, but at least my conscience is clear. Also, they're doing this game of telephone because Story is naked in the shower. Why is it any less invasive for her to have a conversation while naked just because it's a woman looking at her?
All right, there's one other. I don't know if it's worth mentioning. It's not in the stories all the time.
But you heard everything you needed to know from Mrs. Choi, who got told the same story by her grandmother for years. Why would the story include a character in some tellings, but not in others? Story differences usually come from different people telling the story, right? Why would Mrs. Choi's grandmother tell the story with one character and then remove it on other tellings?
You can tell that they're in the story because butterflies are drawn to the healer.
Oh, me yesterday, there's a lady who lives here that just mentioned an abundance of butterflies!
This is the writer's way of establishing characters who will be important further in the story.
It would be nice, though, if these characters talked about innocuous things that had anything to do with this plot whatsoever. Man, making them D&D nerds would have been better than arguing about whether reekage is a word. Hey everybody, let's all gather around the pale girl wearing nothing but a towel.
Story wants to go home, and she can't. Tomorrow night is her last chance.
Are all these people just f***ing going with this shit? Because I'd be back upstairs blazing another blunt after piecing the out of this cuckoo party. In this scene, Jeffrey Wright interprets words he solved in a crossword puzzle to form a plan of action. The words, essential, scheme, and soiree, all lead to the conclusion that everyone should stand around Story and confuse the Scrunt's sense of smell. What also could have solved this was just coming up with this plan in the first place without interpreting crossword puzzles, which have many words and are prone to misinterpretation.
She didn't want me to watch When the Eagle Came the first time. But that's before she knew that I was the Guardian. Would I be able to watch now?
How did she not know he was the Guardian immediately? If she could recognize that the writer was the vessel immediately, then what blocked her from recognizing what his role was? Then we find out he's not even the Guardian. A f***ing
Sonorous.
It could be music, a band.
Or that you watch Dead Poet Society.
You don't think this is gonna work, do you?
I don't know why. Since the last time the Scrunt showed up, he was defeated by a run up a flight of stairs. Maybe they should build a tiny stairway next to the pool. Put Story on a landing. Problem solved.
Can you hear me?
Peer over your shoulder carefully.
She went from can't talk about my world and its rules to the point of having to cheat by answering questions via touching my ear to gonna tell you all that like instantly.
You must invoke the ancient words. Nefra Mora.
You're just now telling him this? Why wasn't this covered in the story Cleveland heard from Mrs. Joy?
What is the J.G. Scrunt's reaction?
Look, you can't introduce some sort of modifier like JG to a term we've heard the whole movie and then expect us to know what the that means.
Characters were walking around saying their thoughts out loud. Who does that?
Hard to believe, but Harry Farber now writes for CinemaSins.
I cannot protect you. Where are the Tartunic?
Yeah, where are the I'm sorry. I've already forgotten what that was supposed to even be.
How come you don't ask about bedtime story anymore?
It was literally 1 or 2 days ago max when he lay down on your couch like a self-effacing moron with milk on his upper lip and kicking his free upper leg like a goddamn toddler. What the f*** are you talking about? Okay, look, I know the point here of this shot is that wind is rolling in, being all ominous and but the greater sin is that this party table is f***ing stacked. There's a keg, several Sammy trays in the background, balloons, beer. They have 3 different kinds of napkins. Who the f*** paid for all this shit? This party has more funding than my goddamn wedding reception did.
Don't tell my sister.
That's his sister? Oh wait, I knew that once. Then forgot it because the movie kept bombarding me with shit about scrats and Nerf hoops and shit I don't care about. You could announce you were giving away free marijuana and $10 bills and not have this many people show up to an apartment complex pool party. Honestly, this movie says more about how little M. Night understands apartment dwelling than it does literally anything else. They all live together, so surely they all swim together, and they all show up to a party when the apartment throws one, because why wouldn't they? Also, there would never be a steadying pole on the staircase down into the shallow end of a community pool.
There's a storm coming.
There's the storm coming cliche. I want you to play a guy who only works out one side of his body for science. Sounds rad. And I'll be important to the plot? Not remotely. Oh, well, I'll get some good screen time then, right? Like a few lines and then later at a party here in the background. Oh, well, I'll get paid, right? Scale. Can you at least write me in suddenly at the end to help save the day? Jesus, Freddy. Fine. Now go start working out, but only the right side of your body. We're doing that for real? We're not going to use a prosthetic?
You used up the battery. Wave to him.
Or you can just run 5 feet and tell them to start playing the music. Why does the Scrunt just stop dragging Story? Is it because of the story? Oh. So wait, you're telling me that the Scranton, right after dragging Story through the grass a minute ago, decided to risk being seen and ran down into the dumpster area? And it knew that someone would accidentally leave a door open?
I don't feel like an interpreter. Is it possible that that isn't my purpose?
Well, this is an awesome time to ask this question, regardless of the answer, you dick.
And you will land a fraction of a second too late.
If the Scrunts only attack Narfs and those who say the magic Latin-sounding fighting words, why did it attack the critic? I get the feeling the only reason why this Scrunt dared to go inside the apartment complex is so that M. Night could have this scene, where he could cathartically kill a critic for being such a pompous ass. But it's weird, because Scrunts are like critics themselves. They're geared to kill Narfs, and in this movie, the Narf is named Story. I realize Scrunts could be any kind of force in the universe that attacks or opposes creativity, but I consider this scene to be a critic killing one of its own. Since the Scrunt is the primary antagonist, I'm confused about whether or not I should celebrate Harry's death like the movie does.
It is a ceremony of 7 sisters.
Even if you have a gift of finding hidden meaning in a box of Fruity Pebbles, how do you get that information from the boxes we're seeing in this shot? I'm honestly beginning to believe this is a joke that M. Night is playing on us. But I had that debate when I watched The Happening, and I'm tired of guessing.
You will need a man who has no secrets, and one whose opinion is highly respected as witnesses.
This entire goddamn f***ing crack smoking, alley vagina licking, gutter sludge drinking movie is one person after another just reading to us.
Like, why is this door open for any reason? Legend has it in the ancient stories, Skrunts hate it when you use the tumble dry option.
And you make 7 sisters.
Cleveland just now tells Anna this.
Everything's right now.
Let's hope that kid who sees in cereal boxes was right.
I looked at it again. It says he will lead a ceremony of 7 sisters to bring strength to the moment.
Goddamn pronoun game. F***ing up my goddamn ceremonial rituals.
Mr. Heap, you brought that butterfly to me. It caught my eye as you walked over.
God damn it. Hell damn ring. If the healer attracts butterflies, why haven't butterflies been swarming around Cleveland this whole time? Did they know to avoid him so that there could be this very thin revelation at the end of this movie?
I met this very nice lady, and her name is Story.
If this is supposed to be a ceremony, it's not a very good one. Why did the Lucky Charms prophecy say ceremony but apparently not mean it? What in the actual is this Skrunt doing? Seriously, there's no way the Skrunt decided to run into this apartment building other than to kill the critic.
Oh my god. Here's the guardian. Reggie!
All this time, you didn't think the dude who worked out might be the Guardian? What the is he doing out here anyway? Did he just make a plate of food in the rain? Also, there might be several instances in this movie where trying to surprise the audience might not have been the best direction to go. There's absolutely no development of this character, other than his quirky, I only work out on one side of my body nonsense. Then he just shows up out of nowhere to be important. Always with the f***ing Eagles. The Tartudic show up at just the moment where they are the most useless. Take that! And that! This'll teach you to do the thing you were born to do. I get the sense that this Skrunt will finally be able to solve the mystery of what happened to Dolores Umbridge. The eagle flies off into the sky with Story, the lady from the water. And this seems to be an incongruent end to the story. M. Night threatens his daughters at the end of the credits. 1 minute and 2 seconds of logos. Over 2 minutes of credits on top of clouds that do nothing for nobody. Something does happen in this movie called The Happening, right? Jesus Christ, this score is so much better than the movie in which it's situated that I'm gonna throw an extra 5 sins in. I'm so sorry you have to see this, Mr. Newton Howard. In case you confused it with Central Park, Oklahoma City.
I forgot where I am.
You're at the place where the killers meet to decide what to do with the crippled girl.
Even for an M. Night Shyamalan movie, what?
Is that blood?
The appropriate question is this what she's actually looking at? Because I can't see a goddamn thing. And I'm guessing she can't see whatever she's looking at from this distance either, because there's nothing f***ing there. You know, back in 2008, those improv everywhere assholes would sometimes go way too far.
Claire?
Of f***ing course, there's one asshole in this entire park that's temporarily immune to the evil windy voodoo happening, so we can have some sort of explicit narrative of what's happening, rather than just watching it happening. I can't wait till they get to Nebraska and they tell us it's 25,928 blocks from Central Park, New York City.
Well, I saw your thing and it said WY. The big guy says, no, man. Mine says, welcome to Jamaica. Have a nice day.
That's a long dick joke right there.
Jesus, give him some room.
Give the injured person some room cliche. I mean, seriously, these guys are standing well away from the body. Also, the beginning of this movie is really just an excuse for M. Night to show off how many different ways people can die, which was already done much more effectively 15 years before in Groundhog Day.
Look, I don't know if you guys have heard about this article in the New York Times about honeybees vanishing.
Mark Wahlberg playing anything with sincerity always comes off like a guy who really wants to try this acting thing. Like, everything sincere is said with an urgency it doesn't quite deserve.
Hey guys, did you hear the sun is going to supernova in the future? Maybe it's time we started planning for Earth's evacuation, because we're not gonna make it when that happens.
Also, the movie just assumes that these high schoolers would be carefully poring over the science section of the New York Times. And some of them might, sure, but Dignam sounds like he expects them to. Also, in case you confused it for Philadelphia High School, Pittsburgh.
It's scary, huh?
This is the question that M. Night constantly asked the entire crew of this movie during filming.
Should be more interested in science, Jake. You know why? Because your face is perfect.
Priceless.
An act of nature, and we'll never fully understand it.
Nice answer, Jake. He's right.
Dude, this is the equivalent of answering because when a teacher asks why, or saying because language is like life, man.
Science will come up with some reason to put in the books. I mean, we will fail to acknowledge that there are forces at work beyond our understanding.
Weirdly enough, the text for this class was edited by Mike Huckabee.
The Dark Lord. Don't look into her eyes.
I'd like to think of this movie as a sequel to Dead Poet Society that went terribly, terribly wrong. Also, so is this blatant insubordination to the vice principal supposed to endear Elliot to his students? Like, I can't figure out how shitty or excellent this asshole's supposed to be. He's basically Jason Schwartzman's character in Yo Teach. This classroom has 2 light switches, not terribly far apart from each other, and with only one entrance exit. I know why the music department couldn't get their funding now. Why did the vice principal drag Mark Wahlberg out of his class personally, when it looks like these teachers were told via a normal communication device, the intercom? Or did the vice principal drag each one of these teachers out individually and finally got to him just now?
There appears to be an event happening.
Roll credits. Also, let it never be said that the principal of this school was hired based on his communication skills.
Central Park was just hit by what seems to be a terrorist attack.
Central Park? That's kind of odd.
It really, really isn't. What makes Central Park odder than any other place where this could happen?
Identified variables, design an experiment.
Is no one even mentioning all that that's happening in New York? We saw the students looking at their phones, so they know shit's going down. But sure, let's focus more on the students' begrudging respect for their weirdly swole teacher.
Hey guys. Nothing.
I'd like to imagine that the script told Elliot to say, "Hey guys," and then when Mark Wahlberg turned the page, he found the script blank, and he figured he had to literally say what was on the page.
I told her the probability of something happening in Philadelphia is very low.
Especially an NBA championship.
Yeah, let me think about that, okay?
Is there a reason that the camera is right there when it cuts to Elliot?
She's acting odd, just don't worry about it.
I know you're used to that kind of behavior by hanging out with me anyway.
I'm gonna tell you something. You should never tell your best friend.
Why is everybody saying that?
Nobody has said that at all in this movie to anyone for any reason until now.
I walked into a waiting room by mistake and she was crying. That's not who she is. She's never gonna jump in when you need her, man.
Okay, couple things here. First, Julian walked into the waiting room by accident. Second, just from this brief encounter, he knows for sure that Alma and Elliot aren't gonna work. Third, he's never told him about this. And finally, he waits until there's a potential disaster and they're surrounded by high school kids to drop this fucking truth bomb. Cheese and crackers, that's fucked up. Can we unpack what's happening here? Alma gets a call from her potential side piece, but rather than decline the call, since she knows Elliot's almost home, she lets that ring the whole way. Then, when Elliot does get home, she doesn't immediately erase the call. I know this is the late 2000s, but besides maybe Tiger Woods, people knew how to properly cell phone. Why does the World News Network constantly show the temperature for only Philadelphia?
This new neurotoxin is basically flipping the preservation switch.
And I'm reporting from outside the building with no personal protection, despite the toxin being clearly airborne in this city. Also, man, there's never been a more convenient time for Elliot to walk in on some perfect exposition.
Just when you thought there couldn't be any more evil that could be invented.
Hey, we still haven't even gotten to the last Airbender in After Earth. I don't know if there was technically a feature where the buzzer on a flip phone would ring constantly, but I choose to believe that Alma hacked hers and turned it into a sex toy since the last time it rang.
Autopsies on the first victims confirm the toxin is a natural compound.
So there's a theory that this movie is about mass paranoia, and in fact, nothing is happening at all and people are doing bizarre things because their minds are playing tricks on them, and that all the goofball shit we see is a result of this mental plague. But when the movie puts in segments like this, where a sane newscaster is reporting news from scientists, it starts to break those walls down. Plus, it somehow only affects people in the Northeast. And in the day of the internet and cable news, this mass paranoia would have hit way more areas of the country.
How are you?
Good, you?
Good.
What the hell is the deal between these two? Was there more to that waiting room encounter than we knew about? Could he ultimately be the Joey that keeps calling her goddamn phone? Who asks way too many unanswerable questions?
Don't get all sensitive.
Just give her a chance.
Skip! And look, maybe it's a mass paranoia metaphor, but is this how mass paranoia starts? With a bunch of people doing the same thing at the same time, independently of each other? It would make more sense if you had one person think they see something, tell someone else, make that person paranoid, and so on. But this is not that. Also, I'm pretty sure this entire movie is based on that Radiohead Just video, only with attempts at explanations that make the mystery not fun to watch. The hallmark of this genius neurotoxin is clearly its flair for dramatic timing. Good thing this guy picks up the gun and walks several feet before killing himself, so that the woman on the sidewalk can see the gun and complete this one take of mayhem.
We ate tiramisu together. That is it.
So that's what the kids were calling it back in 2008? I guess it was the Netflix and chill of 10 years ago.
She got on a bus going to New Jersey. She's headed to the town of Princeton.
Awesome. Mommy's headed back into the path of the evil death toxin. Even if you believe the attacks on New York and Philly were specific to those locations, why would you go anywhere near those two areas, much less right in between them?
What the hell is going on, Elliot?
I'm sorry, ma'am. The correct wording is, what the hell is happening, Elliot? I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to exit the bus.
Train service has been discontinued. This will be the last stop for all passengers.
It's hilarious how the train workers decide to go with the we're stopping here and you're just going to have to deal with it and f*** you for being curious method, instead of just telling them something about the attacks that everyone in the world knows about and would be a satisfactory explanation for their stop.
Why are you giving me one useless piece of information at a time?
We lost contact.
Like Mark Wahlberg is the only asshole who's asking these guys what's going on. I remember once at a movie theater when a crowd of people ran into the projection booth to yell at a projectionist when the Shawshank Redemption f***ed up. To think all these people would be calmly talking amongst themselves during a supposed terrorist attack stopped in Pennsylvania while the train workers were 10 feet away is f***ing laughable.
I'm not saying anything. stuck here.
But they just told you they lost contact with everyone. Isn't that terrifying but useful information? Shouldn't you be on the cell phone or watching the news or doing something other than standing out in the fucking open air right now?
Wait, you want to do that?
Bro, I got it.
Man, I can't tell you how many times I heard my high school science teacher use the word bro in casual conversation.
You know that everyone gives off energy, right?
This fucking guy.
Look at this. It was taken an hour ago at the Philadelphia Zoo.
Yes, come look at this, random stranger with a small child in his custody. Come hither to view my natural death porn.
The event appears to be limited to the northeast.
Which is, as we all know, the only location in America with trees and plants.
Where are we?
The dead center.
Now we have a problem on both sides of the coin. Either it's mass paranoia, which this entire diner should be suffering from, or it's an actual chemical attack, which this entire diner should be suffering from, considering it's right in the damn center of the attack.
Whatever this is, it looks like it's not occurring about 90 miles from here.
90 miles west, south, north? And how do you know? And yet this is good enough for all these assholes to leave the diner and probably without leaving a tip. But they're reasonably confident this is an outside killer, whether it's natural or not, right? So why the do all those cars have the windows rolled down?
Julian!
I swear to God, this entire Elliot tries to hitch a ride scene was shot without John Leguizamo while he was on the set of Righteous Kill. And then they got him for an hour or so to shoot this. Like, this is Elliot's best friend. They've been traveling together the whole time. And yet it looked like for a minute there, one or the other was willing to get a ride without checking the other's status.
I can't get a vet on the phone or email or nothing.
So your plan is to abandon your child, go to a different epicenter of this attack, which is still a pretty large city, and just stand in the middle of the toxin-filled street and yell for her? This is like the worst parts of the plans in Cloverfield and What About Bob combined.
I got her,
Don't take my daughter's hand unless you mean it.
This motherfucker who's leaving his daughter in their care takes time to threaten one of her caregivers? I knew this movie was bad, but it's bad on a micro level. For some reason, this shot of Leguizamo sitting still in a Jeep is presented to us in slow motion. Subtle.
We're packing hot dogs for the road. You know, hot dogs get a bad rap.
I bet this guy's stand-up act kills in Filbert.
Plants react to human stimulus. They proved it in tests.
Elliot, a f***ing science teacher, doesn't believe this basic tenet of human-plant interaction, essentially agreeing with Alma. Not only that, aren't they running for their f***ing lives while being pursued by a natural phenomenon that no one understands? Is this the time for cavalier tomfoolery?
Don't look outside.
You mean this is the first time anyone's seeing the obviously hanging people in the middle of the road? It took until you were right on top of it to see it? Even if the girl in the back seat couldn't see it until now. Both Julian and the driver are psychopaths who decided not to warn anyone before they passed it. Also, these are hilariously complicated methods of death, right? Why not just wander into the local river, run the truck into a tree, line the workers in front of the truck and mow them down, and then have only one person hang themselves? My point is that M. Night was so enamored with the fact that he could show us all these horrific images that he didn't stop to ask himself if he should.
Close the vents.
Yes, that will keep this soft-top Jeep Wrangler airtight.
Just look at me. Just keep looking at me.
Dude, why take the chance of making her look at your face to calm her down when she might have seen the pest, or Spawn, or the fan? Or also, I guess because they're going to New Jersey, this is the movie's attempt to stick Brian O'Halloran, aka Dante Hicks, into the movie? This is a poor attempt at putting Dante Hicks in the movie. And I think he wasn't even supposed to be here today. Julian, at least for the time being, easily survives this.
Then we hit the highway from there. We're 30 miles from the state line.
What state line are they looking for? The map on the TV basically covered the entirety of the eastern seaboard, so the only possible escape would be west. But the next state over would be Ohio, and that's a long-ass way away. Have they really been driving that long, but it's still daylight?
You got binoculars in the back from when you were spying on our neighbors.
From the Jeep? Why did the binoculars need an explanation? I mean, yeah, we might have seen this guy having convenient binoculars, but that's still what they kind of are, right? Wow, what a specific place for all these people to die, especially right out in the middle of nowhere on a country road. This is clearly not the best place to organize a flash mob.
Cheese and crackers.
Cheese and crackers.
Who's Joey?
Oh, it's no one.
It's not that Elliot is suspicious right now. This is just his everyday go-to confused face.
Maybe he's onto something.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
I think Elliot is in the running to be the least helpful hero in a movie ever made. An award show I just made up, airing tonight in my head at Bamble 30 in the morning.
Just keep watching out the window with the tree, baby. Someone will come and get you soon.
Tell her not to go near the window with the tree.
Baby, don't go near the window with the tree.
Why the f***ing would anyone listen to this asshole? Especially someone who has no clue what he's talking about. This is her daughter, right? I'm sorry, honey, I know you're scared, but this dude looks a lot like that guy from Rockstar. So I'm gonna go ahead and trust his opinion on how you should proceed in the disaster scenario, okay?
She says everyone's dead outside. Honey, you're talking funny. What's wrong with you?
Good of Stacy to start dying after she gave important information. How the f*** did she live when everyone else already died?
I see in calculus.
This comes from watching too much Stand and Deliver. I got an easy remedy for that. Take 2 Pulp Fictions and an Argo, and you're right as rain.
I hear wind from outside.
Oh, really? How am I supposed to masturbate to that? Also, if Elliot is increasingly suspicious of the goddamn wind, which everyone should be at this point, why the f*** is he not in one of the cars right now with the windows up? Seriously, this motherfucker straight up tells Stacy to stay away from the windows while he's out in the middle of open air, eating cold hot dogs. Yeah, it's been a rough day, huh? Hey, better check on Joey to see how he's holding up.
Trees can communicate with bushes, bushes with grass, and everything in between.
This didn't seem insane in the script, but when you hear it out loud.
Maybe we should have waited for the rest of them, stayed in the big group like the private said.
What I'm wondering is why they're walking at all. I know the town they're going to has dirt roads, but they're still f***ing roads, right? There has to be a reason why they're eschewing the safety, comfort, and shelter of the cars, right? Right? Hot dog guy looks to his right and sees the wind blowing, and god damn it, is that ever suspicious. Normal everyday f***ing wind, but this so-called plant expert thinks there's something different about it, and he's right.
My firearm is my friend! It will not leave my side!
Why do some people talk crazy when they get infected, but most of the others become immobile and do nothing?
Oh no.
Sure, Mark Wahlberg's weirdly serene level of concern here is a sin, but everyone else just standing around while gunshots go off? Nobody fears for their lives? They just know for a fact that those people got infected and are killing themselves.
Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together.
Holy if it weren't for the politics, Elliot's theory would already be published in Scientific American. Elliot's scientific method was to stand in the field while gunshots taking the lives of his fellow travelers rang out. From this, he came up with his groundbreaking larger group theory, in which plants decide to let small groups of people live as long as there's a larger group in virtually the same area perceived as a bigger threat. The evidence comes from tickling your own taint.
Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
This iconic line is setting up the greatest chase against the weather scene since global warming attacked in The Day After Tomorrow.
Here it comes!
What's taking the wind so goddamn long? It's f***ing wind, but it seriously needs this long to overtake some slow-moving assholes? Also, not that it really matters, but didn't anyone think to cover up their noses, mouths, or other orifices? Like, we figured out that it's in the air, but isn't that the hard part? The rest of it, keeping it out of our bodies, is relatively simple. The wind, of course, does nothing, and they're fine. And this is the dual problem with whatever this movie is saying is the threat. Either it's mass paranoia, which these guys should not be dying from because they're as paranoid as they can be, or it's the toxin, which should have spread to them after the wind tracked them down. But they're okay, and this movie continues.
Could this really be happening?
Sorry, Max Payne, but we've already had our allowable amounts of roll credits moments, and for the repetition, I will have to award you with 12 extra cents.
My name is Elliot Moore.
Maybe somewhere in this movie is a comedy. Maybe M. Night's laughing at us all for taking this movie seriously. It was a ridiculous gamble that nearly ended his career, though. Let's think about that for a second. The timing of this movie, if a veiled comedy, could not have been worse. Came after The Village and Lady in the Water. Not exactly the time to be making a movie where Mark Wahlberg talks to plants.
Plastic. Talking to a plastic plant.
Yeah, it's the plastic part that makes talking to it insane.
Why is this happening?
Believe me, kid, I was definitely asking myself the same question in the movie theater in 2008 around this point.
The bees disappearing? I mean, I don't know. It feels like a pattern.
God damn it. This has nothing to do with bees, Elliot. You haven't even mentioned the fucking bees since the beginning of the movie.
There's two groups coming together. There's too many of them together.
Apparently, this proves Elliot right, but remember those construction workers? They were around tons of people who were flinging themselves off the roof, and they didn't get infected. What about Stacy, who was on the phone with her mom and inside a house all alone? She wasn't around a large group of people. Ironically, though, Stacy's mom was around a large group of people. Maybe it's because she's got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. M. Night Shyamalan really wants you to see what will happen when this tractor finally runs over this guy. It'll take about 7 hours, but eventually, you'll see it.
Emergency broadcast. All those who are still inside the affected area.
Heroes find a convenient radio hanging from a fence, but static prevents them from hearing the entire emergency broadcast cliche. Also, why hasn't this been playing the whole time? Thousands of people are dead in a huge swath of the Northeast, but the last time Elliot turned on the radio a few minutes ago, mind you, there was just talk radio about a fucking nuclear disaster.
Are you sure? We should keep going.
Why? Haven't you figured out that the problem is a large number of people? You're not racing against the clock, so as long as your group is small, you can camp out anywhere, as long as you can find food, right?
Are you joking?
I feel like this question, and Mark Wahlberg's definite but not definite reaction to it, sums up what it's like to watch this movie.
I think I can open this door. Wait, we're a gang now? We're gonna take whatever we want?
Or you could try knocking, right? This is kind of an apocalyptic scenario, but there are no f***ing zombies around to wake up or anything. You're up against plant life. I think a distinct notification that you're at the front door would be safe and sufficient.
On Blackwater, keep on rolling.
Feel it, feel it.
Oh!
So the only people we're supposed to care about are literally these three. I understand this is standard crisis storytelling and shit, but I had to kill the rando kids? By homicide? Jesus, there's nothing about this movie that makes sense or is enjoyable.
There are some quiet rumblings that the government may be involved in the tragic events playing out in the Northeast.
In a better movie with a clear message, the idea of a news program speculating without evidence of government involvement in a terrorist attack while people in Nebraska are in a garage circle-jerking each other with guns might be meaningful. Goes a long way in trying to prove that this movie is about paranoia, but it's pretty clear that's bullshit at this point.
There's a spring house in the back.
It has a speaking tube running under the ground to the main house.
I would say this is a bit of foreshadowing here, but this is foreshadowing so hard, it's basically 4 clips.
Don't touch things that aren't yours.
Can't just one person be fucking normal for one goddamn moment in this movie? I mean, Jesus, lady. You have a plate of goddamn cookies here on the dinner table. I would assume those cookies are there for the taking, too.
How would you know if something were to happen? Like a world event?
Twitter users to non-Twitter users at every cocktail party.
I'm scared, Elliot.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, that chick was in Carrie.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
Is it comedy? Is it horror? You don't know. Also, well, you convinced her, big guy. Nice work there with the age-old argumentative trick of immediate and confused denial. Throws them off the trail every time. So I guess the kill large groups of people thing doesn't matter anymore? Sure, we've been told that smaller and smaller groups are getting infected, but I just don't understand why the plants, which are apparently sentient killers, decided to go with an upside-down pyramid scheme for their murders. Also, they clearly had a chance to f*** Elliot up here, but decided against it. Maybe for sentimental reasons. I don't know. Sounds like as good a reason as any. So, is Mrs. Jones trying to kill herself or Bob Lee Swagger? Because I don't remember anyone giving a shit about who they took out after they'd been exposed to the toxin, just that they wanted to off themselves in a cinematically grandiose way. Also, this does not appear to be one of those brand new homes that hermetically seals in each room. This door screams draft, right? There's even an open keyhole. If that can't get in to kill the dad from the lovely bones, it deserves to be defeated.
What's going on, Elliot?
What's happening here?
God, I wish they'd have properly named this phenomena. Like, I'd be fine with calling it a geostorm or a toxin buster 2000 or the carnage. The title of this movie is essentially a version of the fucking pronoun game.
You remember our first date?
I'd remove all the sins here if Elliot had taken Alma to go see I Heart Huckabees.
Then we checked the little paper chart and it turned out that purple meant I was horny.
Curiously, this guy named Joey had just walked by seconds before.
I want to be with you, and I'm gonna come be with you.
Damn, I mean, you can't wait like a couple hours or anything? How long have you been having this conversation? Like 2 minutes? Child abuse. Also, you know what? This fucking ending pisses me off to no end. This entire movie, Elliot's had 3 character traits: indecision, the proclivity to break down a problem using the scientific method, and bad acting. And one of those traits is extremely useful at this time. Find a scientifically viable way to get across the field without being exposed. He's the least useful scientist ever. He's the anti-Watney. I mean, could you see this asshole surviving more than a half soul on Mars? Also, even if he wants to satisfy his end-of-the-world boner, why is Alma not only putting herself at risk, but exposing Jess? At least one of them couldn't stay back at the fucking shed. God damn, this pisses me off to no end. Oh, and yeah, they fucking survived this shit. I think the only reason Alma came all the way out here is that, from a distance, Elliot really does look like Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
The event must have ended before we went out there.
The what? Oh, you meant the happening. Damn, dude. You gotta be a little clearer when discussing your world-threatening events.
You don't want to be late for the first day schools are open.
In movie world, couples who took care of a kid get to automatically adopt the kid when it's discovered the kid's parents have died. Hang on now. 3 months? It's been 3 months? That's it? I know it seems like a lot of time, but these streets are relatively bustling, especially for the morning. And only 3 months ago, almost everyone in the Northeast died violently. You can really get that cleaned up and the infrastructure back online in 3 months?
Traces of the neurotoxin have been found in some plants and trees.
If this movie is about paranoia, is it saying the scientists are paranoid too? That their so-called findings are really just grasping at straws? I don't know. I'm just glad this shit is short.
I believe a warning, like the first spot of a rash.
And thankfully, due to this warning, the movie-watching public collectively dunked themselves in calamine lotion, and we haven't had a recurrence in over 10 years. Huh, I guess as soon as the threat was over, Alma's mood ring immediately turned to purple while they were in that field house.
Devrais amener mon vélo.
Oh, now it's happening in France. They call it l'événement. That's French for shitty movie.
Okay, well, it was great to meet you. Say hi to your mother for me, okay?
Hey, guys. Nothing.
What the hell is going on, Elliot?
I honestly don't know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
What do you mean? Everyone's dead?
I went from outside. I don't have any reason to disagree right now. Oh, no.
The toxin?
We need to do something!
Just let me think. Why can't anybody give me a goddamn second? Here it comes!
You think it could be plants?
I don't know.
Why is this happening?
I don't know for sure, Josh.
I don't believe it's nature.
It may not be. It could be some other explanation. I don't know.
I don't think it's terrorists, sir.
What? No. I want to be with you, and I'm gonna come be with you.
Nickelodeon movies. Reading. Also, if you're gonna make me read exposition to open the movie, I should at least not come away from it more confused than before. It's kinda cute how they thought they were gonna make 3 of these things. This ball of water shouldn't be able to retain its size and shape if it's losing this much water. You're not seriously suggesting this completely dry dude was just doused by that ball of water, are you? Wait a minute, this movie's about white people? 3 minutes in and we already have exposition by reading and exposition by narration. Why are they even bothering to show us images at all? The green screen effects would be outstanding if this was a student film. This guy seems surprised the ice starts breaking after he hits it with his primitive hunting stick in an attempt to break it. This little girl thinks she's a doctor.
He's exhausted.
I don't really have any personal need for the Avatar to be played by an Asian kid. I just kind of thought he was going to be.
Bring me all your elderly!
Sure, man. All yours. I mean, have you tried taking care of an old person? The fire trick is somehow enhanced by air karate.
Because I'm your responsibility.
I don't want to say anything bad about child actors, but I will. They suck. Well, now we know where at least one of the wild things are. Or is. This boat doubles as a letter opener.
That little boy might be the Avatar.
Well, then why didn't you name your movie Avatar?
What is a spirit world, Grandma?
Well, it's not a place made up of things you can touch.
Oh, sort of like a strip club. Also, later in the movie, they totally touch the moon spirit, so Grandma's a liar.
Even try to escape.
Because if you do, we'll just stand here and do nothing.
Ong flew us to his home.
There's more narration in this movie than there is actual lines of on-screen dialogue.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
The monks named me Ong.
You just called him by his name when you were narrating the exposition. Ong is oblivious to the fact that his entire culture is dead and in ruins. Shouldn't the white kids have told him about his culture being wiped out, I don't know, sometime before arriving at the Field of Bones? Ong has no respect for the dead. Oh, so he's the little kid from Looper. Dude, I'm only half paying attention, and even I know she does the opposite of everything you say. Ran out of special effects budget? Oh, f*** it, just blur the background.
They haven't been able to conquer big cities like Ba Sing Se, but they're making plans, I'm sure.
Because I'm a 10-year-old girl and I know stuff. Ong must have wanted to be captured, right? Because he's already proven he's more powerful than these guys. It's nice of the different tribes to wear their own official color so I can tell them all apart.
Those who could not bend were allowed to live in peace if we were imprisoned.
Got it. So the firebenders are the Nazis. This girl's supposed to be stupid, right? Like she's that way in the original cartoon?
Don't be afraid!
Whatever you say, stupid annoying girl. Takes a well-choreographed dance routine with 6 dudes to make a boulder gently float toward the bad guy. Nut shot. Not cool, bro.
Why can't the Avatar have a family?
Why can't this movie have a script? Is the staff really necessary? The Fire Nation is able to use a boat to follow 3 people traveling mostly by air muppet. Wouldn't it be helpful if the movie explained why sometimes Ong kicks bad guys' asses and other times he just lets himself get captured like a chump?
The Fire Nation has stolen knowledge of us from the Great Library.
Then maybe it was a bad idea to store it all on paper. Ong takes on bad guys one at a time while his rescuer gets swarmed.
What is this?
The commander's surprised to see the airbender is able to bend air. I'm surely not the first one to point out that the back of this chick's head looks like a penis, but that doesn't mean I'm not still gonna say it. The back of this chick's head looks like a penis.
I must assign a guard to be with you at all times, Princess.
I'll do it.
Whatever you say, horny kid we just met.
Talk to my father.
Screaming is a good way to ruin your chances of hiding aboard this ship. Prince Zuko conveniently ends up right where the Avatar runs by. This is the kind of battle cry Little Richard would come up with. This whole city is built on ice, so it's gotta be too thick for these stupid drill helmets to go through. Also, drill helmets. A firebender and an airbender fight using karate instead of fire and air.
He's making fire out of nothing.
That's easy. Talk to me when he's making love out of nothing at all. The Avatar just stands here watching people die and doing nothing. This isn't fighting. This is an Olympic gymnastics floor routine alongside a bunch of other people who are doing the real fighting. Ong waits until the battle has caused numerous casualties before doing what the Dragon Spirit told him to do in the beginning. Use the f***ing ocean. Yes, idiots, you should all run toward the tsunami wave. The Avatar doesn't look remotely ready to be the Avatar. I think he's gonna run away again. See, there's a reason these credits are showing up at the end instead of the beginning of the movie. Movie decides it needs some sort of flash-forward opening to a spot roughly 14 minutes later in the film.
I've heard stories of Earth.
Said Jaden Smith, not knowing the microphones were on. Also, Jaden Smith narration.
A paradise until we destroyed it.
Humans are terrible, just terrible, and they destroy the Earth cliche. Are these people boarding a rocket? This is the thing that usually detaches from the aircraft when it goes into space, right?
Nova Prime.
Named after the great predecessor of Sentinel Prime. Thank God for that Ranger image archive, or we wouldn't have had these important images and establishing shots.
The aliens released the Ursa, monsters, bred to kill humans.
Sudden aliens! And they sick monsters on us? What the f*** do the aliens do? Also, so the aliens just took several years off to breed perfect human-killing animals? It takes decades just to get the miniature Pomeranians perfectly miniature and Pomeranian.
Monsters, bred to kill humans.
Wait a f***ing minute. How did the aliens even know the humans were coming? There's a lot of backstory here that would probably make for a far more interesting movie, but no one is interested in telling it.
Technically blind. The Ursa sees.
Aliens breed perfect human-killing machine that cannot f***ing see. Looks like Whoville went too far this Christmas. Also, how the ever-loving f*** did the blind-ass Ursa manage to arrange the dead human bodies on the tree like Christmas ornaments, huh? Someone sketched a cool storyboard everyone liked, and no one had the heart to explain to M. Night that the actual shot had no logic whatsoever in it. Also, I know Cypher doesn't show fear, but does he have to use a f***ing close-range weapon to kill the Ursa? And why don't they get everybody else the hell out of there while Cypher spins 360 degrees with 2 guns blasting the shit out of monsters? This movie starts with a flash forward that jumps to a flashback, then back to the forward, only to then back up a bit and start the actual f***ing story. Sadly, future New Earth still includes running.
Sir, I am dedicated, have studied.
Oh my god, he's the main character in this movie, isn't he? We're gonna have to put up with this, aren't we? Okay, hold on. How long have humans been on this planet? As soon as they got here, aliens attacked them. But they had time to build these elaborate houses? And is that a huge city I see in the background? Every frame of this movie creates more questions than it answers. How did a guy as socially awkward as this movie presents him to be ever establish contact with this woman, let alone a relationship?
How were finals?
When you came back home, it was daytime. You're just now asking him this question?
May I go to my room, sir?
Denied! Sit down!
Will Smith is a dick to the human that came from his It's not an official movie set in the future without holograms. Ah, I see the hammock has replaced the bed in the future. I don't like this.
You take it easy on your father. He's a little rusty.
Should you really be talking to your preteen son about your sex life? Well, someone saw Star Wars. Oh wow, movie that came out good and well after John Carter also cribs a little from John Carter and thinks I won't notice. But I did. The future's lone innovation to today's iPad is to make it floppy. The other thing about holograms is that everybody can get up in your business. And we're seriously, as a species, going to reject full-color graphics on our devices in the future? We're going back to the graphics of the VIC-20 computer? I'm gonna play Lunar Lander again? The f***? Floppy iPad burrito. Conveniently, everyone falls asleep except for Jaden, so he can sneak off to explore the ship. Room with dangerous shit in it is easily accessible. Also, room with dangerous shit in it has a wall that is made of wheat for some reason.
Can you read?
Hey, can you lock? Also, people out of nowhere are in this section of the ship, and were apparently making no noise whatsoever when Kit came back here.
Kit, we have to go right now.
Oh good, here comes the all-important flashback told to us in foggy fragments. It's really more interesting that way. No, it isn't. Cypher's wedding band can detect trouble with the ship. Apparently the Ursa can only detect human fear at a distance of 10 feet.
Your body's filling with adrenaline right now.
But why? The Ursa is in a cage.
Attention on deck!
Where is he standing right now? How did he get in here? Is there a special commander's entrance into the Ursa storage room?
What's the last known position of the closest asteroid storm?
This guy's so good he can f***ing sense asteroid storms. So why is there any tension in this movie at all?
I detected graviton vibrations in the hull.
But you detected how?
It's my wedding band, of course.
Mass expansion is 1 in a million.
Then explain the graviton buildup, asshole.
How often are you wrong?
My wife would give a very interesting answer to that question.
Those wives. But do you have an answer to that question? These dicks should be dead. Forget about one of these hitting them. Shouldn't a whole bunch of asteroids be hitting them? I mean, did they find a clear roadway in a surprising asteroid field?
Warning. This planet has been declared unfit for human habitation.
You need to press the red light before the computer will tell you that? This is one of those things where you swear they added it so that Will Smith could show how amazingly smart his character is.
Repeat. Do not attempt to land.
Oh, by the way, this is your old homeland, Earth. Not important to the discussion. Just don't land there.
Set her down.
But please do so in a way that leaves everyone on this ship dead except for me, my son, and the deadly human-killing Ursa, please.
We took heavy damage from an asteroid storm and are going down with bingo power.
If this term bingo power is being used correctly, that means they have enough power to get back to the place they intended to land. But in this context, it doesn't sound like that at all. It sounds like someone said, it'd be cool if we had the pilot say bingo power. Let's do that. Back to where this movie started during the opening credits. We sure needed that quick glimpse into this scene, or else I would have already left the theater by now. Thank God he was strapped in, or else he might not have survived that crash from tens of thousands of feet like his dad did. Hey, let's save a little money here just by cutting to black. You sure that's not a cop-out? Who cares? Yep, definitely should take off the oxygen mask after crash landing on an alien planet. You're positive there's breathable air, so what's the harm, right? See? That's great, but didn't we already see plenty of hole punches down the rest of the ship's hallway? How does closing this one thing let you breathe normally? Okay, so Cypher was getting sucked out of the ship by something. It's not like whatever sucks you out of a ship stops doing it once you get out of view. Plus, the ship went through numerous other calamities after this. So, come on, he's dead already.
Rangers, count off! Rangers, count off!
Yep, only the Smiths survived this crash. This shit still works. As we find out, Earth is sustaining life pretty well, full of trees and wildlife. Maybe it's an evolutionary thing, but seems like there's plenty of oxygen, and it doesn't make any sense why he needs the miles.
Your life suit and backpack are equipped with digital and virtual imaging, so I will be able to see everything that you see. And what you do not see.
Well, that sounds like insanely convenient bullshit to me. You have like little cameras that somehow broadcast a signal back to the ship where someone can watch it on some sort of TV? What for? This ship was just transporting a bunch of people to a training mission, right? So they thought of giving everyone incredibly useful suits like this, but not have more homing beacons?
Everything on this planet has evolved to kill humans.
But why? This is Earth. Didn't you assholes leave? Like, long enough ago that there aren't any buildings or any kind of signs here of former human life? Wouldn't this planet's inhabitants have evolved since then to kill something else? Is this the stupidest line in 2013 film history?
This is Earth.
Does he just think about this shit constantly, no matter what is said to him?
There are three possibilities. The first and most likely is that it died in the crash.
Like we did.
What happened?
You didn't see that?
Exactly my question. How do you have digital and thermal imaging and not see what happened? Everything on this planet has evolved to kill humans, except those birds you see back there.
Initiating remote probe recon. Primary target, Ursa.
You couldn't do this earlier, before your kid went out into the wilderness?
Most of the planet freezes over completely at night.
That's why there's such amazingly lush vegetation and wildlife everywhere. Geez, every useful thing except the f***ing beacon survived this crash.
It's Moby Dick. He said I could even hold on to it.
Hold on to what?
Yeah, this isn't the pronoun game here, man. She 100% meant the book. I know the book is called Moby Dick, but damn. Do you think your daughter would freely tell you that the guy meant his penis?
Did they really kill these whales?
Christ, here we go. In the absence of humans, Earth has turned into Endor.
Your suit is made of smart fabric. It has motion sensors.
Smart fabric? Are you f***ing serious? And what good is it if you don't personally know where the danger is, and you have to rely on somebody reading your thermal and digital imaging to tell you where it's coming from? Also, this so-called smart fabric didn't do anything earlier when the tarantula ran across his hand, or when he saw all those buffalo and birds. You're telling me the suit can detect threats?
I'm tracking a life form moving toward you from the west.
Okay, so despite knowing the direction the thing is coming from, Katai continues looking around in circles. I know he didn't make Ranger, but geez, does he know nothing about orienteering? These monkey things are right on top of him, but somehow he gets a 50-yard head start into the next shot. There was literally nothing he could do that would allow these monkeys to catch up to him. Monkeys have the same weakness as the aliens in science.
They are no longer in pursuit. Cadet, you are not being followed.
Man, I could almost make a bonus round of all the things Will Smith says that his son ignores in this movie. Suit changes back to normal just now, after the danger is long past.
I can't see.
The question is, why can't Cypher tell him where to direct his hands? You know, these cameras are both convenient and inconvenient depending on what the story needs. Plants from the happening continue to f*** with Earth long after we're gone. Who is camera? Self-surgery.
Come on, Dad, blow.
I'll admit, I like the idea of a scene where Zoe Kravitz says something to Will Smith containing the words blow, dad, and come on. But this isn't how I would have written it. These things are in a pretty safe pouch. He didn't crash into anything, so how are there damaged oxygen things in here?
4 vials remain, sir.
Computer suddenly beeps loudly because of a couple extra heartbeats per minute. Also, wait a minute, his heart rate went up a couple of beats per minute. That motherfucker is lying to me about the oxygen vials, isn't he? Also, why does he feel the need to lie about this? It's not like he did anything to destroy those vials. Also, Cypher can see everything except for this little deception. Remember earlier when he was asking his son to blink his eyes, and he could f***ing see his son's eyes while doing so? I know you guys are expecting a cinerama here with this thing, but honestly, this movie's mostly just boring, really.
Abort mission.
Okay, fuck you. You put your kid out in this horribly dangerous world where anything can kill him, and now you want him to come back because you don't think he can make the jump? And what's the plan after that? Well, I guess we'll die anyway. F*** it. Also, has Kit once followed your orders during this entire mission? Come on, man. Excuse to have a father-son argument is excuse.
Don't come out.
Flashback about sister's horrible Ursa death continues to pad the film's length.
Katai, you've got incoming.
Yeah, but his suit didn't change, so it's probably not a threat. Kit wakes up just in time to defend himself during a random jungle cat attack on an eagle nest.
No! Leave them alone!
Katai has feelings for the children of the giant eagle that plans to eat him. Movie rips off the Ex Machina giant eagles from Lord of the Rings. Don't know what it is about this scene that's so weird. Maybe it's because it looks fake as shit. Nice of the Ursa to scream right when the general discovered this shot of the dead fellow soldiers. Also, I'm trying to figure out how an Ursa does this. This is super high up in the trees. We haven't heard anything about these monsters' flying or climbing abilities. Hey, how come the motion sensing suits didn't turn black with the motion of these f***ing wild pigs over here, huh? Asshole idiot kid who doesn't know what direction east is somehow can build a raft from scratch in 15 minutes.
It's time for you to wake up.
Hallucination Ex Machina. Also, when you hallucinate your dead sister, make sure she looks sexy as hell.
But you did the right thing.
Forgiveness via hallucination. Also, forgiveness from beyond the grave is a handy thing for this kid to have, considering how haunted he is by letting his sister die.
Why couldn't you ghost?
Well, she's ghosting right now, right?
Katai, wake up.
Even Jaden Smith's hallucinations are getting tired of his bullshit. Oh hey, the suit changes color when it gets cold too. How cool a feature is that, since human beings are unable to sense temperature without visual cues from their clothing? Not to be outdone, M. Night Shyamalan goes the Tolkien/Peter Jackson route and Aquila Ex Machinas this shit into overdrive. Everything on this planet has evolved to kill humans, except the handful that have evolved to protect humans, that is. Atmosphere isn't hazardous anymore now that you have hope. So wait, there's a beacon that can shoot all the way across space, and it gets sidetracked by signal interference? But who is camera?
It is the ionic layer in the atmosphere above your current position. It is causing electrical interference. That is why the beacon is not firing.
Yeah, because space doesn't contain anything that can interfere with signals. What use is a beacon like this if it gets jammed by the Earth's atmosphere?
It has found you.
Yet once again, Kit's suit does not change. Movie steals the alien is directly in the general vicinity of the hero, but alien is nowhere to be found thing from aliens. He survives this cave tumble? By the way, while we watch this Ursa attack Kit, I think it's an important question as to why it doesn't need any special oxygen vials or anything to live on this planet. He survives this. Movie claims that the Ursa has its leg stuck in the hole, and movie is lying to me.
Climb in here, okay? It won't be able to smell you.
The Ursa is attacking them in their home, which continues the weird question this movie has yet to answer. Why did the aliens who bred and unleashed the Ursa allow these settlements to be built up in the first place? Why didn't they blow these things up? They just unleashed these monsters everywhere, and I guess then they pieced out to some other planet, while the Ursa took care of the humans. How does Kitai eventually learn to ghost? He remembers his sister dying, which he's only done in this movie about 12 times already.
You're still in that box.
Now Kit is having a flashback to a hallucination. I love how the Ursa is this super fearsome killing thing, but without the smell of fear, it apparently literally has zero other senses. Jaden Smith is Ghost Dog. Apparently, beacons are literal beams of light that shoot into the atmosphere. This seriously couldn't beat the ionic layer a minute ago? Slow motion medical attention. Also, this might be the most doctors per human being in the history of medicine. None of these doctors' purple suits are turning black at the movement of other nearby humans.
Stand me up.
Cypher tries to one-up the one-legged guy from earlier in the movie. Moby Dick reference pays off. Somehow. Didn't mean that much to this story, but sure. Whales. This logo looks like a goth chick's tattoo. 53 seconds of logos. A talking head scene with a character explaining their backstory as narration's annoying cousin.
My parents, if I were defending them, which I'm not, had said back in the day that he had an impatient eye. They didn't like him.
Not too many parents in the world who would like a substitute teacher putting the moves on their teenage daughter. Also, Loretta still doesn't seem to understand why this would be a problem despite now being a parent.
My parents looked me up on the internet, asked to meet their grandchildren.
So you decide to send your kids off to meet your parents and you don't show them any pictures or have a quick chat on the phone?
They're good people.
Good people that you've hated so much you haven't spoken to them in 15 years.
I'm on the text with 2 separate girls.
Explain on the text?
Yes, please do. I may be old as but I know that's not a thing.
Your phones won't work all the way out there. You'll be home Saturday.
Quick, cram in some expositional sentences before the mother leaves. Also, how does she know the phones won't work? She hasn't been there in 15 years. Technology has come a long way, lady.
You know, I used to be a pretty good actor.
Oh my,
This ticket collector is unbelievably chummy. It's almost like he's here to drop a not-so-subtle hint about the twist at the end of the movie.
I'm chilling again. I'm feeling again. I'm like Iron Man and Batman. I'm a hero again.
Well, I have no problem if this kid dies already. Also, this movie dedicates too much time to this kid rapping. I looked away for a second and thought my computer decided to change to Maddie B. Rap's YouTube channel. 2 people we find out later are crazy and can't remember anything somehow make this appointment to pick up the kids at the right place and time.
She's a good cook.
How could she know this? The food in that container is clearly unconsumed, and she just got here.
This is the perfect cinematic image to open the documentary.
So are we just watching all the raw footage, or did she want her documentary to be extremely meta?
Wait! Wait, don't touch it. Just let it organically swing.
This goes on for some time.
Let it organically swing.
The perfect cinematic image to open the documentary includes her brother weirdly smiling behind the swing.
There's the clock that she told us about.
Their mom explained the clock in great detail, but never got around to describing what her parents look like.
Why are your pants so low?
I rap.
Okay, 2 things. His pants are on normally, and I rap is not a suitable excuse for low pants. I know plenty of people that wear their pants low and don't rap.
The girls, they like me.
This goes on for some time.
You remind me of a pineapple upside down cake. Ho!
I guess in freestyle rap, you don't actually have to rap about the topic. You just have to say it at the end. Also, ho? Why would he drop a ho bomb around his grandparents?
By the way, there's mold in the basement. We don't want you guys to get sick.
It's good these kids know nothing about mold, because if they did, they would know mold travels with the flow of air, which would screw them up regardless of where they are. Also, Becca doesn't find it odd that there aren't any pictures of Nana and Pop Pop around their house. Pretty sure Nana and Pop Pop are not paying for broadband internet, making it impossible for them to have a perfect HD Skype call with Mom. I guess they're trying to get their money's worth for Catherine Hahn.
Walmart sales associate's going to be on the world's largest cruise ship.
I bet literally thousands of Walmart associates have been on cruise ships.
This is the first camera that Mom found in the damaged goods bin.
Movie narrowly avoids me sinning them for this 15-year-old daughter of a Walmart sales associate owning this camera, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Kid does a SpongeBob impression. What kid does sit-ups in flannel at their grandparents' house? Read a book or jack off in the bathroom or something.
I've decided to use female pop singers' names instead of cursing from now on.
This seems sexist somehow.
Becca, T-Diamond Stylus,
Every adult humors that kid to an insane degree, even the insane people. This haircut is known as the child actor. I'm now worried that I'm going to be forced to share a jail cell with Jared Fogle. This is another similarity between the movie and a Royal Caribbean cruise. Well, it appears the Amityville horror obsession with chopping firewood infests all horror movie villains.
You need me?
Manufactured swoopy sound to create a jump scare-ish, because the filmmakers remembered they were actually trying to make a horror movie. How is he able to scoot this fast and not hit his head on anything? This doesn't seem possible. Nana saw The Ring. For a feeble old woman, Nana has a pretty good crab crawl.
I used to be an actor back in my day.
The only reason I can gather for Bob Costas over here to harass this girl about his previous acting experience is that this is some kind of hint that Nana and Pop Pop are acting like they are grandparents, and that makes me sad. Also, he and the Amtrak guy both leave out the most important part of that line, "It's a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing," which basically sums up the movie.
Tell them there's a lot of excitement down at the hospital. I can't wait to tell them. I know they love gossip.
And by excitement, he means that 2 of the patients are missing? Because that sounds more like a legit problem than excitement.
It smells like ass in here.
Shouldn't he be able to correctly identify the smell of human feces? I mean, we saw him going to the bathroom on the train.
Oh, shit!
Exactly. And all signs were pointing to this being a filled pile of diapers. It smells like ass, there were flies buzzing over this mysterious pile, and you saw what looks like Depends. You had that coming, kid.
He hides his accidents in the shed, and then I think he burns them out in the field. He's such a physical man, he gets ashamed.
This is the most depressing horror film I've ever seen.
This was young Loretta's high school.
Wait, why aren't these kids in school? There's no Thanksgiving or Christmas decorations anywhere, so it's not like it's taking place over a holiday break. Did their mom just yank them out of school for a week to visit total strangers so she could hop on a boat and f*** her hot boyfriend? I see why there was a rift in the family over Loretta's shitty decision-making. An escaped mental patient beats a man in the middle of town in broad daylight and totally gets away with it. Maybe if the hospital didn't refer to dangerous people escaping their care as excitement and gossip, cops could be on the lookout for this exact kind of thing. Also, did they just throw that camera in a puddle? Not only can it collect footage all day, but it's also waterproof. Good find, Mom. This movie is a lot like Paranormal Activity, only with way more naked grandmas.
It's called sundowning.
If it's called sundowning, then why is 9:30 the magic time, and not like 6 or whenever the sun sets in the winter up north? If you're going to murder a couple people and take over their lives, it's pretty important that you pick people who wear the same size clothes.
I spilled some biscuit batter on it. I tried to clean it with cleaner.
Nana isn't great at making her vandalism look like an accident.
I downloaded the definition of sundowning.
Why? She downloaded something she could have just looked up.
It's got to do with neurological reactions to sunshine and moonlight.
I did my own reading on sundowning and got different results that are mostly related to Alzheimer's, but then again, I didn't download anything.
Just come to accept they're old people and things won't be as weird.
That's racist.
That's so weird, I can't see you.
I looked it up. Wi-Fi to access Skype on a Royal Caribbean cruise is $25 a day. This Walmart associate is totally wasting our money.
I knew we were gonna have this call. You're old, Tyler.
There's a huge difference between regular elderly forgetfulness and a shed full of dirty diapers. Also, her parents aren't that old. They're in their early 70s and active and lucid enough to volunteer.
The hairy chest competition's about to begin. I can hear the cougars clapping.
And later, guys, I'm gonna have unprotected sex with that dude who isn't your dad. His penis is huge. Anyway, see you later. Is Nana coming on to me?
Nana, could I ask you about Mom?
For the first time since I got here?
Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it? I'm too big.
Nana was just standing next to Becca, and they are definitely the same size, so this is just an odd request to build tension that leads nowhere.
All the way in.
How deep is this oven? Also, are we supposed to think the grandma is a witch, Hansel and Gretel style?
Where did you first meet Pop Pop?
In a garden.
Becca's next question isn't, could you be a little more specific?
Nana? Nana.
Becca is acting pretty chill about what could possibly be a seizure. The camera just toggled focus, even though no one is operating it. Maybe it's the ghost that this movie isn't about.
I hope things don't get weirder, because I'm at my limit.
I hope you don't rap again, because I'm at my limit. F*** you, Nana.
No, but Dad is hilarious. That's funny. He sent the funny car to the fat lady on the boardwalk.
He sounds exactly as hilarious as a uniquely annoying 13-year-old boy. Can't imagine why Nana and Pop Pop hated this guy.
Your sweater's inside out. Did you know that?
They're in the middle of the f***ing road.
I refuse to use anything that has my dad in it.
So I guess she doesn't realize that her dad is in the footage playing behind her, making the current footage unusable. Nana and Pop Pop keep conveniently leaving right as people stop by. Even though I'm happy this woman isn't reciting Macbeth right now, it's weird that she's ignoring the camera altogether.
They hear all that scuttlebutt down at Maple Shade?
I don't think so.
So there was no follow-up on the scuttlebutt? Would a normal conversation be this lady explaining to the kid about the escapees and then she and her brother running the f*** away?
She's laughing as she's watching TV.
Wouldn't Becca know at this point that they don't have a TV? I feel like the first thing teenagers would do upon their arrival is find the TV, especially if their phones don't work.
I have the deep, darkies.
They're like the Blue Meanies, but racist.
I was just cleaning it.
That's what I always say when someone walks in on me while he's holding a gun. We needed a reminder that this kid is a germaphobe because we are all so bored we forgot. This is M. Night Shyamalan's attempt to break into the paranormal activity genre of horror, but he forgets to add any paranormal or any activity. Okay, that's a pretty good jump scare, but let me ask this question. We find out there's nothing supernatural going on. So how does a crazy old lady in a trance know the camera is there in the dark, and forms a plan to jump scare the shit out of anybody who watches the footage? I mean, you, she didn't see that camera. And after that, she was no longer pissed at the camera and politely put it back where she found it. Also, why didn't we see the kids' reactions to the jump scare? Isn't that the important thing here? Wouldn't that be entertaining to watch? Hey, I have a great idea for a show called Kids React.
We're ending this trip tonight.
Better idea, end this trip right f***ing now.
Yeah, I used to run around the factory at night. Only I saw it. Started telling people about it, and they didn't believe me. Had yellow eyes.
This is the scary movie M. Night should have made. By the way, while we're sitting here watching footage of Becca's documentary, why hasn't she sent her mom any of it? Yeah, maybe she doesn't want anybody to see it until she's done with it, but it seems like if she wants more answers, she'd try and show her mom some of this movie. Stacy doesn't immediately leave and contact the authorities to tell them that the crazy people who are missing are living in the house of the nice elderly couple who are also missing. Also, a girl who is certain these people killed the actual grandparents willingly walks behind the house. And apparently she is murdered without the kids even hearing it. And hell, these kids are curious enough that I'm shocked they didn't follow them with a camera somehow.
I know a story. It's about water.
Is M. Night Shyamalan trying to remind us that Lady in the Water happened?
These creatures spit into the water. Their spit can make you sleep. Creatures from another planet have many people at the bottom of the pond. They are going to take them back to their planet of Sinmorphatelia one day.
Becca is not acting like this is the weirdest f***ing thing she has ever heard.
What are you doing?
This is how children play, okay?
Method acting. Conveniently, or inconveniently due to how much time it took them, the kids figured out a way to get the dry batter off the webcam just in time for the movie's finale. Why they couldn't do it earlier is beyond our comprehension.
Becca, Tyler babies.
A sane mother would have asked, who the hell are those people 2 minutes ago?
Masonville Police Department.
Also, why call the Hick police directly? Her children have basically been kidnapped. Call 911. They could send a wide array of first responders to the house. I think fake grandpa just got coked up.
Could you clean the oven for me, Becca?
Since Becca cleaned that oven 2 days ago and she just found out these aren't her grandparents, I feel like she has a pretty good excuse to say no. Nothing comes of this, yet we are still bothering with it. This is a small girl, but that oven door can really hold some weight. They just don't make them like they used to. Bizarro, Nana, and Pop Pop murdered Stacy in the middle of the day and hung her corpse from a tree, but the kids don't see it until right now.
See? He's using strategy. A Milton Bradley approved strategy.
This game was made by Hasbro, Pop Pop.
Sometimes that guy can be a teenage girl. Also, is her desire to be right really so strong that she'd contradict an insane murderer right to his face? I choose to believe she actually got Yahtzee. Also, scaring with your mouth open. And that's why you never volunteer at a mental institution. Also, I find it really hard to believe that she couldn't smell decomposing bodies. It doesn't matter how cold it is down there, you would smell something.
Wasn't it a perfect week? I promised her it would be.
Well, they had to murder someone else, and they didn't have cell service, so it was fine. When does Tyler get hit in the head, and why didn't we get to see it? I would have enjoyed that. Pop Pop is playing with fire now, freeballing with fecal incontinence.
I never liked you.
Understandable, he heard the rapping. Knowing where Nana Claire is at all times seems like a must, yet here we are getting more establishing shots of the room.
You have a problem with germs, don't you?
I don't think anyone needs to have a problem with germs to find this disgusting. Is Nana gonna turn into a butterfly? Just push her off the bed. She'd for sure break a hip. Movie steals the Deus Ex Machina from Tangled. Putting your victims in a suitcase or hanging them from a tree is old news. Cannibalism is the new thing for Nana.
Eyes on the runner! What is it? What is it?
A past sports failure is overcome, and comes in handy at the final moment to stop the bad guy. Also, the exact same thing happened to the Joaquin Phoenix character in Signs. This is a very specific motif. I think M. Night Shyamalan is trying to exorcise some pretty hardcore childhood demons. Someone check his Little League records. Her camera can really withstand that beating and still record. I want to find this garbage bin with magic cameras in it.
I hit my mother, and then my dad hit me.
That's it. That's the incident that made her hate her parents for 15 years. She started it.
They reached out to me soon after. I refused to take their calls.
For 15 years. Incredible. This lady is a real piece of work. Hope her kids know never to fight with mom or she'll cut them off until they die.
Don't hold on to anger, Beck.
What a false equivalence. A teen girl who hates her father for abandoning their family is a totally different thing from a teen girl and then a grown woman in her 30s who hates her parents for telling her she has a boyfriend, who, by the way, they were totally right about. Also, I'd be less concerned about Becca and her brother holding on to anger at their father than I would be about them having just killed 2 people. Just because it's self-defense doesn't mean they won't need a boatload of therapy. Reading. Movie ends with more 13-year-old white boy rap. just in case you were jonesing after the other 2 times. Also, after an ordeal like this, wouldn't Becca's documentary be like a huge hit movie? Wouldn't they be famous? Or is this one of those dime a dozen fake grandparents who escaped from a mental institution and posed as someone's real grandparents type of stories? Whew, I'm actually glad this is a pre-movie logo. For a second there, I thought I was about to accidentally watch After Earth. Comcast. 47 seconds of logos might amount to restraint in the current movie climate, but it's still sinful as
Happy birthday!
Man, Anya Taylor-Joy didn't even look this lonely in The Witch.
That's what happens when you do a mercy invite.
So Casey is that weird outsider girl that no one is friends with? Where's this high school where the misunderstood outsider girl is also the hottest one?
I believe you wanted to invite everyone.
Dad, I can't invite everyone in my art class except for one person.
Wait, her f***ing art class was the only target for invites? Is Claire in 3rd grade?
I'm proud of you, I think.
She gets detention a lot, and she yells at teachers sometimes.
Expositional parenting. This abduction takes place outside a pretty f***ing crowded strip mall in broad daylight, but nobody notices the lengthy attack on the father or the incapacitation of 3 teenagers.
This is the one that he's really funny. He does these like weekly videos.
The girl's final moments of freedom are spent discovering the CinemaSins YouTube channel for the first time. This mirror is pointing severely downward and could not be used for anything except building suspense. Certainly not for driving. If Dennis shuts the trunk, that would imply that the confrontation with Claire's dad is ended, right? So why does Casey see nothing in the side mirror right after the suspicious banging, but sees the spilled leftovers right after he shuts the trunk? Did super clean freak Dennis just kick those to-go boxes over for fun after he knocked out Claire's dad? Also, geez, look at all those leftovers. Didn't those girls eat anything?
Hey!
I know we're going for suspense and the girls in the back were absorbed in their phone, but dude was in the car for 30 f***ing seconds before anyone says a f***ing word. That is entirely too many seconds. Okay, several things here. First off, why does he immediately take off the mask after spraying the girls? The knockout juice was shot directly at Claire and Marcia, sure, but that shit's an airborne toxin, and this is a tightly closed sedan. Second, Dennis doesn't know anything about the Casey in the front seat, but assumes she'll be chill enough to let him work through some before he starts driving away. Third, I assume everything in the Abduct a Teenager handbook says you get the out of there immediately, rather than waste several seconds contemplating the consciousness of the abducted teens. Basically, I'm saying this teenage abduction in more ways than just regular this teenage abduction. God damn it, you literally have your pinky on the lock, your hand on the handle, and he's not even looking at you. Green light!
What the hell is going on? What are we doing here? What happened to my dad?
Claire asks Casey a series of questions that there is no way for her to know the answer to. This movie is really just an excuse to showcase Anya Taylor-Joy's ability to cry one tear at a time. Damn, this elderly woman lives at the top of a 3-story walk-up, but isn't the slightest bit out of breath when she walks in. Maybe she's a superhero.
3 students abducted. The father of one of the students woke up dazed in King of Prussia. He found the kids and the car missing.
Wait, every time we see Dennis use the sleep spray, it takes a long f***ing time for the victim to wake up. It takes at least 30 minutes to get from King of Prussia to the Philadelphia Zoo. And the girls woke up after Dennis threw them in the cell. So Dad was just f***ing laid out in the middle of a crowded parking lot until he woke up with no help? I knew Philly was a rough city and all, but damn. This is an orgy of evidence that this is a therapist's office. Park a lounger for analysis? Check. Cases full of books that look like they've been read? Got it. Weird gazelle-looking artifact to spur conversation? Sure, I guess. The subject of Barry's email says, "We need you," but when Dr. Fletcher opens the email, the subject is R.E. no subject. I, for one, am excited about the spin-off film No Subject, the case of the missing email subject. Dr. Fletcher has the most generic computer desktop in history, with no icons except desktop and recycle bin. I guess the only way to get to email is to click on that nondescript trapezoid on the bottom left. Also, this doctor apparently saves emails that were sent over 4 years before this movie came out. Also, even though some of these emails are clearly about appointments and involve patients, Barry is the only name that has the last name de-identified.
It doesn't matter if you open that door, Claire. There's a second locked door.
Right, but if she's able to unlock this door just by turning the lock knob with persistence, who's to say she can't do that again?
We should drop a crazy-ass bomb on him.
Like make him watch The Last Airbender all the way through. Also, protagonists loudly plan escape, when the antagonist could easily be on the other side of the door cliché.
Why do you do this? Why do you act like this? Why do you act like you're not one of us?
Is Claire saying this because she and Marcia's personalities are so indistinguishable from each other that they might as well be the same person?
Females are smarter than the males, but you know that. It's like humans.
This dad is a good dad, which guarantees that he'll be dead before the end of the movie. Maybe Casey blank stares so much because she's living half her life in expositional flashbacks.
Boys make too much noise.
Yes, they do.
I'll let you know when I hear something that makes sense.
Casey knows just what to do in this situation because she went deer hunting that time.
That's supposed to be like a tailored jacket, but I'm gonna hand print it with newspaper headlines.
So this is Dennis, who's posing as Barry, and he's only there to obfuscate the abduction from Dr. Fletcher because he knows Barry sent her an email earlier. But if this is Dennis, why does he not only have Barry's accent, but he also knows about fashion? Dennis is supposed to be a completely different personality. My point is, this movie's explanation for how these personalities interact.
How's work? Well, when I last spoke to them, they believed you were a model employee.
So much so that they let you live in an underground f***ing bunker on site.
Does anybody care about us?
Yes, the University of Paris has asked me to do a lecture, in fact. People are believing more.
Because they're rejecting the idea that you need evidence and stuff. Also, listen, even if I ignore the controversy about dissociative identity disorder being real, diagnosable pathology, there is certainly very little evidence of it being a dangerous disorder, except, outside of a universe created by the same dude that did The Happening. I'm going to take this part of the movie with the biggest grain of salt ever created.
I actually
enjoyed your sketches, Barry. You're usually very protective of them.
Even though Dr. Fletcher is pretty sure Barry's not Barry, this prompts her to do nothing until he emails her again.
They always use their thumbs. Flick it, flick it.
I'm not entirely sure these two elderly women aren't watching porn.
Absolutely free.
Yep.
I don't know how you work with those people. What people? Your patients.
That's pacist.
I don't believe it. Yeah. No offense.
This was Barrett's exact response to everyone who said, no really, Split is good, man, you would totally love it. Movie expects me to believe that these three girls are all able to see through the crack in the door at the same time, even though Marcia is looking at the back of Claire's head and Casey is crouching near the center of the door. Also, if they're looking through the crack, why is Patricia's head obscured? Because it's more interesting to reveal that Patricia and Dennis are actually the same person when he opens the door?
There's how many are there?
The way this movie is set up, the only time the other identities don't know what each other is doing depends solely on the convenience of the plot.
He's not allowed to touch you.
Not only is it rarely diagnosed, it's super rare for people with DID to not only have the means, but time to play dress-up for every single f***ing personality.
Well, were they open this time with the new evidence?
You submitted video of a dog acting differently to one of your patients at different times.
With the over 600 patients her filing cabinet suggested, you'd think she'd be able to muster up better evidence than that.
Speak of them like they're supernaturally gifted, like they have powers or something.
Force-arguing.
We have brain scans now. DID patients have changed their body chemistry with their thoughts.
I'm guessing she didn't have that evidence before the due date, forcing her to send the dog video instead. Also, it's telling that I would much more easily accept being exposed to gamma radiation, or being bitten by a super spider, or being a bioengineered raccoon as a more plausible origin for a superhuman story than this. Jesus, even for a doctor, this is some unintelligible handwriting, and there's no chance Fletcher would be able to get any information from her own notes.
He's on the move.
As a 9-year-old, Hedwig loves to play games, and one of his favorites is the pronoun game.
You're not the lady.
What are you, blind?
Hey, no need for that sass, considering you all know you live in the same person's body, and you know you're stuck inside one person's head.
I stole the light from Mr. Dennis, but he'll be back real soon, and he'll know and get angry.
And they're aware of each other.
But Mr. Dennis? He said that he followed those two girls for 4 days?
So were Marcia and Claire together for 4 days? Or did Dennis follow Claire and Patricia follow Marcia? Wait. Also, if he was stalking them, why did he pick the moment after the birthday party, when another girl and Claire's dad was with them to finally abduct them? Come the f*** on. We just saw Hedwig in full Hedwig costume walk away, so it took less than 13 f***ing seconds for him to change mentally and sartorially into Dennis? This zoo just happens to have human-sized ductwork to properly regulate the temperature of this underground bunker. Claire should have known she'd be caught after hiding in what is clearly Davy Jones' locker.
Look at your sweater. It's ruined. It's dirty. Remove it.
Because we have hot teenage girls in our movie, and we're gonna make the most of it, damn it.
You'll not see your friend again.
So why didn't he put them in different cells in the first place? There's obviously plenty of room, and a guy as fastidious as Dennis should know that it's more difficult to deal with 3 versus 1 in an enclosed area.
You take off your skirt, you take off your shirt. Clothes you got all dirty from the dust.
What's casually played as one of Dennis's pervy character traits is another cheap excuse for the filmmaker to add a little disturbing sex appeal to this movie.
The differences in the identities can be dramatic.
So much so that they feel the need to dress up individually so moviegoers can easily distinguish them.
Have these individuals, through their suffering, unlocked the potential of the brain?
No.
Jay, what health-conscious fast food purveyor did you originally solicit to buy these chicken wings you've so lovingly reheated in a minor suicidal gesture?
Goddamn, M. Night was apparently possessed by Aaron Sorkin for a minute.
So look around 318.
M. Night Shyamalan continues his Hitchcockian desire to have a cameo in all of his movies, only this time his character is Hitchcockian hacker hooving Hooters.
What are you up to, Dennis? Or is it Patricia who's deciding things?
Or we can make up all new personalities, like the ones that were casually mentioned previously in the therapy office. Glenda? LeBron? Aloysius? What are those assholes up to?
We're not gonna die.
I mean, I'm not gonna die. Sorry, I said we there, because there's no fucking way you survive this.
It's good. It's got paprika in it.
Damn it, as much as I'm bagging on this movie for having a ridiculous premise, James McAvoy's performance is awesome. I'll take a sin off for Dennis, another for Patricia, and half a sin for Hedwig because it's good acting, but he still kind of annoys me.
I've heard that Asian people's music aids digestion.
Citation needed. Of all the potentially lethal or incapacitating items in this kitchen, Marcia goes with the clunky folding chair, which has a 100% rate of ineptitude both in movies and WWE events. So the Beast is a legendary figure in Kevin's mind, but Hedwig says he's done terrible things to people before. Does he mean in actuality? Because Kevin Barry's been chilling at this job for 10 years, and Fletcher's never met the Beast, so when the did that happen?
See, every one of us has to wait in a chair, and Barry, he decides who stands in the light.
If all the personalities are sitting in chairs waiting for their turn in the light, then what the are they doing in the meantime? Do they all have fidget spinners or something to keep them occupied? Fletcher may indeed be a doctor, but the only degree we're clearly shown here is a master's, so I'm calling into question her qualifications. Also, Tulane University's obviously a made-up school anyway.
Can I guess that you emailed me in the middle of the night due to garden variety issues?
And Dr. Fletcher is the anti-Sherlock. She's seen the news reports of the girls that were taken on the same day Barry emailed her. She also knows Dennis and Patricia support this terrible Beast character, and that they're likely at the wheel here. And yet she hasn't done jack to alert the police or a colleague or anyone that could be helpful in figuring out if there's a link to the girls. She's just been jacking off with M. Night while eating Hooters.
You and Patricia have never met the Beast. That's because he's not an alter.
Ha ha ha, case closed. Nice job, Karen. Let's wrap this up and head down to Applebee's while it's still happy hour. Hang on, does every alter get their own room? And if so, how efficient is that? There were 23 of them, and Barry has the light the majority of the time, so is he supposed to clean up all their feed the gerbils, etc.? This dance is equal parts hilarious and terrifying, making it essentially a Drake music video.
I'm being held in a basement. I've been abducted with 2 other girls.
Tell Larry and Fish I said hi. Tell him I still got his orange headphones.
I would be angry at this stupid dick on the other side of the line that doesn't care about a distress call, but I'm more annoyed that this asshole hasn't returned those orange headphones. It's becoming clear that Dennis's real superhuman power is the ability to completely change outfits, this time in 21 seconds.
The Beast is a sentient creature who represents the highest form of human's evolution.
Poor Anya Taylor-Joy, always getting involved with godlike figures that demand personal sacrifice. Jesus, try a comedy.
He believes the time of ordinary humanity is over.
Wait, are we talking about the same Beast that's one of the X-Men? And the one that helped Charles Xavier all those years when he looked a lot like Dennis?
I was going to ask for your last shirt, but I won't.
Because it needs to be slowly ripped off her as she tries to escape later. The email received sound was what got Fletcher over to look at the screen, but that shit's been going on for the last 15 minutes and she just heard it?
We're very similar, you and I.
We are very similar, you and I cliche.
Got a proper quarters for me on a building on the south side?
I'm a huge advocate for people with mental health issues getting good jobs. In fact, it's a great thing. But even people without severe psychiatric illnesses should be looked at suspiciously if they live underground in a fucking zoo, especially if they work there.
I wrote about a woman in Germany who'd been blind for 10 years. Then 3 of her identities developed sight. Her optical nerves regenerated because of her beliefs.
With discoveries like this, Dr. Fletcher should just leave the therapeutic field and dive straight into the clergy.
He's on the move.
What does that mean? I don't understand.
Dr. Fletcher would be excellent at CinemaSins.
Who are you going to meet?
Him.
Damn it, they were about to get through this entire vague conversation without playing another pronoun game.
We need to get out of these rooms.
Claire, who was the first to try and escape certain death 50 movie minutes ago, suddenly remembers she still needs to escape certain death. Oh good, Casey finally found Kevin's hard drive of exposition. This airbox says unable to connect to the internet, even though the Wi-Fi signal at the bottom right shows full bars, and there's no indication that there is no internet connection. That this even sort of works. Fletcher mentioned earlier that the Beast hypothetically lived in a train yard, since Kevin's dad was probably killed by Mr. Glass in Unbreakable. But why does Kevin need to use this particular train to morph into Beastie, other than providing ample time for the girls to try to escape? Yeah, when you see a tough DID case like this, there's always one asshole personality that has to be addressed by his last name. Looking at you, Mr. Pritchard. Dennis finds a completely empty train car with the lights ominously turned off for him to unleash the Beast.
It's an animal!
But how the f would you know this? This can't be the first multiple personality turned supernatural serial cannibal case you've worked, right, Detective Dooley? Fletcher has the wherewithal to write Kevin's full name down, but isn't able to say it out loud, which has a much better shot of making the captive girls aware of it. More like Veins McAvoy, am I right? The Beast loves Dr. Fletcher enough that he cuddles her to death. Okay, even if this is a supernatural cannibal beast thing, why just eat a little bit of the midsection and leave almost the entirety of delicious Marcia meat lying on the floor?
Let's go.
There have now been 2 savage murders, and Casey has heard screams from neither of them. Claire Carpaccio. Yeah, it's creepy and everything, but does the Beast really need to be crawling on the walls right now to get to Casey? Or is he just showing the f*** off? Holy shit, for a guy that just eviscerated 2 teenagers, Kevin's hands are amazingly blood-free.
You kill me.
Wait. Fletcher said it would be goddamn devastating for the alters to hear Kevin's full name. So if it's so f***ing powerful, why does it only last less than 2 fucking minutes again?
Kevin went no grub.
Kevin is asleep.
Why doesn't saying that name work after the first time? Because M. Night says it doesn't work after the first time, motherfuckers. Even though he could easily kill her, the Beast prefers to Padme Casey's shirt for future viewing.
The impure are the untouched.
Let's talk about the Beast's plan. He wants to rid the world of the untouched, but why? Is this just a tiny twist on horror movies always focused on killing the f***ing virgin?
Let him show the world how powerful we can be.
Powerful enough to convince the movie studio to make a sequel.
Just like that crazy guy in the wheelchair that they put away 15 years ago. What was it?
Apparently no other weird murders have happened in metropolitan Philadelphia over the last 15 years, leading this waitress to openly muse about the one other link to a twisty Shyamalan movie.
Mr. Glass.
So is this the big M. Night Shyamalan twist? This movie shares a universe with Unbreakable? Considering the current trends in movies, I wouldn't consider the creation of a cinematic universe a twist. It's really more of an expectation at this point. Wait, David's still working a menial labor job that requires a Dickies work shirt? How has he not moved on to superhero elsewhere? The DCEU could have used his ass for the last 5 years. 47 seconds of logos. I will not be denied my sinning just because you put some narration over this Comcast.
My name is Patricia.
Why does this villain always kidnap in groups? 3 girls in Split, 4 girls here in Glass. Do any of his various personalities care about not getting caught or avoiding detection? It'd be easier to get away with kidnapping people one at a time. Filming your own crimes is so 2017, but that camcorder is circa 2006. And even street thugs would be too embarrassed to be seen using tech that ancient.
Did you leave the door open, T? I closed it.
I know these guys are dumbasses, but isn't the term "I locked it"? See, you know how to close the door, you just don't know how to lock the door. And that's really the most important part of the door thing, the locking. Anybody can just close them.
We about to Salt Bay your ass.
Salt Bay? The meme with the swanky chef doing salt sprinkles on his food? You're gonna do that to a potential intruder? Actual murder. Look, I don't think any business can afford to be closed all day Saturday and Sunday and hope to compete long term. I saw 3 cupcake shops die in my own town because none of the soccer moms that started them wanted to work weekends. I'm just saying, who the buys a cupcake on Monday? Also, he lifted the security gate and unlocked the store to enter, but he never closes the security gate back down, and that makes me nervous. Of all the hilarious bad guy lines that Joseph thought worthy of putting in the book, he decided that "you want to dance creep" and "try me asshat" were worthy of mention.
Good news, they're not calling you the Tiptoe Man or the Float anymore. They're pretty much settled on the Overseer.
Those are all terrible superhero names. Having seen Unbreakable 20 times, better names for David's alter ego include the Guardian, the Poncho, Hood Guy, and Touchy McMemory. Even intentionally terrible hero names would be better. Also, why would a home security company in 2019 need this much fucking paper and paper storage? The Sun here is literally demonstrating great internet legerdemain.
I'm checking the police scanners. They're looking for you pretty aggressively. Be real careful.
Like maybe don't wear the dark green plastic rain hoodie you're known for.
Philadelphia has the new tallest building.
Expositional news broadcast aside, David Dunn comes home, turns on news radio, and walks 3 rooms away to open mail.
Audrey, I have to tell you something.
We're gonna find out she didn't answer because he's dead. No one will be seated during the Bruce Willis's seated scene.
Why did you pick us, Hedwig?
Because you're impure and you haven't done any suffering.
If that's true, how does any of the Horde's multiple personalities know that about any of these girls? It has been 19 years, but is M. Night playing the same dude David ran into from Unbreakable in this scene?
I used to hang out with some shady types down at the stadium in my youth.
Holy it's so obnoxious I'm giving it 20 cents. Does this make the movie better for anyone other than himself? That is one fortuitous bump. I mean, his kid said,
I think he's somewhere here, Dad, in the factory area.
And he bumps into the bad guy on the first trip out to the factory area? For some reason, the movie tries to make it seem like this could be the Beast, even though we know that the Beast's movements are nothing like this. But if you wanted to make this suspenseful, it would have been nice to see the Beast entering the factory instead of harassing homeless dudes in the previous scene. The Beast is so supernatural that even when he throws tables, it looks fake as shit. The f***? It's nighttime. It was just daylight outside. Dr. Staple's been looking for these guys for a while now, I suppose, but how the f*** did they even know they were here? Did they use the same bullshit probability matrix that Joseph did to find the Beast?
You may find a way out of here, but you will have to hurt a lot of officers.
No, he wouldn't. David's only weakness is water, and specifically drowning in water, so he could take a number of bullets while running away from said officers. I just find it crazy that David accepts this instead of checking for other escape routes.
No one needs to get hurt anymore, David.
Wait, you know his name is David? So why have you been waiting to capture him all this time? Or did you assholes just figure his name out 15 minutes ago from the magic leprechaun who told you their location? 188-21-104. The hell is that supposed to denote? The text on the top left says hallway seat, denoting which camera this is. is. So these numbers aren't any kind of unit ID. They're just numbers. They don't mean and there's no reason for them to be there, like M. Night's cameos.
For some reason, there's a threatening identity in the room. The light will automatically strobe and force a different identity to take over.
Oh, strobe lights! It's such an obvious solution when you think about it. Also, what if a completely unthreatening identity comes towards the door and no one is there to watch him? Does the automatic hypno light know when an identity is trying to be tricky?
I've been given 3 days to treat you by whatever means necessary.
That sounds arbitrary. As I watch everyone talking about her behind her back, I'm left to wonder who the made her go back to public school so soon after her ordeal. That person is a big old meanie. Casey walks down this hallway and starts making a right turn before the principal, who has news about Kevin, finally flags her down to tell her about it. Did the principal just expect Casey to be walking down the hall at this moment? And why didn't she try to call her on the intercom before this?
It's a little too close to the light. Do you think you could pick it up for me?
This guy falls for this. Also, I understand that Dr. Staple couldn't tell these psych ward workers that the new patients have special abilities, but giving them some ground rules so they wouldn't get fooled would have been helpful. And the entire movie relies on this hospital's ill-equipped staff to drive the plot.
You can call me Norma.
Oh, I'm so amped! We almost got you, bro!
I'm taking a sin off. I strongly dislike this movie, but that's how f***ing great James McAvoy is in this thing.
When they first brought him here, he memorized a blueprint left out from an electrician and short-circuited the power to the whole hospital.
From that point forward, everyone at the hospital watched Elijah like a hawk and made sure he didn't have access to such things anymore to prevent future issues. Glad he tipped his hand about his intelligence so early in the game. Phew!
Step back against the wall, please.
Also, there's no way for me to verify this until I get into the room, so I'll just trust that you're going to do it and call it a day. Seems like this guy has a few smarter personalities that would know not to run toward the light and try a calmer approach. But we'll never see the Horde try this once in the entire movie.
Where is he?
Patricia plays the pronoun game so that Staple has to ask who the hell he is.
Can I ask you about your mother, Joseph? She passed away from acute lymphoblastic leukemia 5 years ago.
Holy f***. They didn't just write her out of the story, they gave her atomic cancer and killed her ass. Honestly, Basic Divorce would have made a lot more sense, especially given the first movie. Oh look, it's deleted footage from Unbreakable that M. Night is putting in this movie. You can tell because you can actually see Bruce Willis caring about his job in this shot. What the f*** is a school bus doing here? He doing field trips to the psych hospital now? Despite initially rejecting Casey's request to speak to them, and despite that initial rejection being correct, and based on all sound reason and moral righteousness, she's still lets this girl talk to the prisoner guy with 24 personalities who tried to kill her recently. She gets up suddenly and touches him. And not only does the doctor lady not do anything but stand up, the strobes don't go off. This movie only wants to make you think they care about safety.
Kevin?
Remember when you had to say Kevin Wendell Crumb to get Kevin to snap out of all his personalities? Yeah, me neither. But that's a fun idea I just had on my own, not based on a rule stated by a previous movie.
The power of true, loving, physical affection. It's like something supernatural.
Legit one of the stupidest lines of dialogue ever. That includes all the love shit at the end of Interstellar, and all the lines Mark Wahlberg uttered in The Happening.
Out of respect for your cognitive abilities, I have installed cameras on every floor.
Never mind that you've been here for 19 years, we're going to do the exact thing that plays into your grand scheme that you couldn't possibly have known would happen, especially after you cut the power to the entire building and they still didn't amp up the security. This is literally here to serve as a flashy discount foreshadowing moment, and to maybe tip off a few viewers on what's about to go down. That's it. And look, I know sins aren't usually this long, and I'm already being a little self-indulgent by carrying on here, but his entire plan that unfolds at the end depends on there being cameras that capture everything, which he only knows about because she tells him right here. And listen, not Marsha Clark has no reason to overshare here from any kind of logical standpoint.
We're going to conduct the procedure in 3 days.
Hey, that's exactly the amount of time Staple has to convince Kevin and David of their delusions before the state gets a hold of them. That's also goddamn convenient for Elijah's plan. These kids are way too excited about this dude's weightlifting abilities. It's almost like they know this will make Joseph feel bad.
Hey, my man. How'd you get out of your room?
You must have left the door ajar.
And the movie literally never explains this any further, and it's infuriating. How can someone even leave a door ajar in this place without a sensor, a person, or a camera noticing it immediately? Like, does that seem like a door you could even possibly leave ajar? Also, why don't they check the 100 security cameras and find out how he's doing it so that he doesn't do it again? Again with the school buses? I'm starting to think this is a school, and you filmed here mostly during off days, but the exterior shots were done during the school year. The only other explanation is that there is literally a school next door, and they share a parking lot with the criminal psychiatric facility.
I am here to discuss the possibility that you are mistaken.
And that my shirt matches this room merely out of coincidence rather than design.
She said, I have one job to do, keep Kevin out of the light. So, I'm sorry, you won't see him anymore.
Yeah, but why can't she just say Kevin Wendell Crumb again and have it happen? Are you saying that he has control over it because the other personalities don't want him to come out, even when someone says the magic name? Let's bring on all the darkness! Unbreakable suggested David nearly drowned. This movie shows you he was nearly drowned by bullies on purpose, and that's a whole other thing.
What does the intuition feel like?
vision, a moment, a sin.
Does it feel like a joke sometimes? Because sometimes sins feel like jokes. Sometimes they aren't even sins at all.
Have you ever seen Very Good Magicians, David?
She goes on to basically explain away David's own experiences as a super strong person as the work of some kind of warped version of that crossing over guy.
Is it possible that you saw something on the news, then saw an adult acting like a child?
Dr. Staple does present a great case for David not having any super abilities and simply having an amazing intuition. The problem is this would undermine everything on Unbreakable and a whole slew of other criminals he's caught that weren't in the news and didn't have any telltale markers of being bad guys. And David doesn't think about this at all.
If superheroes exist, why are there only 3 of you?
Mr. Glass is definitely not a hero. Yes, Elijah is smart, but superhero? Then there's the nature of the Horde, and Kevin is arguably the only personality inside there that is good, so heroes out the window again.
With the man in the cape and the blue tights on the cover. Booyah! Here we are.
Anyone that has ever cared about comic books fucking hates this guy, because this guy is a creation of an out-of-touch writer and or an out-of-touch studio boss.
What are you doing back there? You're not one of those Hello Kitty pervs.
Nice callback to Unbreakable, but what the hell is Joseph doing that would cause you to say this out loud in the middle of the store? He's just sitting back here minding his own business. It's not even closing time. Also, assuming people that like Hello Kitty are pervs? You, dude, Hello Kitty is awesome! Joseph picks up a random villain comic book that asks who are his parents, and decides that's the big clue that he needs to figure out whatever he's been trying to figure out. He's right, but how many of these comic books about villains don't explore their parentage? He copies the full text, and then, instead of pasting anything, he just types Clarence W. Crumb into a search bar, and that is bad computering. This revelation Joseph has about Kevin's dad is not nearly as satisfying as it might have been had Split not gone through the trouble of showing Kevin at the train station before turning into the Beast, basically informing us that his dad was on the Unbreakable train. It's weird how none of the hundreds of cameras they install here have any kind of motion tracking ability or notify staff when there's a prisoner out of his cell. Also, did Elijah take the warning about the cameras as more of this facility's bullshit? Because he's extremely cavalier about leaving his room after learning this fact, despite his belief that no one is currently watching him. This movie makes way too big a deal out of Kevin Wendell Crumb's dad dying on the train crash Mr. Glass caused back at Unbreakable. I mean, surprising? Maybe. Shocking? Okay. I literally have to throw the shit I'm holding to the ground because of the alarm of the moment? You. Wow, that's amazing. But how did you hollow out your wheelchair's right arm to be a pill holder with separators? Or are you saying this place just let you bring your own previous goddamn wheelchair in here and they didn't discover that secret compartment?
First name Mr., last name Glass.
Come on, Elijah. The lyric is last name ever, first name greatest. And you know what? Like a debilitating bone disease, Drake ain't nothing to play with. On the one hand, anyone's kid can slip away for a moment. On the other hand, bad mom alert. The stuffed animals fall to the floor of this ride car, but then don't topple out onto the track. Because this movie is interested only in symbolism and actively hates realism. This guard here, he hasn't done anything more to Glass than any of the doctors and but it's Glass's breakout night, so dead. And this might not matter if the movie didn't ultimately end on a note trying to redeem Mr. Glass as some sort of literal Elijah prophet to usher in a new age of superheroes.
Took a bitch-ass long time to find the right piece.
Wait a minute, Glass. Seems to be a double meaning here that I can't quite put my finger on because it's so sharp it would cut me, like a knife of some sort. Knives are an example of Oldowan tools. Some of the oldest tools known to man. Oldowan, Padawan. Padawans were featured in Star Wars The Phantom Menace, starring Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. Samuel L. Jackson also played Nick Fury in Avengers Infinity War, where Thor was fitted with a glass eye. Wait a minute. Yes! After studying the cover of Jurassic Park and calling it Galactic Park for 45 minutes, I've realized something. This movie's name is Glass! Sand! Blown! Also, is this the mental health institution that allowed Michael Myers to have a fork in the Rob Zombie Halloween? Because this is exactly why you don't let people who are dangerous have stuff like glass picture frames in the room.
First name Mr., last name Glass.
God damn, the movie loves its own script so much it repeated this line as a transition to a flashback.
Everybody's gonna tell you that I got a big mouth, though. I spoiled the end of movies. Ain't true.
Me! Luckily for Elijah's plan, Kevin starts turning into the Beast for no discernible reason. Also, now is as good a time as any to talk about Elijah's plan. First, it requires the hospital to put up security cameras because of his incredible intelligence, but not for anything he's done recently. Second, there's no way he knew David and Kevin would be here 3 days before the opening of the Osaka Tower, the red herring he needs to put things in motion. Third, it requires the existing staff to be highly terrible at their job. Fourth, it requires both Kevin and David to believe in their abilities right after they were broken down by Staple. Fifth, mad computing skills that could only have been learned 10 minutes a day while one of the incoming nurses talked about vitamin D with one of the guards. You could probably add a 6 through 10 as well. It's that impossible.
Tallest building in this city is opening today.
I feel like this statement should mean nothing to and have no bearing on the f***ing Beast.
That sounds like the bad guys teaming up.
Beating a dead corpse.
One of the Horde may need to walk us out of here, if that's okay.
Is changing Kevin's personalities as simple as just asking? Isn't it great that everyone researched comic books overnight and decided to meet Dr. Staple as soon as she got to work this morning so she wouldn't check the security cameras and put the entire hospital on alert? Not sure what's worse here. This facility keeps a bunch of college freshman dorm square baskets as storage vehicles, or that David immediately finds his own for maximum reminiscing. Okay guys, we need to emphasize that David's rain slicker is just like a cape. Don't worry about how weird it looks, that the cape is blowing around like he's outside right now. Hospitals have natural pockets of wind that emphasize points for movie directors.
You know, the first Superman couldn't even fly.
Based on some cherry-picked comic book details that these people researched last night, these people are trying to convince a doctor that David, Kevin, and Elijah have superpowers. Even if Stable wasn't evil, this wouldn't work. Jesus, it took goddamn forever for this security breach to get reported to the main doctor in this building, didn't it? I'm gonna ask a really stupid question. Hasn't he been subdued, drugged up, and in prison for like 19 years? What kind of code is he writing here? Is it compatible with the OS? I realize the movie's basically just saying he's a genius to explain everything he does in this movie, and, well, that's just not good enough. There's almost a full minute of them gripping and grabbing each other. This is a garden variety wrestling match.
No, you don't understand. All he knows is pain.
I sure am glad Casey returned in this movie. This just isn't a good use for her, pleading with people who have no chance of understanding what she does. She means almost nothing to the plot whatsoever in this movie. I gotta be honest, that van is sturdy as
Casey, the light won't work out here now.
The strobe light? It worked just fine inside his brightly lit cell, so why would daylight be a problem? Also, everyone can just yell Kevin Wendell Crumb again and see what happens.
In comics, the parents of the villains always hold the key to understanding them.
Because we just accept that comic book writers are superhero biographers, why don't we just make the huge leap that it A, must be true for this situation, and B, all comic book characters have exactly the same parental connections.
Kevin's dad didn't just take any train and not come home.
How the f does Kevin not know that Elijah was the mastermind behind the Unbreakable train? At the end of Split, there was the lady at the cafe who said the horde reminded her of the guy in the wheelchair they put away 15 years ago, and David answered Mr. Glass. This means Elijah was in the news. So shouldn't Kevin already know about him? It's almost like M. Night's subconscious knows Unbreakable is the best movie he's ever made, and that's why this one keeps flashing back to that one. It's like watching the movie with him, and he occasionally leans over and whispers, Unbreakable was awesome.
What are the odds that David Dunn and Clarence Wendell Crumb would be together that day?
The real odds you should be talking about, since this is a world where superpowers exist, is why Crumb's father's death was the only one that manifested his kid's abilities, while the thousands of other people you killed didn't manifest
19 years. They almost convinced me I was crazy.
In between your computer programming classes?
The classic term. The enemy becomes the ally because of the heroes. Flinching sense.
Oh, shut the f*** up already. I have to say that Elijah's constant "this is what a comic book does" dialogue is the most annoying thing about this movie, and instantly makes all the times he did it in Unbreakable more annoying as a result. He's going toe-to-toe with Beast while completely submerged in water, but in a few moments when some cops are pressing his face into a tiny street puddle, this f***er's going to have no strength to fight them all, because Christ. More school buses! I could do a bonus round of all the unexplained school buses.
Let me talk to Kevin Wendell Crumb.
Damn, Staple asked you to do this like 6 minutes ago. Where have you been this whole time?
Will you stay in the light with me?
Skip! This puddle is the most offensive thing in a movie since the goddamn Eagles came out of nowhere to save the day in Lord of the Rings. The water in it should not be enough to kill David's strength in fighting off these cop guys. This puddle is a joke, man.
It's just us.
So David touches Staple's hand and he sees this. What does this tell him? Pretty much nothing. Since when does David get visions with this kind of incomplete storytelling? Mr. Glass's ultimate plan was to have some massive showdown get filmed by security cams and broadcast to the internet. A showdown between specials and the SWAT squad, so that all the specials at home living quiet secret lives would be emboldened to come forward and be themselves in public. But it does not require Glass, Dunn, and Split Guy to die. They all do die, but I bet this spectacle could have gotten worldwide attention without that happening.
I wasn't a mistake, Mama.
No, you were spectacular.
My take is that he's not a mistake, but I would use extraordinarily evil before going to spectacular. That's just me. Why does this secret superhuman killing society always take their meetings in a restaurant? Are the cooks and busboys in on it too? Why don't you just rent out someplace for your secret meetings? Why go to a public spot where you have to wait for the nobodies to leave before you can be creepy?
He sets everybody up, gets them looking in one direction.
Comic book nerds loudly discuss exactly what Elijah did in this very movie to set up the surprise ending. They could have just as easily been talking about Spider-Man or the latest Avengers movie, but nope, it's a nauseatingly exact description of what the movie needs to propel the last 5 minutes.
Was any of it downloaded before that?
Quick question, why is this guard in charge of the security cameras now, when before it was incompetent nurses? None of this movie happens if a security guard watches the monitors. Huh, interesting. It's 8:30 according to this camera here, but just a second ago in the room with the monitors, the clock told us it was 4:30. That is an iMac right there. What exactly does this video right here prove? And how is it streamed to the private site Elijah set up, since he only turned that on once everyone had escaped? And if this movie is saying the entire video library went to that private site, we should be seeing lots of mundane footage of people picking their noses and empty hallways. The movie makes it sound like once people get these videos, they'll suddenly just believe in superheroes and not think it's a bunch of college kids playing around with special effects. Maybe the point is that people who really are superheroes will get the message, but the movie itself is making it seem like everyone who watches will believe this shit. Look, I am not down with Mr. Glass's mom being a good guy at the end. She's not necessarily a villain, but she did much to encourage Mr. Glass's delusions of grandeur. Also, this ending is like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, only instead of watching a virus spread, we're watching a viral video spread. Basically the same thing. The news is treating this like a real story where the mentally ill patients escaped, but did they not get the video of everyone dying? And seriously, how did the news verify this story was true? Comcast.
You have such a beautiful voice. I can't wait to hear it when you're older.
Foreshadowing that slaps you in the face. Not gonna lie, if I ever pull up to a hotel and there are this many people waiting to greet me, I'm gonna keep driving, thank you very much. This is creepy. Pro golf? Pro golf? Every other item on this calendar makes some kind of sense, but pro golf?
I can do a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, which is a considerable thing to do. My dad and I put clear glue on them and hang them on my wall. I collect conch shells.
Kids have the damnedest conversations.
There's 250,000 furniture-related injuries in the United States per year. 25% of those, coffee table injuries.
Dad statistics.
No kids allowed on the beach? What? Hold on. No kids week?
Dad jokes. It's not her fault, but I will never be able to see this actress smiling without wondering who she has poisoned.
Then we can go to the same college together and become neighbors with mortgages. Cool.
Not sure if Idlib finds college or mortgages cool in this narrative, but he's getting a sin on both. As these kids sit together and listen to their parents fight, I'd like to give 10 sins here for parents that fight within earshot of their kids.
You're always thinking about the past. You work in a goddamn museum.
Yeah, take that, you museum-working hypocrite. This movie is dumb. The lack of consistency of lowercase and uppercase letters on this legend bothers me more than it probably should. I guess once the people are on the beach, they're stuck, but why wouldn't the resort send everyone in the test subject group on the same day?
Maybe you could recommend one of these.
Why is this scene?
There's a private beach on the nature preserve side of the island.
Since the private beach is the cause of the old in the title, could we just roll the credits now? Please? Can we? They're not even 12 minutes in, and I really want to be done with whatever this is supposed to be. Call it a movie if you must. If you put yourself in all the movies you make, at what point does it go from playful cameo to selfish indulgence? And why is it 5 movies ago? And no one comes behind this guy to close and relock this gate. What's the point in locking it then? Ominous vultures, because we can't build tension in any other way than the obvious. Slow motion shot of them walking through a canyon, because why not? Maybe Zack Snyder is watching. Influencers.
Guy?
Yeah.
What book am I reading?
Giving your spouse a quiz.
Priska, I wanted to tell you something. No, never mind.
Leaving someone hanging in a conversation like this. No wonder Priska's leaving you.
That's mid-size sedan.
Naming a hip-hop artist mid-size sedan. Like, rap names are usually about flexing, but a mid-size sedan isn't a flex. It's an embarrassment. His name should be all-diesel truck, or full-size Ford, or overcompensating Chevy. Mixing grandparents, toddlers, and the ocean. In the previous shot, Trent was with Kara, so how did he get over here with Maddox so quickly? Parenting.
No fish.
There are plenty of weird things about this movie and these characters, but quite possibly the weirdest is Trent's obsession with fish. Who gives this much of a shit about fucking fish?
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn, my nose is bleeding? Or, oh, damn, I know who killed that person?
Was she with you?
I was waiting for her.
The mid-sized sedan portion leading up to everyone else arriving very much confuses me. Has he not tried to leave the beach or just wandered off far enough to black out looking for this woman? The fact that he knows nothing of what everyone is about to experience makes very little sense. If mid-sized sedan has been on the beach since the previous night, why hasn't he aged more? Also, the body of the woman should have decomposed long before now.
I'm an actuary. I calculate people's insurance rates based on their risk profile.
Along came Guy.
No reception at all.
People are stranded in a remote area and have no cell phone reception cliché.
His nose is bleeding. I think he got that when she was trying to defend herself.
Racism. She tells him she works at a museum, then says she's not telling him that because she's hysterical, but because she wants his trust regarding the health of her child, which I guess this f***ing shit makes sense in M. Night's head. but I wish he'd run his ideas by a normal human before filming them, so that normal human has a chance to say, what the f*** are you talking about? As Dude Man does CPR on Lady Person and others shriek nearby, I would like to point out that I would probably be more invested here if I had any idea who any of these people were.
No, really, are you 10, 11?
I get that Trent can't see himself and doesn't understand why his age proclamation isn't weird to Jaren, but Maddox can see Trent and tell he's gotten older. Why hasn't she said anything to anyone yet? Movie dares to ask the question, if you saw your son and daughter 2 minutes apart, and on the second sighting they were much older, despite so little time passing, would you hug them, or would you say what the f*** before going any further? F*** me, this movie is going to continue acting like it's really clever, when in reality it's the opposite of that.
We're on a beach with 2 unrelated dead bodies. That is just statistically impossible.
This is Guy's concern. F***ing Guy.
We're on a remote, undeveloped island.
What a screenwriter-y observation.
This is some kind of parlor trick.
Can you have a parlor on the beach?
Maybe this is some kind of group psychosis. I've studied this. We don't believe we can leave this beach.
But how would the group psychosis explain rapidly aging children, or a wound turning into a scar in seconds? Maybe the goal is to get the least intelligent and or rational people together on an island. Or maybe the goal is to get the most mundane of M. Night creations into an M. Night movie and see how an audience reacts. Because otherwise, I have zero clue as to what this movie is trying to accomplish. And I'm pretty sure I will have aged at least 7 years by the time I finish watching it.
The dog has died!
It was only just alive.
Dog Ears finally rears its ugly, life-impacting head.
Who thinks they can swim 100 lengths of a pool against currents?
Michael Phelps? Aquaman? A really smart dolphin?
My thoughts have more colors in them now.
This is what M. Night thinks poetic dialogue sounds like. From the author of I'm Gonna Salt Bay Your Ass.
Yesterday I had a few colors, and they were really strong, and now I have more, and they're quieter.
What? This isn't funny anymore. What?
Everyone, gather!
I guess we're just all doing whatever this loud woman says.
Everyone needs to have a voice here.
Admirable sentiment. Let's see how it plays out. Ocean Cam!
Does anyone have a needle and thread? We're gonna have to sew this up.
Bringing a needle and thread to the beach. I never need to see surgery cuts into skin ever.
Cut her again. We'll keep our hands in there to keep the incision open.
This works and Priska survives this. Fucking gross, man.
Okay, got it.
F*** you, movie. I'll never eat cantaloupe again. If the island can heal the wound in seconds, why does it still leave a scar? The island is half-assing its job.
Come on, y'all, look at this!
You better come take a look at this cliche.
Something is going on with time on this beach.
You don't say? Jesus, the dialogue in this thing is clunkier than muddied-up moon boots. Somehow, during a time crisis on an isolated beach, these 2 horny now teenagers find a way to sneak off and be horny in a makeshift tent.
Half an hour is equivalent to something like 1 year of our lives.
But it has to be more rapid than that. Priska's incision in the cut on mid-sized sedan heal and scar in a matter of a few seconds, which would equal at least 3 or 4 weeks. If 3 or 4 seconds equals roughly a month, that means everyone would age 15 months in a minute. So 30 minutes would actually be around 450 months, which equals a little over 37 years. At this point, the kids would be well into their 40s, if not 50s, and the adults would either be dead or well past retirement age.
What about her hair and nails? Shouldn't they be growing at an abnormal rate?
Maybe it has to do with the fact that the cells in hair and nails are dead and they aren't reacting in the same way.
Oh.
On this beach, 60 minutes is 2 years.
So that means it would take me 4 months to jerk off. Wait.
Maybe we could slowly walk through the canyon, take a step, stand still.
This is Sneakers. You stole from Sneakers, you dicks.
But according to Priska's timeline, who would be willing to give up 20 years of their life trying?
But you're giving up your entire life if you don't try. So why does no one f***ing listen to Miles from Lost and try this?
Where are the kids?
You've lost the kids? You f***ers deserve it all. Just kneel and accept the incoming justice. Growing teens need food, and also you can't expect her to know manners since she was just previously 5 years old, but it still is gross and sinful. This is a pretty good condom commercial.
I'm sorry about the baby.
Well, everyone is. More importantly, why did you go from 11 to 16 super fast, but then not age a bit since then?
His name was Giuseppe. He wasn't very handsome, and I left him. We looked silly together, he and I.
Vanity. Wouldn't it be creepier if the characters noticed this guy before the audience did? Or at the same time?
Guy, I was on the swim team. I'll make it.
Thinking the ability to swim in a temperature-controlled pool would make you immune to anything the ocean would throw at you. Conveniently and creepily, Jaren corpse floating by is convenient and creepy. Last night in Old Beach.
You must have gone unconscious swimming.
You think?
We never had a prom or a graduation. There's so many memories we didn't have.
You were f***ing 5 years old earlier. Your brain is not wistfully mourning lost proms and graduations. Jesus. Spilling your baby everywhere. Obviously, Kara is going to pass out and fall to her death. That's a no-brainer. But how does she even get to the point where she can black out? The idea that these rocks would be so perfectly placed for climbing without any kind of assistance or equipment is more ridiculous than the idea of a beach that makes you old in a day.
Kara! Don't climb that!
Disciplining someone else's child. Not because you shouldn't, but why would you want to? Scene of cliff hanging contains no Sylvester Stallone.
It's a mathematical certainty there must be a way out.
This guy has never supernatural before. Oh no, the girl I met a couple hours ago who eats pasta salad like a monster and who is also the mother of my dead sandbaby is now also dead. Your son has gone from 6 to 20 in an hour, fathering a stillborn child and now mourning his dead girlfriend of 30 minutes. What do you do? Why would his vision go from fine to blurry in an instant?
I can't protect you anymore.
Holy Christ, I thought M. Night could never top the pure insanity of Lady in the Water, but it looks like he took that challenge personally. Why does this girl still look 16? It's dark outside now. Surely a few hours have passed since you discovered that every half hour is a year. She should be played by a totally different actress right now. As these two somehow grow closer while discussing her extramarital affair, I'm left wondering why this movie needs to be longer than 70 or 75 minutes. It's like the movie wants to be 50% the beach and 40% the shallows, but then also 10% a marriage story.
Magnetism of this exact spot on the Earth, with the rocks on this beach, submerged beneath the ocean for millions of years, deposited with special minerals, are causing our cells to age at a rapid rate.
If you say so, Magic Beach Diary.
Maddox, that's a camera.
See how underwhelming it is when he finally sees evidence they are being watched after the audience was already given 2 shots? I hate this f***ing movie.
They're recording us. Why would they do this?
The actors' questions about why this film was being made somehow make their way into the film. Why would they keep this knife? There's an entire ocean for you to throw the f***ing thing into. My favorite part of this movie is the part where you can't see f***ing shit. I would give a sin back here for this thrashing and breaking of bones scene, honestly, if the movie hadn't been so insipid up to this point.
It's rust. It acts like poison when it gets into your bloodstream.
Wow, an expositional stabbing. Also murder. It's weird that this entire family are the only people to have survived this beach. Is that because they're the protagonists? Or was the fact that they are the protagonists the reason they all survived?
Mom, are you warm enough?
See, now Mom is suddenly completely deaf and acting like a grandma. Well, she was a grandma for a few seconds, but that's beside the point. The point is, she's aging fast again after spending a lot of time not appearing to age much at all.
Leaves us at the altar.
41 seconds of Maddox sing. Man, this character is a terrible singer. The camera will now slowly pan to the right and up a little bit to show us nothing. Just a cliff. So then it can pan slowly back and to the left and down a bit to presumably show much older versions of these characters. And the movie does this constantly. Slow pan to nothing, slow pan back. Things have changed. I'm magic. If the theory of none of the dead cells, like the cells in hair, would be affected, then why does adult Trent have so much 5 o'clock shadow? These f***ing idiots decide to keep trying to escape the island. Fine. But even though they are in their 40s now, they decide to waste a few good escape attempt years on digging a sandcastle first. I f***ing hate them. Die! Die!
Idlib sent me a message I never decoded. And we thought we were so smart.
This message ends up being what saves their lives, which is fine. It's even kind of clever. But Maddox randomly mentioning them feeling like children leads to Trent randomly thinking about the message Idlib gave him, and you know how we feel about randomness leading to neat and tidy conclusions around here. Since Idlib has a pretty good idea how they can escape, why wouldn't he just make this more instructive? Why not say, swim to the coral and you will live? It's not figuring out the meaning of a song title in A Quiet Place 2 levels of stupid, but it's close. Giving this movie 5 sins for introducing the underwater deer antler hell to my nightmare vocabulary. Trent and Maddox have no clue where they're going, but somehow pick the exact path they need to take and do not run out of air while swimming underwater. Okay, look, I'm not going to sin the medical jargon, the typos, or any of the actual content on screen. I'm sinning the order. If you look at the numbers and the names of these conditions, there is no reason whatsoever applied to how they are ordered on screen. There even appear to be arrows indicating if a condition is on the rise or downturn, and even that doesn't account for the order of these conditions.
Because of this beach, we have been able to save hundreds of thousands of lives with new medicines.
So the twist is that Big Pharma and their practices are shady as shit. Wow. Must have taken you weeks to Shyamalan that into existence. And yes, I know this is based on a graphic novel, but it's a graphic novel that doesn't have this ending. So all of this unoriginal bullshit can be placed right at the doorstep of one Mr. M. Night.
The medicine we gave her when she arrived turned out to be the exact mixture. She didn't have a seizure for 8 hours and 17 minutes.
But she had gotten the medicine the previous day when she arrived, so if this were true, it would be a lot more than 8 hours and 17 minutes. However, it's not remotely true, because she had a seizure the following morning at the resort during breakfast. Why is this floor the same red and white checkerboard of the Citadel and the Halloween remake sequel? Also, this is Cabin in the Woods. It's the same f***ing thing, only with some surface tweaks. I love how Knight is so proud of this movie, and it's just a Drew Goddard ripoff.
Let's do what nature wanted us to do.
Finding this many people that are perfectly okay with murder. This pro golf thing is gonna bug me for forever.
You're a police officer.
We know this is Trent based on his voice and the fact that he asked this character what he did for a living at the beginning of the film, so hiding his identity here makes no sense. Not everything has to be a f***ing twist. Not everything should be a f***ing twist. Am I supposed to feel sorry for these f***ers? Selling out Idlib. Some movies exaggerate the amount of time a person can hold their breath underwater, and this is one of them. Even if the coral did somehow protect Trent and Maddox from the blackout, they are now no longer protected by the coral, so they should be blacking out again, no? Their bodies still have experienced the same intense aging process, so nothing should have changed once they left the coral area.
How would you feel if a 50-year-old man called and told you he was your 6-year-old nephew?
I'd feel confused that a 6-year-old learned how to talk in a very adult manner in the span of a day. He should be replying, "Me scared!" Using a 40-year-old Universal logo, but still retrofitting it to say Comcast. Starting your movie with a butt sketch. What is this, a Minions movie? Pretending X is a valid character for a phone number. Knock at the cabin fever. This is a terrible multiple choice quiz. First, a cucumber could be both a fruit or a dessert. And second, a helicopter is not a type of airplane. It's a completely different type of aircraft. Suddenly I'm back in 7th grade arguing with Ms. Madsen about nominal infinitives, and I promised myself I'd never go back to that day.
It's okay. Relax. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna learn about you for a little while.
I'd love to take a sin off for M's use of possible metaphor here. She's playing God. Like grasshoppers are powerless as test subjects. Is it love or dominance she's asserting? One problem, the movie never really solidifies around these ideas in any meaningful way. Sure, we see the symmetry when they are the ones trapped here in a bit, but that's all on the surface, and the movie never really takes the time to unearth anything deeper or even resolve the metaphor. Writing out 2 inches when you've already shown you can just write 2. And I'm not just sinning your inconsistency when, I'm sinning your loss of efficiency. Also, this energy level metric is going to be almost impossible to graph.
I'm not from around here, but I was hoping to make some new friends.
Everything about this encounter cleverly uses bias and editing to build tension because we know nothing of Leonard outside of his size and have already flagged him as a menace. It's such a good setup that I'm willing to take a sin off, but don't get used to it, movie. It's the last one you're getting. But also, none of this makes him approaching Wen like this any less of a strange decision, and he ultimately uses his training as an educator to lull Wen into a sense of security. Regardless of the fact that we will learn that he is supposed to be a good person later, this is still very f***ed up.
I don't talk to strangers.
She utters while talking to a stranger.
There's Daddy Eric and Daddy Andrew.
Wen goes from scared to talk to strangers to full expositional conversation in less time than it took Maverick to do the Kessel Run.
All the Disney Channel shows only have one dad, too.
Firebuds has entered the chat, and yes, I know that character has 2 moms, but newsflash, 2 moms is still not one dad.
What's your favorite movie?
Kiki's Delivery Service.
A coming-of-age movie with themes about learning independence and community based around mystery and magic? That fits with this movie perfectly. What a coincidence.
You're my friend, Wen. No matter what happens, I want you to remember that.
Right, because knowing everything you already know about the job ahead, you thought spending a little time with Wen would be the key to making the home we're going to force one of your dads to murder the other one part go down smoother later. There's character optimism, and then there's we need a scene to set the stage and add some mystery and ambiance, so common sense. Probably Han Shin, either black or white, and because they thought the concept of compartmentalization was safe enough to cushion children if they were in an accident. That last one is a sin. Give the kids some seatbelts and airbags. Knocking 7 times because you read that number in the Book of Revelation instead of stopping at 3 knocks like a civilized human being.
Make them go away!
My response every single time another live-action remake of a Disney animated film is greenlit somehow makes it into the script.
There's a woman carrying something that looks like a pick with a chain and a mallet head at the end.
Rocking up to a house with your present apocalyptical weapons all out and expecting to be let in. And what's worse is that the only way this makes a lick of sense is if scaring the shit out of the deciders is somehow part of the world-ending procedures.
I'm calling the police now.
No, you're not, because you're in a horror movie. And the only place with poorer cell reception than a horror movie is the moon. And now that I think about it, NASA probably even has that on lock.
Hey, we know you can't do that. None of our phones get service out here either.
Thinking that your phone service has to be the same as everyone else's. We all know there are more than 4 major carriers of the apocalypse.
Goddamn door, we're coming in either way.
This need to be inside is all for show. The whole endgame is you giving this family a serious talking to and convincing them to watch the news a couple of times, all of which could be done through the door. I mean, in a pinch, this all could have been handled over Zoom.
I have a gun! You brought it here? Yes, no, it's in the safe in the back of the truck.
I left it there instead of securing it in here because we needed a mid-movie tension set piece. This movie's not going to get itself to 90 minutes. The aggressive jiggling of this doorknob like you can scare a door unlocked. It would be nice if the not scary people would just chill the out. Damn! For not being menacing, they are certainly menacing hard. If the not scary people had any chill at all, they would be halfway through their first sacrifice already. Choosing to break in through doors instead of these clearly easy to enter windows.
You didn't have to be like this.
Preaching to the choir. It's been over a minute since we last checked in on him, and Redmond is still struggling with the weakest doors this side of the Maginot Line. Leonard wastes time breaking through just this part of the door instead of knocking the whole thing down, because the movie needs a few more seconds of Weasley getting an ass whooping. For some reason, seeing Eric injured blasts us into a past meeting with Andrew's parents where they too assaulted Eric. Okay, that didn't happen, but it would have given a reason for us to be dumped here in the middle of awkward tea time.
That's my mom asking how it's going.
How the f*** can you know that?
Can you turn that down?
Disrespecting strawberry shortcake, berry in the big city. This orange blossom hatred shall not stand. Also, why are they even watching this? It's only available to stream on Peacock. Oh.
I don't hate anybody. I do have conflicted feelings about this door.
This joke has the advantage of failing both for being too lighthearted for the moment she's going through in the world of the movie, and for not being funny to the audience at home.
But we had no idea you were a single-sex couple until we got here.
I get it, but describing people as single-sex instead of same-sex makes it sound like they procreate through osmosis.
Our choices make our destiny. I almost got that tattooed.
Almost getting that tattooed.
My name is Sabrina. I live in Southern California. I live in a town you probably never heard of.
You know, for a group of people feeling the pressure and immediacy of a job they need to do, they sure do like to string the audience along, don't they?
Well, I think you guys already know my name is Leonard.
The only thing worse than exposition via a blatant introduction lineup is exposition via a blatant introduction lineup of stuff you know we already know.
You know, this get-to-know-you stuff doesn't matter at all.
Preach.
We shouldn't move them until we make our proposal.
A proposal that somehow none of you have mentioned yet. It's almost like the movie is trying to stretch a good premise for a short film to fit a feature-length film.
I have 2 cats. Their names are Riff and Raff.
Stealing your pet names from the show Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats.
Your family must choose to willingly sacrifice one of the 3 of you in order to prevent the apocalypse.
I already promised not to take another sin off of the movie, so in response to Dave Bautista being so good in this, I'm adding a separate Bautista sins counter, and I'm removing a sin from that.
And you will only live long enough to witness the horror of the end of everything, and you will be left to wander the devastated planet alone.
Wait, so if I don't do this, everyone else dies, but I keep the people closest to me? So no one else to bother us? Was this supposed to be a difficult decision?
If we wanted to hurt you, we would have used duct tape instead of rope.
Wait, what? How is that a matter of distinction? I mean, I guess you get some hairs pulled out with duct tape, but can also get rope burn. What the hell does this even mean? And why didn't he just say, if we wanted to hurt you, we would have done it already, like a normal thriller movie cliche, so we could sin that?
Shown by who? By what? Are you gonna answer that?
They will not.
For every no you give us, we will unleash a plague for the sins of humanity.
Quick question, what happens if you just don't unleash a plague for the sins of humanity?
Will you make a choice?
Every single one of them shakes their head no and answers this question incorrectly. The correct answer is yes, I will make a choice not to, say, kill my loved one. You had a chance to loophole and you blew it. Oh, sure, move Wen to the lap so that she doesn't have to watch, but I have to sit here and take it in. I want a lap too, movie.
Don't you look away from me.
Vanity. Upgrading your camera techniques. When the flashback starts, Leonard has his back to the main door, but when we're finished reminiscing, his back is to the kitchen. It's all in service of this nice dramatic pan across Wen and Andrew. That would be fine if the movie didn't play it like Leonard was standing there the entire time. The Catholicism Wow campaign doubling down with this Buddy Christ Lasso mural.
You can pray if you want. I won't make comment.
Telling someone you love that it's okay to think or speak about something important to them because you've decided not to make fun of them for it for the time being.
Help me take Redmond outside. Cover him with a blanket.
Wasting a blanket. These 3 horsemen of the apocalypse color-coded keychains. We get it, Em. You like symbolism and detail. Chill.
Please watch the TV.
As one of America's favorites.
I'm not even going to think you are.
The Forced M. Night cameo? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all caught that without you lingering on this channel for so long. Also, why land on an infomercial? Wouldn't finding a news network be quicker and better evidence? And yes, maybe it's because Leonard knew which channel from his visions or some shit. So I'm blaming whatever higher power is producing this breaking news positional convenience.
The U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center has issued a
cautionary advisory to British Columbia, Canada, and more than 1,000 miles of coast along the American Pacific Northwest.
Good thing they warned British Columbia and Canada.
Winds to a sizable wave of 15 to 20 feet in height.
15 to 20 feet? That's it. Garrett McNamara does not even get out of bed for 20 feet. Do you even 100-foot wave, bro?
I'll stay, and we can talk about Doomsday.
Offering a conversation about a villain from Batman v Superman as if it's any kind of incentive.
And we have footage shot minutes ago from Cannon Beach.
It appears to be from a social media live stream, so I understand it was broadcasting live as it happened. But how the hell did you guys get it so fast and get permission to air from someone who is clearly dead now? Look, I know we're mostly idiots as a species, but there isn't one person on this beach who maybe realized that as soon as the tide went out that far, they should get the high ground immediately?
I just need a moment.
When you've just witnessed a murder and then a natural disaster, I just need a moment shouldn't mean a flashback to carpool karaoke. Boogie Shoes fits into the rest of this Eric's Jams playlist about as well as I fit into my jeans every January. Having said that, I love the chemistry these three have on screen. I can't help but root for them. Still, I've already taken my stance, so I'm somehow removing another sin from Dave Bautista here. Jonathan Groff isn't singing You'll Be Back in this scene. Although by the end, he will be killed by friends and family to remind you of his love. La, da, 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 da.
Hey, what's going on? Too close. That doc might have rusty nails. Eric, come on with your rusty nails.
One parent is a rule follower and the other is a free spirit cliche. Also, Andrew isn't taught a hard lesson about thinking a good attitude can protect you from tetanus.
Come here. Oh, come on.
Chastising someone for saving you several $100s.
When I was a kid, my dad used to say to me, trust in something more than you.
I'm sure your dad was thinking of a ritualistic murder cult when he said that, so good on you for following through. Eric walks out with his hands firmly tied in front of him, and then 3 seconds after he sits down, his hands are tied behind his back. If Sabrina is that fast with rope knots, her calling isn't to be in a death cult, it's to be in a rodeo.
Did you see Redmond's f***ing face? Are we just crazy?
Considering you were behind him the entire time before he put the mask on, I'm not exactly sure what you're basing this on. And also, no, it wasn't all that crazy. He looked scared to offer himself up to die, which is honestly fairly reasonable. Wen sees Leonard to the right of the tree and proceeds to move uncovered in the same direction as him. This makes no sense for a kid as smart as her. It's as if the script was aware that she needed to be caught. Also playing hide and seek instead of running away.
Redmond is the guy from the bar.
Redmond? More like red herring. Also, that's right. One of these random cultists got into a bar fight with him in the past. Coincidence? Providence? Either way, it's convenience.
Didn't he tell us about this cabin on the message board first?
Wait, is she doubting now? I mean, I know the intent is to keep the audience doubting, but earlier she said...
It's really f***ing happening.
When she saw her vision play out on live TV, and that doesn't seem like something you dial back from.
This is a picture of some of the kids I coach. This year the boys had a record of 3 and 8.
Asking someone to murder a loved one for a team with a losing record.
Maybe you'd sleep better if you could see each other easier.
Being able to look each other in the eye doesn't make them any less tied upright to wooden chairs, but the movie wants us to view this as compassion. Cutting to a blatant reminder of the attempted subtext and hitting your audience over the head with it, aka Shyamalan.
I don't mean to rush you, but we're going to ask for your decisions very fast now.
Saying you don't mean to do something and then immediately doing it. Framing plants and thinking that's art you hang on the wall. Trying to pull a bald fist through a tight space instead of opening up your fingers. You're not a raccoon that found a marble in a trap, Andrew.
I'll move her into the other room so they don't have to see her.
Why not put her out with Redmond? Why are we segregating your murder buddies' corpses again?
It isn't a f***ing plague. It's a news report.
Thinking cable news isn't a f***ing plague. Paddington I get, but Wen's insistence on watching Adam Egoyan's 2009 erotic thriller Chloe is a bit disconcerting. Cutting your hands free, then immediately dropping the knife instead of using it to either cut your feet free or as a weapon.
Get away from my family, you fucking loser!
This whole escape sequence works really well. The fact that Andrew has trouble walking because he has been tied to a chair for like 24 hours is a great touch, along with Leonard and Sabrina being slow to respond and kind of bad at this because they have zero experience doing what they are doing. The whole thing builds until Andrew finally gets the upper hand, and it is all very exciting. Great job, Dave!
Andrew?
Andrew's survival instincts need a bit of evolutionary polish. He knows Sabrina is out here coming after him, and instead of occasionally spot checking where she is, he just keeps looking straight ahead so she can sweep the leg on him while he's trying to get in the car. What the hell, man? Did they spring for auto heal windows on this bad boy? Because Sabrina clearly either cracks the window or leaves an imprint on this swing, and yet in the next shot, it's gone. Conveniently malfunctioning, tension-building gun save conveniently malfunctions solely to build tension.
I believe you were chosen because your family's love for each other is so pure.
Drop the weapon and move away from Eric, or I'll show you I was chosen to put a bullet in your head.
I wonder if people in real life speak in action movie retorts in the midst of trauma like they do in the movies. I bet they don't, especially if they weren't even in the room to hear the line they are supposedly responding to. Whatever her plan was.
Get your drunk ass
back to your seat.
Movie cuts away from its climax to tantric us with another flashback, but this time it's an entire fucking montage. The attack at the bar, the surgery, learning to box, and buying a gun. M. Night is like the preschool teacher reading a story to the kids and stopping to point out all the pictures. See the homophobia, kids? And over here we see how fear could lead to violence. Ooh, and look at this serious I'm gonna shoot a gun face.
Keep an eye on Leonard. Yell if he does anything.
Instead of getting us out of here, I'm going to go check on my theory about Redmond, because I think it will add some nice texture to the mystery. Bromont Avenue doesn't exist on any map I can Google search because Ron Weasley hit that shit with a magic spell, making this all canon in the Harry Potter universe. I hath said it, and so shall it be.
No, I'm not a murderer like you guys.
Well, except for that one time a few seconds ago when you shot that unarmed woman running at you.
He broke the window.
He got out.
You mean this window? You thought Dave Bautista, Leonard escaped through this window? You guys are dumb.
Turn on the TV if you want to be convinced.
Boomers and Gen Xers. And let's be honest, millennials too. Well, now I know it's faked because the sound of those airplane explosions should not be reaching that camera at the same time as the visual is. Checkmate, death cult.
It is hard. Excuse me.
Excuse me. It is hard to describe
the images that we're
seeing.
They fill us with disquietude and horror.
Memorizing your visions so you can perform an impromptu monologue later that you had no idea was coming. I can't even remember what flavor of ice cream Nicole Kidman was eating out of the turtle shell in my dream last night.
I know when someone's lying.
If Natasha Lyonne showed up right now to solve this mystery and it was revealed that this was all just an episode of Poker Face, I'd give every single sin back. Come on, Universal. Just leave it on Peacock for Comcast's sake, leaving this much firewood uncovered.
You know what I love most about teaching kids? They believe everything you say.
The hell? What kids are you talking to? Kids I know argue with every single thing that comes out of anyone's mouth. Parents, teachers, coaches, even YouTube channel narrators. This wine and cheese basket has been sitting out here overnight, and they are not currently dealing with a mildly intoxicated Yogi Bear. Are we supposed to believe that he just hates Merlot?
There was something in the light.
That's what's got you convinced? That you saw a light flash in the mirror? Not the planes falling out of the sky, not the synchronized news position, a f***ing fractal reflection?
They remind us of all aspects of humanity. Redmond malice, Adrian nurturing, Sabrina healing, Leonard guidance.
Yeah, that covers it. All of humanity can be summed up as either malice, nurturing, healing, or guidance. We cracked the code, guys. We're done. Let's go get ice cream. I'll bring the turtle shells. See, you can tell it's super meaningful because they are moving around in a circle together like people do when they are in a passionate argument. This flash forward has got to be like 15, 20 years in the future. Andrew has aged well, and by well, I mean almost not at all. Thinking the future of electric automobiles is all the same models that exist today, as if these companies don't plan to turn these things over like they do with cell phones.
Did Daddy Eric save everyone?
Yeah, he did, but how it all worked is still a cabin-sized mystery. Leonard said earlier,
Ultimately, whether the world ends or not is completely up to you three.
a statement that, on its face, sounds like Wen would need to be a part of the decision as well. Did her deliberation occur off-screen? Did she submit an absentee ballot? Look, I've had a few old tree houses in my time, and there's not a single one of them that is staying this dry inside when it's raining like this. Also, there's no way these curtains are not covered in mold. Get the f*** out of there now! God just straight up destroying the evidence of his crimes. There is no route or secondary highway in Pennsylvania designated as 70. There is an Interstate 70, but this is not the appropriate red and blue interstate shield. And I think we'll sleep better knowing that justice has been served on that front.
And the water just stopped rising.
Writing a movie where the ritualistic murder cult spouting seeming conspiracy theories is proved correct and honorable in 2023 sure is a choice. Diner does not contain a David Dunn watching this news coverage. M. Night takes one last opportunity to rub our nose in an orgy of conveniently placed evidence that these four were who they said they were, even though the movie had already removed all doubt several times over. Movie ends by taking on and off its boogie shoes for all the sometime. Discovery. Turns out, if you take all these partially amputated letters from the opening credits, it spells out, and then you can tell everyone about it. So your waste of time becomes their waste of time. Also, trying to avoid a sin for 1 minute and 8 seconds of credits by covering it with an even more sinful dose of musical nepotism just because you didn't realize I'm a multitasker. The Kia Carnival, the preferred horseless carriage of serial killers everywhere.
It's Aurora Black.
Attempting to erase the Rogers Center from history just because it's Canadian.
I'm so happy she had this afternoon concert after she sold out.
Some people say that the dialogue in M. Night's movies can be stilted and unrealistic, but I think that sounded like a normal human talking in a normal way, as if they were written by a normal AI designed to normally say things an audience needs to know in a very normal way.
What's going on with those girls at school?
Thank God Riley is getting bullied at school. I don't know how I was supposed to feel empathy toward the kid otherwise. I mean, sure, she has a serial killer for a dad, but who doesn't in this day and age? Serial killer has to have an obsessive personality, which is represented by folding things, but only when the movie remembers it's supposed to be a thing cliche.
It must be hard seeing what everyone's doing all the time. You guys are so connected even when you're not that close.
No one will be seated as we interrupt your mystery thriller for this quick social networking PSA.
And don't say jelly that.
Careful what you wish for, Riley. Unless, of course, you enjoy peanut butter and blank sandwiches. This accidental eye contact with the camera. Or was it? Discount Bobby Cannavale.
So what does crispy mean?
We now have 1 million examples in 7 minutes showing that Cooper is a typical dorky dad. We get it. I am ready to be shocked that he is a serial killer. I've practiced my surprise gasp and everything. Can we get on to the trapping?
Extra fried is better than crispy.
To an extent. At a certain point, it just means the food has been burned. This bullshit is why crowd surfing is now a remnant of a bygone era. A lesson I learned the hard way at a Jimmy Eat World concert back in 2016. But I still say the brief moment I made eye contact with Jim Atkins as I was falling from grace was totally worth the bruised tailbone. I'm calling man shit that this toilet looks this clean after any amount of time into a concert. Watching the live feed of your captive in a public bathroom with the volume up. They have not brought nearly enough reinforcements to deal with all these kids.
Jody and her mom are here.
Where?
Not near us. Forget about them.
Wow, it's a good thing you mentioned them for no reason then. It would have been much harder for Riley to forget about them if you'd never mentioned they were here.
I want you to picture someone who hurt you. I want you to try to forgive them. Say to yourself, I release you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
And if you feel you have, I want you to turn on the light on your phones.
This arena is full of liars. Oh, sure, use a big spotlight to highlight the fact that something abnormal is happening. Neither the FBI nor the police stopped to think that using a bit more discretion while apprehending suspects might have helped this dumb plan of theirs succeed.
Look, I only have one left, ladies.
I was standing here before her. Like forever?
It's okay, Riley. Let her have it. She really wants it.
Well, to be fair, an unnamed girl was standing there first. Riley swooped in and jumped the line. No wonder Cooper's been driven to serial killing.
You guys are a good family. Good values. Listen, I'll get more soon. Hold on for you aside.
Since the goal behind merch is usually to sell it, you should have told them that you would eventually restock the t-shirts regardless of how good a family they are. Also, I'm not sure you can make the
good values
assessment based on that one interaction. These concert tees are so expensive, it could just as easily be Cooper trying to save himself $50.
What's with all the police trucks outside? I'm not supposed to tell them. Don't rat me out.
So I will absolutely tell the first person I meet everything I have been told, but only after I have ascertained they belong to a family with what I believe to be
good values.
This whole concert? It's a trap.
Roll Akbarts. Also, I need to acknowledge the absolute insanity that Cooper immediately finds a person willing to spill more tea than a southern barbecue on a merry-go-round in a tornado.
There's no way to get out of here except backstage, I guess, but no one can get backstage.
Which, of course, means that he will absolutely be getting backstage.
She started the next song. Let's go back to our seats.
If she's starting the next song, why are there so many people back here? These scenes were filmed in the First Ontario Centre, which only has the one stage, so why are there so many people not watching the show?
I thought this was it.
Dad, come on.
Cooper will now spot a conveniently intoxicated person and nudge them down the stairs to try and create a distraction. What I want to focus on is the fact that someone has apparently frozen Riley in time. She complained about missing the show, and then her entire consciousness appears to have left her body. Look at her, just standing there, not in line, not complaining, basically not existing, while Cooper walks away and does his serial killer thing. This door on the floor opens with zero warning for the concert goers seated right next to it. This place truly is a death trap.
Look at the stage where that guy came out. We should climb down and see where it leads.
Even if Riley said yes to this, which would be weird, this is not a smart plan. What does Cooper think is down there? A staircase directly to a fire exit? Does he not think the performer who just appeared likely had an entourage down there too?
Bro, you're strong.
It helps me murder people. It's the only reason I believe this exchange exists.
They gave us a code to say in each section of the arena in case we got stopped by police.
That's it. I no longer believe this person is a real human being. He's the product of this script f***ing a copy of itself, which results in a child of convenience that mommy script and daddy script can put to work to fix all the hard plot stuff they couldn't solve with words, logic, and creative thought.
What do I read? Dad, don't worry about it. Pass it forward, as they say.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean as much if you haven't had to pay for the thing you're passing forward. I'm pretty sure Jamie just wants to get fired at this point. When Cooper was scoping the employee doors earlier, he saw this guy go in and get his ID checked. Fortunately for Cooper, though, there are no cops waiting for him at this door because it doesn't look like he had a plan for that.
This is a photo of one of his victims, married, had a 2-year-old son, and took care of his parents.
He also adopted orphan kittens and volunteered at the soup kitchen. For these reasons, we have assigned him 1 million karma points, which means we should all be extra sad that he was murdered.
I will personally take the team member who brings this freak down out to dinner.
The amount of confidence you must have to automatically assume that everyone thinks spending an evening with you is a prize to be won. This crime scene pick any random officer's helmet makes no sense. They need information relevant to the task of apprehending him today, not evidence for the trial.
Where do you guys keep the sugar? Barrett was supposed to reveal that.
I'm looking forward to the part where Poirot gathers everyone on stage and reveals that there is a Barrett who works at the stadium, but he's deathly allergic to sugar, and that's how Cooper gets locked up.
Don't mess with me, Cooper. I'm not someone to be provoked. I have a dark side. You don't want to see it.
I believe that there are people out there who talk like this, but your movie is begging for an eye roll when said human is this explicit to a person whose actual dark side is killing people. Looks like these perfectly placed cops are about to step in, but fortunately for Cooper, there is an equally perfectly placed distraction that comes to the rescue.
We don't even be best friends. They just need to coexist, not see each other as threats.
The unceasing and unfounded optimism of the UN whenever there is a conflict somewhere in the world. So pretty much all the time.
Our person won't panic. He's here, and he's trying to figure out a way out.
If you know that he knows you're after him and that you've got him cornered, then you've made him a desperate man and knowingly put everyone in this building in danger.
Surveillance footage from area where victims' bodies were found recorded men of various builds.
The SWAT guy will go on to list 6 very different looking people of various ages that I think might be specific enough to cover 75% of all males in the US.
A white male in his 30s with a tattoo of a rabbit or animal on his right arm.
I'm sure there are hundreds of these tattoo covering snap bands around here, but it's amazing that Cooper didn't even have to move his feet to find this one. I'm beginning to think he could walk into oncoming traffic and cars would just spontaneously turn into butterflies instead of hitting him.
All sections be ready for contingency 4. I've told you how this is going to work.
But I will tell you again, just in case he's listening in and needs an update too.
He's going to try to cause a panic.
And now we have the uncanny odds of Cooper hearing this right before he was about to try to cause a panic. Is the inevitable twist that the FBI lady and Cooper are both the serial killer? This lady stands here for a total of 10 seconds before this shit explodes. Now, I wouldn't wish this kind of injury on anyone, but she absolutely had options here. Also, what we're saying happened here is that Cooper went through this door, grabbed 3 bottles of oil, put them in the fryer, jacked up the heat, and not a single was given by the dozens of people around him. There's a reason shit like this happens off screen, and it's because it would look ridiculous if we actually watched it happen. Also, the movie then moves on from the whole event immediately, as if such an incident wouldn't be suspicious enough for the super sleuthing FBI Sherlock lady to at least check the cameras around this food vendor. Also, crinkle cut fries. Cooper jigsaw MacGyver's his way to the roof, but what's his plan? Jump to an adjacent building? Climb down the outside of the building with hundreds of cops watching? Either option is going to be a tough sell for poor Riley unless he plans on leaving her behind.
What's the code?
Hamilton. You see your card? The one you were given at the presentation.
The main issue I have with this movie comes down to luck versus skill. You can argue that putting the oil in the fryer to create a distraction was skill, but getting the code from the t-shirt guy and the fact that this apron had the wallet and card that he needed is pure luck. He didn't plan ahead for this at all. He's just hoping the script will bail him out, and it invariably does. Also, regardless of whatever code words or cards he has, he totally fits one of the descriptions, so why not ask to see his f***ing wrist anyway?
She could start a cult!
Assuming this isn't a cult.
Must be something to be that loved, right?
I'm actually her uncle, her mother's brother.
Thinking which uncle he is relevant to anything. Also, the good fortune continues as Cooper manages to find one of the few people who could secure that backstage access.
That's my daughter, Riley, over there, the one losing her mind even more than the other girls losing their minds.
Since the volume at concerts is always set to hearing damage, having this conversation should be next to impossible.
She just recovered from having leukemia.
Somehow this works and isn't immediately exposed as the obvious ploy it is. I can't believe that someone hasn't tried this sympathy shit already to nab the dreamer girl spot. It's almost as if M. Night was like, well, I can't seem to write a believable human to get Cooper out of this mess, so I guess I'll have to go in there and write this ship myself. I don't think this guy matches any of the 6 descriptions that we heard earlier.
They're with us.
We should talk with him.
It's all good. He's with us.
Everyone in this movie appears to be so confident that they know what a serial killer should look or act like that it's so easy to assume that Cooper couldn't possibly be the killer, despite having a f***ing FBI profiler on the scene. I imagine this is what you see when you take acid and stare at a table for too long.
It's not about being good, it's about goofing around.
The MCU. Rumor has it this movie was going to be incorporated into the Unbreakable universe and titled Split Diopter. Apparently, the plot just wouldn't come into focus.
Don't tell me to breathe!
Kids. Also, that's Jody, the kid who was excluding Riley at school. So I guess I should now be cheering at the conclusion of that much needed and completely runtime-worthy subplot.
Your daughter's never gonna forget today.
Cooper doesn't think it's weird that the third act of the movie just attempted to have a conversation with him.
If anyone tries to get backstage, let me know.
Unless they're already backstage, in which case they get a complete pass and have my personal blessing to continue their serial killer ways.
Check and see if there's space.
So if there's no space, what are you going to do? Dump her body in the alley? She will either go into this medical tent or you'll need to find another one. There's no reason for you not to bring her with you. This is an urgent appeal to movie watchers everywhere. Every second, an average of 17 children or young adult characters are given asthma for no good reason. Please, find it in your heart to feel empathy for every young character, regardless of lung capacity. If we commit to this, by 2065, we can disband the asthma pump prop lobby and the rather ironic stranglehold they have on the industry. Thank you.
You won't stop until I doo-doo on myself, now will you?
My open letter to the pepper industry after the creation of the Carolina Reaper somehow makes it into the script.
Everyone needs a break when they're starting out. I owe a lot to the thinker.
Directors who force their daughters to address them as the thinker. White people can't dance to take a life cliche.
I specifically said I wanted honeysuckle sour kombucha, bitch.
This performer is extremely specific with his drink orders and horrible to the people who work for them, because that's easier than writing an actual personality.
We just have some extra security tonight. Only Lady Raven and her very close group are excluded.
You know, a trap is only as good as the assholes who decided there were any exceptions to the trap. Also, are they supposed to be impressed that Lady Raven is excluded from extra security checks? Is this a flex or something? Can you give me something to explain why this extra information was just volunteered? Other than convenience being the primary food source of the plot?
There were 3,000 men here. We're questioning everyone as they leave.
So what questions would these be? Are you a serial killer? Have you ever been a serial killer? Okay, the tattoo is a giveaway, but the cops don't know for certain that the tattoo guy is actually the serial killer. It could be any of the other 5 people they described, so what exactly are they asking them that would prove they're the killer?
What you're going to do in front of everybody is you're going to ask me and my daughter if we want to ride in your limousine, and then you're going to drive us out of here.
But won't they think it's super suspicious that a man matching one of the descriptions is an unplanned addition to her entourage? All this occurs very publicly at a huge event, and the news media is nowhere in sight. Oh, I guess he's done it. No, that's fine. It's just that I came into this expecting M. Night's Home Alone, where Cooper would have to use his smarts to avoid getting caught like a serial killer version of Walter White. Wait, I guess Walter White is a serial killer version of Walter White. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this could and should have been so much more fun than an exploding fryer, stealing a radio, and driving away in a limo. It's cute that they thought these 2 rows of movable fences were going to stop anything, and that they could only move the second set after the car had moved an additional 5 feet.
You can just drop us off in the near corner. We're parked nearby.
Okay, but what happens next? Eventually, Lady Raven is going to tell people about him. I know he's got Spencer as collateral, but how are they keeping in touch to know she won't rat on him? Or is he just hoping that she'll keep quiet indefinitely, even after he releases Spencer? I'm not investing unless I see a clear 5-year plan.
That's acting strange. How? Oh, I'll tell you later.
Then why bring it up now at all, Riley?
I just made a couple things. Nothing fancy like you're used to. I would have made more if I had more things.
Jesus Christ, on a banquet. How long has Lady Raven been there? Mrs. Serial Killer made deviled eggs and some potato thing. Did she already have this in the fridge? This isn't that you just throw together.
About 2 weeks ago, the FBI and police came to me and they told me they had found out he was going to be at my concert today. They found a portion of a receipt for a ticket.
And based on this, the FBI decided to trap an entire concert. Never mind that they don't have a name, fingerprints, or really any fucking clue what he looks like. Based on the description from earlier, he is any size, possibly black, possibly white, may or may not have a tattoo, and is aged between 30 and 60. Not to mention that they have no fucking reason to believe that just because he has a ticket, he'll even show up to the concert. I don't know how this can go wrong.
He was a man who had a scarring relationship with his mother. She was probably the first person to sense he was different.
The FBI lady told me all this in case it would come in handy later as I tried to outwit the serial killer. At the time, I thought it was a bit of an overshare, but boy, was I wrong.
I could play a quick song.
Ah, it's a piano! Kill it now! Wait, was that not the proper response? I got a little confused with what the camera movement was trying to convey. The lyrics to this song include Faustian trades, and I'm sure most singers would sell their souls in exchange for this uncanny ability to connect with kids through post-World War II German literature.
Can I have my phone back, please?
I have to go to the bathroom. Where is it?
I mean, why don't they think it's weird that she's just walked off with his phone to the bathroom?
Hey guys, I need help here. I need it right now.
Cooper has been threatening to kill Spencer by pushing a button on his phone. So now that Lady Raven has the phone, why the f isn't she calling the cops? Sure, she wants to save Spencer, but she has all the time in the world now, right? There's really no need to start this crowdsourcing escape attempt nonsense now that she has the kill button.
To the girl who just answered. There's only a few minutes.
To the person who just answered, the girl who just answered, how did you get this look comment up so quickly? Also, why is there only a few minutes? Cooper said there was a button he had to press, or is this like a lost situation where he has to keep pressing a button to reset the timer? Because that seems very inconvenient.
Get your family and other adults and go there right now.
Get your family? Call the cops if you have the address. What if he's booby-trapped the place? Why are you only now texting your driver?
Rachel, listen to me. Your husband is the butcher.
Wow, what an efficient way to get a person you just met killed.
Monsters aren't real.
Go look up a picture of a star-nosed mole and then tell me you actually believe that.
I locked them in Riley's room. There's a window in a nearby tree. Never looked at this place through that lens.
Cooper is extremely defensive in response to a sin I haven't written yet. But anyway, why didn't he tie them up or make sure they couldn't escape? Also, are we saying that Rachel took her son and daughter out through a second-story window and into a tree so she could use them as human shields against her serial killer husband as he drives away? Is there a warrant out for her arrest yet? Somehow he had time to grab the leftovers from the living room, box them up, and put them in the fridge and clean some dishes. I mean, I respect the commitment to the OCD bit, but how slow are these SWAT guys if that didn't give them enough time to catch him?
There's something in the kitchen closet. A tunnel. It appears to lead to the neighbor's yard.
So when Cooper said,
never looked at this place through that lens, never let the two lives touch,
he must have meant apart from when it comes to hiding a go bag and digging a secret escape tunnel.
SWAT member in neighbor's yard down.
One guy spotted him? One guy spotted the man coming up from a hole in the neighbor's yard? Look, I don't think this is impossible, but I'd find it a lot more believable if you had the confidence to put it on film instead of letting my imagination do all the work again.
Help me! Why?
Some asshole really said, why?
Move civilians away from the vehicle.
I think maybe they could have said this before pointing their guns at the civilians. So no one, not a single person saw someone get out of the driver's door? No one? Is this man invisible to anything that isn't a movie camera? This pop star has saved more lives and done more to bring Cooper to justice than the 2,000 police officers we've seen in this movie.
He doesn't set off warning signals in our nervous system.
She is really trying to suggest that this guy...
Hey, what's with all the police trucks outside and the cameras everywhere, Jamie? Something happening?
Comes across as completely normal. Using this video of Spencer's abduction and his own words.
He asked me to help jump his car.
I have concluded that anyone asking for help jumping their car from the inside to the back of a van does not actually need help jumping their car. However much it costs to get the shot of this teapot.
Cooper.
What happened to...
There are 2 cruisers outside all night.
We've reached the point in the story where the villain's abilities to evade capture become supernatural in order to expedite the final act.
I'm not great at a lot of things, Rachel. But keeping my 2 lives separate is not one of them.
Wait, so he's not great at not keeping his 2 lives separate, meaning he is great at keeping them separate, right? What a weird way to say that.
Maybe the trap wasn't set there at the concert. Maybe it was set here.
Call is coming from inside the house cliche.
The smell of cleaning fluid on your clothes. Not the type the firehouse, the type you smell at hospitals.
Nothing I could have done about that, I'm afraid.
I mean, other than using the same cleaning fluid Rachel just mentioned that you use at the firehouse, right? I feel like that would have worked. Or maybe, like, having a set of clothes that you use specifically for butchering instead of doing that shit in your regular clothes. Well, I don't want to further incriminate myself, but I'm just saying he had a lot of options here. I guess he's taking his shirt off to avoid any Rachel-flavored blood spatter, but what about his pants and underwear? Does he not care about getting them bloody too? Look, I'm just saying Anthony Hopkins would have gone full Monty for this scene.
You followed me one day to the safe house on Brewster. But there's nothing in there, Rachel.
Just a chair and a table.
So she smells cleaning fluid, finds Cooper at an abandoned house with a table and chair, and jumps to serial killer? I'm not saying I have a better conclusion, but goddamn, that is a leap, right?
I had a receipt from your wallet when I went through it from before. A receipt from the concert.
This receipt is the cause of all my headaches. First off, where did you buy these tickets that you got a receipt? Secondly, even if you use cash or one of the credit cards from one of your victims, there should have been enough information attached to the date and time of the transaction for the feds to track down who purchased the tickets. Thirdly, the system that issued the tickets and the receipt should have been able to find a seat number linked to the purchase. A handful of officers should have been able to meet you at your seat and taken you into custody without leaving all of Philadelphia unpoliced for the better part of the day. Finally, if Rachel had these suspicions, why wouldn't she just call the police and tell them what she knows, rather than sending them on this insane bunny trail to trap him at the concert? Because guess what? Talking to the cops also has the added bonus of not leaving your daughter with a fucking serial killer.
No knives, please.
Thinking that being stabbed in the eyeball, kidney, or testicles will hurt less because it's a fork instead of a knife. Cooper realizes he's been drugged, but decides to have a pleasant conversation about it instead of making the most of what little time he has left.
Let me see you one last time.
You know, FBI lady, the theatrics of catching Cooper by pretending to be his mother are only impressive because Rachel didn't get stabbed to death while you were waiting in the fucking doorway for your big moment. This poor bastard loses his eyes because they go weak sauce with the takedown. I'm not suggesting they should shoot him, but how about some of those beanbag rounds or like 5 tasers?
Please give me a second.
White privilege. None of the 9 people whose current job is to watch one serial killer for a living spot him palm the piece of metal that he'll use to uncuff himself. Also, this escape would have been a lot harder or damn near impossible if you'd cuffed his hands behind his back and treated him like a serial killer who just left his thumbprints in your colleagues' eye holes. They bring the kids back to the scene right as their dad is getting arrested because the main goal of the East Dublin police is to create maximum drama. Cooper escapes, and I, for one, can't wait for Trap 2, Trapped, which will end up being a backdoor sequel to After Earth, where they find out every one of M. Night's movies takes place during Josh Hartnett's coma in time traveling. The only reprieve is that the aliens from Signs will confront the apocalypse people from Knock at the Cabin and bring about a swift end to humanity before anyone has a chance to bitch about it on Reddit.
Damn, I ain't talking to nobody at work no more.
Jamie cures the disease by killing the patient instead of settling for just not talking to strangers and serial killers.
Twist it a little bit, then twist it some more.
Your dad gave you that watch as a present just before he went away.
This watch was on your daddy's wrist when he was shot down over at Hanoi.
What?
Just found a picture of you.
Oh, how do I look?
Like shit.
Must be an old picture. Listen, you gotta bring me in your hack for a 6-month overhaul.
Negative.
ASC.
She's in love with a dead guy anyway.
But I do my little magic shake and now it's in my right hand.
But you wouldn't clap yet, because making something disappear isn't enough. You have to bring it back.
Tommy. That's a taping. Tommy.
Fast. Call. Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
You see, most blokes are going to be playing at 10. You're on 10 here, all the way up, all the way up,
Yeah.
all the way up. You're on 10 on your guitar. Where can you go from there? Where?
I don't know.
Nowhere, exactly.
Just up yonder, there is a ridge. How high ridge, I could not tell.
I want to tell you I love you.
I love you too, Daddy.
I'll be right here when you get back.
I love my dead gay son. Mr. Price, can we talk about the note that you left on my car?
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Warriors, come out to play!
Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides.
He's gone pro in the draft. They say he can run the 40 in 4.3 seconds.
I thought Tommy Tomasimo sucked big time.
You also do probation work, right?
That's right, I see violent offenders.
Oh, bad guys.
Not necessarily.
Oh, the bin man. I think he's one of them.
The garbage man?
Negative.
Football practice.
What's the matter?
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
And we should just keep all possibilities available.
If you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
And your wife moaned like a whore when they ravaged her. Again and again, again and again.
Nerd!
If you build it, you will come.
Oh!
And what kind of machine can bend a stalk of corn over without breaking it?
What about a magnet?
What magnet? What about it?
Yeah, bitch! Magnets!
What are you thinking about?
Baseball stuff! Baseball stuff!
cheeseburger with bacon.
The Royale with cheese.
Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
From the moment the invaders arrived, breathed our air, ate and drank, they were doomed.
Room spinning because I drank too much because I wanted to get drunk.
We sat down there on company orders to get this thing, which destroyed my crew.
Gather your bravery.
No cell phone reception, no traffic cameras. Go someplace for one goddamn weekend when they can't globally position my ass.
So the evil things from my past are kept close and not forgotten.
Let us open it.
No.
Oh, what's in the box? This criminal has plagued my family for nearly 20 years. He's a ruthless adventurer and a con artist who preys on mentally feeble, sick old ladies. And he probably f***s them, too.
You, alone, will follow the road.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
Hello, Story. My name is Cleveland.
From the cliffs. That is what your name means.
I'm an American, honey. Our names don't mean
I ate my twin in the womb.
So what's happening? There's still no word, huh?
A boy in the Midwest of this land will grow up in a home where your book will be on the shelf and spoken of often. He's at a university. He makes love to a pretty girl named Claire.
What is it?
Don't say a word.
You must invoke the ancient words.
Klaatu! Marata!
Breaker 19, my friend Jesse says all truck drivers are rapists. Are you a rapist?
I am a golden god!
I am Gandalf. What?
Mr. Anderson, welcome back.
Listen, Julian, Velma's acting weird. Just be cool, okay?
What's going on?
Yes, I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling like she's cheating on me.
Yeah, I get that feeling too, man.
You don't have an opinion?
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven?
You're not interested in what happened to the beast.
No, not the beast! Not the beast!
I immediately regret this decision.
The password. Vagina. I'm freaking out, man.
You are freaking out, man.
It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
You are going to retrieve that beacon, or we are going to die.
We follow orders or people die. It's that simple. Are we clear?
Do you know where we are?
No, sir.
Welcome to Earth. And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Quit f***ing around and give her the shot. Come on. Okay. Look, while I'm doing this, you take off her shirt and find her heart.
The only danger is if they send us to that terrible planet of the apes. Wait a minute. Statue of Liberty. That was our planet! You maniacs! You blew it up! Damn you! Damn you all to hell! Guitar. I did a Peter Pan right here off of this dam, right here!
Josh? Josh, is that you down there?
Ah, Kelly Clarkson!
I never liked you.
I don't like you either.
Help! Help! I fell down the well!
Tell us something we don't know.
No, my name is Bart Simpson.
William! I forgot to tell you. Your mom called. She says you gotta call home immediately. And she says to tell you, I know what's going on.
Why do you do this? Why do you act like this? Why do you act like you're not one of us?
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
What's wire hangers doing in this closet?
The beast? He's coming for you.
Don't mock me.
Mr. Anderson, welcome back. We missed you.
Did sleight of hand with the pills given me to take daily.
I was sitting there eating my muffin and drinking my coffee and replaying the incident in my head when I had what alcoholics refer to as a moment of clarity.
Are you ready?
Can you dig it?
I can do a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, which is a considerable thing to do. My dad and I put clear glue on them and hang them on my wall.
Here, do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Any plans today?
Well, one of our kids wants to do jet ski, and the other one wants to do anything but that.
If you are for scuba, I take you out on the boat. I'll show you the coral reef, and we have kind of like a scuba party.
I don't believe it. Now my pants are chafing me.
Don't look at me!
Look away, I'm hideous.
Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Look at that manly walk.
Can I talk to you for a little bit?
I don't talk to strangers.
I've mastered the ability of standing so incredibly still that I've become invisible to the eye. Watch. Can everyone come in here, please?
It's morphing time.
Hi, Eric. Wynn. And Andrew. My name is Sabrina.
My mom died a week ago, and she didn't have an easy life. She had DID, which became extreme at the end, and dementia. And my father died when I was a baby from starvation because he had psychotic depression. And he starved himself, which I'm sure was just as pleasant as it sounds.
Lynn, my nose itches. What do I do?
Eric? You okay?
You're gonna be okay! Say the goddamn words! You're gonna be okay!
You're very polite. You're a good person.
I'm a good person!
Eric? Look at me.
I'm the captain now.
What are you doing with that, Leonard?
Sometimes I whittles the future.
They're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Written by BoJack Horseman.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
I don't ever complain. I might snap. I'm out of restraint.
You're gonna wear the shirt of the band you're gonna go see. Don't be that guy.
Say to yourself, I release you. And if you feel you have,
Give me all your motherfucking money now!
You know the butcher? I'm a vegan. This whole concert? It's a trap.
that's usually my line.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Your booze mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
On 3. Everybody scream.
What's your code? I mean, if you can say, I don't want you to get in trouble.
Fidelio.
What the hell are you doing out here?
This is not my locker.
Hey!
Hey!
What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or doghouse in that area.
Do you know what you look like to me with your good bag and your cheap shoes? You look like a rogue